directly. As one of the hardest parts of the human body, the knee was severely damaged by this impact. At the same time, Chen Wei felt a burning pain down there. He had broken his little finger when he fell while climbing over a wall to steal. The pain this time was even more intense than the last time I tried to bypass the Great Firewall. At this moment, Chen Wei rolled his eyes and stretched out his inner thigh. This feeling, it's beyond words, just amazing. Why was he covering his crotch in Chapter 67? According to statistics, the most painful pain in the world is not childbirth. Instead, the egg cracked. When Mu Ziomo was a child, she had just learned to ride a bicycle. Because she was riding too fast and the brakes failed, she eventually lost control of the bicycle. Then the car slammed hard into a rock. Due to inertia, the others flew forward directly. The crotch area was also damaged on the bicycle frame. As for the consequences, all of you male readers should know what's going on. That kind of pain, he could say, was something he would never forget for the rest of his life. In fact, it was a true reflection of the author's experience. The person standing in front of me now must be feeling this way. Thump! He collapsed to the ground, letting out a painful howl. Ouch, it hurts so much. Ouch, that hurts. Why, I've been castrated. Seeing his current appearance, Mu Ziomo couldn't help but smile. Blame it on you for spreading your legs. Gradually, his consciousness weakened, and his voice grew softer. Mu Ziomo was afraid that he would die, so she quickly took out her phone and dialed the police. Hello, Shanghai Police Center, what's the problem? A serious voice came from the phone. To be honest, this was the first time Mu Ziomo had called the police, but he wasn't nervous at all. After all, he did a good deed. He spoke softly. Hello, Mu Ziomo suddenly didn't know what to say because he didn't know where he was. We took many turns while chasing this thief, and we should be quite a distance from the main road now. He looked up and saw an ICBC logo on a tall building not far away. So Mu Ziomo said, I can see the logo of ICBC China Business Corporation when I look up. This should be the alley in the urban village across the street. I just took down a thief. Please send someone over quickly. Upon hearing the word thief, the police officer who answered the phone was taken aback. Just 10 minutes earlier, he had received a call from someone claiming to be from Fengxiang Gold Shop, who had called the police. At that time, a police captain surnamed Mu happened to be nearby, so he told him the news. I just don't know how things will turn out. By this time, he had already located the person who made the call using GPS tracking. The police officer on the other end of the line quickly said, Okay, please wait where you are. There are officers nearby, and I will arrange for them to come to your location immediately. Mu Ziomo hung up the phone immediately. After waiting for a few minutes, the roar of a car engine came from the alley not far away, accompanied by blue and red lights. Bang! He heard the sound of the car door closing, and a few seconds later, several police officers in light blue uniforms walked over. They were all over 180 cm tall, and when the police saw someone lying on the ground, they immediately became alert. It's you. One of the police officers frowned slightly when he saw Mu Ziomo. I think I've seen him before. Hearing the sound, Mu Ziomo also looked up. This was a middle-aged policeman who looked to be in his 40s or 50s. He had wrinkles on his face, dark skin, but a very kind appearance. Looking at his figure, Mu Ziomo remembered. This seemed to be the policeman who had just chased the thief. When I overtook him, I was so focused on chasing the thief that I didn't even have time to look at him. However, Mu Ziomo could still tell from his physique. Hello, Mu Ziomo spoke slowly. For some reason, he suddenly felt a sense of familiarity when he saw the policeman in front of him. It was like seeing a familiar face, but he was also perfectly aware that he didn't know this person at all. This feeling is strange. The policeman looked at Mu Ziomo and extended his hand. I remember you. You were the one who overtook the thief I was chasing, right? Oh, that's right. Mu Ziomo nodded and then shook hands with him. Haha, not bad, not bad. He showed an appreciative look and then said, My surname is Mu, and I am Mu Changle, the captain of the 1st Criminal Investigation Brigade of Pudong. Hello, Captain Mu. My surname is also Mu, and my name is Mu Ziomo. After saying that, Mu Ziomo was a little surprised. Could it be that he shared the same surname as him, or the same surname as Mu Baining? Apart from Mu Baining, he had never met anyone with the surname Mu. Mu Baining was the first, and he was the second. Of course, Mu Ziomo didn't think much of it, feeling that Mu Baining and he probably had nothing to do with each other. Your surname is also Mu. Mu Changle was taken aback. He said, the Mu with the grain radical. Mu Ziomo shook her head. No, it's the Mu with the water radical. Oh, okay. Mu Changlei nodded, then turned his gaze to Chen Wei, who was groaning in pain. After frowning slightly, he looked up at Mu Ziomo. Ziomo, this is what you made. He was startled when he saw Chen Wei clutching his crotch. In fact, several jewelry thefts have occurred in Shanghai recently. A few days ago, they identified the suspect, but the person was extremely cunning and specifically targeted areas near urban villages with limited surveillance. Because of the complex terrain, I watched him escape twice. To his utter surprise, he ended up being taken down by a young man who looked like a college student. That's right, Mu Ziomo nodded. I was buying something at the cat shelter when I heard someone shout, "Stop thief," so I ran out. Then I saw you chasing a man in black. Because I had studied Sanda, Chinese kickboxing, for 2 years, I had the idea to help. Not bad, not bad. After hearing Mu Ziomo's words, Mu Changlei gave him a look of appreciation. But why was he covering his crotch? What is this? Mu Changlei looked at Chen Wei, who was still groaning with many questions in his mind. What did you do to him? In response to Mu Changlei's question, Mu Ziomo smiled and said, well. He pointed to his knee and pushed it upwards. Seeing his actions, Mu Changlei knew what had happened. Because their team had been trained beforehand, they knew that to capture criminals, they had to find weaknesses to attack. It has to be said, Mu Ziomo is really ruthless. They've even resorted to these methods. His tilde Mu Changlei couldn't help but gasp, then said to the surrounding police officers, call 121st and take him to the hospital. Then, he turned his attention to Mu Ziomo. Young man, because things are a bit special today, we need you to come with me to the station to record your statement. Of course, in recognition of your courageous act, we can apply for a reward for your act of bravery. Could you come with me? Mu Ziomo was taken aback. To be honest, he didn't want to go. But there's a bonus. Actually, he wasn't after the reward. He just wanted to record a statement to help the police close the case. That's right, that's exactly it. Chapter 68 has lost her fertility and needs surgery to save her life. Mu Ziomo checked the time and felt that recording the statement wouldn't take too long, so he agreed. Okay, I'll still give the police officer face. Haha, let's go. Mu Changlei was in a good mood. After all, this criminal suspect was really too cunning and had been bothering them for several days. It was truly unexpected that he was apprehended in such a unique way. Oh right, this is the suspect's knife. I've taken it from him. Mu Ziomo took out Chen Wei's fruit knife, and Mu Changlei handed it to a police officer and put it into a storage bag. This is the suspect's tool for committing the crime. When he goes to court, showing this will make him work on the sewing machine for a few more years. After all, theft and assault are two different things. If Mu Ziomo is injured, then the responsibility should be investigated even more. Mu Changlei led Mu Ziomo into a police car, while the other police officers handcuffed the suspect. The two men sat in the back seat, and Mu Changlei said to the driver, Zio Liu, let's go back to the station first. I'll take this young man to give his statement. Yes, Captain. The policeman called Zio Liu nodded, and quickly drove the car toward the 1st Criminal Investigation Brigade of Pudong District. The car swayed and rocked as it drove along. At that moment, Mu Changlei, who was sitting next to him, asked, Ziomo, are you a college student now? Yes, Mu Ziomo nodded. I'm currently studying at Shanghai University of Science and Technology, and I'm a freshman this year. Upon hearing this, Mu Changlei was overjoyed, because her daughter is a professor at Shanghai University of Science and Technology. They might have even met before. For some reason, after hearing Mu Ziomo's words, Mu Changlei found him more and more pleasing to the eye. He couldn't help but ask, so, you don't have a girlfriend right now, do you? Upon hearing this, Mu Ziomo was speechless. Damn it, no matter where he goes, people ask him if he has a girlfriend. Could it be that Captain Mu is trying to set him up with someone? No way, he can't handle that. After all, he already has Mu Baining, and that girl Mu Baining is definitely a jealous type. Uncle, I don't have a girlfriend, but I already have someone I like. Well, all right then. Upon hearing this, Mu Changlei's expression immediately turned somewhat disappointed. After all, it's not common to see a 5-star good citizen like him who acts bravely and righteously these days. He's handsome and well-mannered. If I could bring him home. If I could become his son-in-law, that would be even better. Thinking of this, Mu Changlei felt a surge of anger. A while ago, his wife arranged for Mu Baining to go on a blind date, and then, Mu Baining actually said she already had a boyfriend. He was quite happy at the time, but then, that was the end of it. By this time, he had already guessed that the girl was just lying because she was afraid of being rushed. As for the voice on the phone that day, it must have been his student impersonating him, right? Thinking of this, Mu Changlei clenched his fist. I wonder when my daughter will find a boyfriend so he can hold his grandson. He only has this one daughter, so he pinned all his hopes on Mu Baining. But this girl wasn't in a hurry. Her colleague Lao Wang's daughter got married at the age of 20. The kids can run now. He glanced at Mu Xiaomo again, feeling that he was particularly pleasing to the eye. Plus, his daughter was quite good-looking, so if he gave her to him, he might just fall for her. Mu Changlei felt that this was feasible and had already made up his mind. After all, it's not easy to find a guy as good as that. If the two of them really get together, he won't have to worry about that girl anymore. Mu Changlei didn't say anything more, mainly because the two of them weren't very familiar with each other yet. However, he had a way to keep Mu Xiaomo hanging on. The car drove for 20 minutes and soon arrived at the 1st Criminal Investigation Brigade of Pudong District. Come with me. After getting off the car, Mu Changlei led Mu Xiaomo into the police station hall. This was his first time entering the police station. At that time, many police officers were working there. When they saw Mu Changlei return, they all came up to greet him. Mu Changlei simply nodded slightly, while Mu Xiaomo was completely ignored, which was normal. He led him into an office in the inner room, and then poured Mu Xiaomo a cup of tea. Then he said, Xiaomo, wait here for a bit. I'll go and get ready with the other officers. We'll go to the office to take your statements later. Okay, uncle. Mu Xiaomo nodded, and soon Mu Changlei walked out. He looked around the office. It wasn't very big, only about 20 square meters. The desk was covered with all sorts of documents, and there were also many banners hanging on the walls. After taking a sip of water, Mu Xiaomo waited patiently. About 10 minutes later, Mu Changlei pushed open the door. All right, Xiaomo, you can come over now. Okay. Mu Xiaomo stood up and followed Mu Changlei into the conference room. At this moment, there was another police officer present, holding paper and pen, preparing to record Mu Xiaomo's statement. A voice recorder was also placed on the table. Please sit down. Mu Changlei pulled out a chair, cupped his hands in greeting, and offered it to Mu Xiaomo. Then he sat down next to him. When recording your statement, please try to explain the events clearly so that we can collect strong evidence. Okay, uncle. Mu Xiaomo smiled and nodded. Mu Changlei said, in that case, let's begin. Good. Mu Changlei turned on the recorder, and at the same time, Mu Xiaomo recounted the entire process of the incident that occurred today. He started his story from the moment he entered the cattery, heard someone shout, "Stop, thief!" ran out, saw the man in black, chased him, fought with him, finally knocked him down, and then called the police. He recounted everything. The entire process took 10 minutes, during which the officer took notes the whole time. Of course, the voice recorder will then be working. These are all sufficient pieces of evidence. Mu Xiaomo's confession is the law. Uncle Mu, that's about it. After listening, Mu Changlei nodded. Okay, I understand. Thank you, Brother Xiaomo. Just then, his phone rang. When he took it out, he found it was his police officer. Excuse me, I need to take this call. Mu Changlei answered the call and put the phone to his ear. Hello, this is Xiao Liu. What's up with your call? Captain Mu, the identity of the suspect has been confirmed as Chen Wei. We found a gold necklace on him, worth 60,000 yuan. However, the officer paused for a moment, then continued. His injuries are quite serious. He has lost his fertility and needs surgery to save his life. Chapter 69. Could Mu Changlei be Mu Baining's father? Because Mu Changlei had the phone on speakerphone, everyone present could hear the voice on the other end. She lost her fertility outright. It's like she was completely destroyed. Mainly, there are two. After all, if only one fertility ruptures, it's impossible to directly lose fertility. Mu Changlei frowned slightly. Good heavens, what kind of immense power did Mu Xiaomo use to completely destroy his two little brothers? Immediately, Mu Changlei and the officer taking notes felt a chill run down their spines. This Mu Xiaomo is too ruthless. Mu Changlei said into his phone, as for the surgery, let's contact his family first. He must be brought here as soon as he recovers. We also need police officers to keep a 24-hour watch on him recently. Yes, Captain. The call ended quickly. Mu Xiaomo was taken aback. His lips twitched as he asked, Uncle Mu, this. I don't have to take responsibility for this, do I? At this moment, he felt a little scared. After all, he still lacked some knowledge of the law. Little brother, this thing is so important, and you've completely destroyed it. The compensation will definitely be a lot of money. It's nothing. Mu Changlei shook his head and continued. Your actions constitute legitimate self-defense and an act of emergency avoidance. As you just stated in your statement, he attacked you with a knife, and you were in potential danger, so he deserved it. That's good, that's good. Muzaya Omo breathed a sigh of relief. If it came to compensation, good heavens, he definitely couldn't afford it. The main problem isn't something money can solve. He's lost his ability to have children for life, meaning he'll never have his own. I just don't know if he's married or not. I checked the time again. It was already 7:30 p.m. The system's voice didn't appear for a long time, but Muzaya Omo didn't take it seriously. Logically, this task should have been completed. Just then, Mu Changle, who was standing next to him, said, "By the way, in recognition of your act of bravery, we will apply for a 10,000 yuan reward for you, but we need to go through the formalities. I need to leave your identification information." Can? Muzaya Omo readily agreed and wrote down her name, phone number, and ID number on paper and pen. At the same time, he had some doubts in his mind. Was the 10,000 yuan cash mentioned by the system going to be given to him as a reward for his act of bravery? That works too, since I'm not short of money right now anyway. After leaving his information, Mu Changle glanced at it and then nodded. Okay, I need to apply to the bureau for the 10,000 yuan. I estimate it will be approved by this Friday. The police may contact you later to assist in the investigation of this case. If someone calls you, please be ready to answer. Okay, Uncle Mu. Muzaya Omo was afraid the pet shop would close down, and at this point he was already thinking about leaving. The mission is paramount, everything else is secondary. Muzaya Omo stood up abruptly. Uncle Mu, there shouldn't be anything else for me here, right? In that case, I'll head back now. Hearing Muzaya Omo's words, Mu Changle frowned. Are you in such a hurry? My officers and I haven't eaten yet. Why don't we go get something to eat together? Muzaya Omo was a little confused. Why was Mu Changle being so polite? He only did a small thing, and he still wants to have dinner with him. He shook his head. No, Uncle Mu, I won't eat. I still have some things to take care of, and I have to go back to school later. I'm in a hurry. Let's make time for another time. Okay then. Mu Changle nodded helplessly, thought for a moment, and then said, How about this, Zyromo? Let's add each other on WeChat. Once the money is approved, I'll let you know via WeChat, and you can come pick it up then. After that, we can have a drink together. Muzaya Omo was a little stunned, but still nodded. Soon, the two added each other on WeChat, and then Muzaya Omo ran out of the police station. After leaving, he scratched his head, wondering why Mu Changle kept emphasizing the need to have dinner and drinks with him. Are we really going to play matchmaker for him? Mu Changle, could he be Mu Baining's father? Thinking of this, Muzaya Omo shook her head, feeling it was unlikely. After all, there are plenty of people in the world with the surname Mu. It's probably just a coincidence that they share the same surname. Without thinking much of it, a taxi pulled up beside him. The driver rolled down the passenger window, looked at him, and said, Young man, need a ride. Okay. Muzaya Omo quickly opened the back door and got in the car. Master, go to the Meow 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 pet shop. It's just to the north. You know where it is, right? I know. The driver nodded. He often drove around the area and knew most of the shops there. So he started driving seriously. Just then, the system's voice came through. Ding, the heroic act mission has been completed. Congratulations to the host for receiving 10,000 cash and a lucky bag. Buzz tilde, my phone vibrated. It must be a text message announcing the cash deposit. He ignored it, and the system's voice continued. Would you like to open the lucky bag immediately, host? Yes. Muzaya Omo decisively chose yes. Congratulations, host. You have successfully opened the page. You have obtained the virtual item Celebrity Store Visit Card, X1. The Celebrity Store Visit Card allows a top-tier celebrity to visit and promote any store once. The promotion lasts for 1 year. Celebrity Store Visit Pass. A list celebrities. Muzaya Omo was taken aback. Wow, this thing is pretty awesome. In this era of internet traffic, celebrity visits to stores can completely save a business if they generate a lot of traffic. But his cat cafe probably doesn't need celebrity visits. Although many customers will flock to the cat cafe after the visit, the number of students at the Magic University is limited, so there is a certain upper limit. Just then, Muzaya Omo suddenly thought of Mu Baining's Western restaurant. Her Western restaurant business is indeed a bit slow. If she uses a celebrity restaurant visit card, could it make Mu Baining's restaurant become a hit overnight? That idea is punishable by law. Thinking of this, Muzaya Omo grinned. After all, this could also bring him and Mu Baining closer. Do it this way. Mu Omo had already made up his mind. He looked out the window at the night view of Shanghai and looked forward to his future life. 20 minutes later, the taxi stopped outside the Meow 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 pet shop. The shared electric bike he rode had already been taken by someone else, but fortunately, the pet shop was still open. After paying the fare, Mu Omo walked straight into the pet store. The saleswoman frowned slightly when she saw Mu Omo. Huh, it's you. Seeing her surprised expression, Mu Omo nodded. Sorry, something urgent just happened and I ran out without saying goodbye. Luckily, your shop was still open. Now, could you tell me more about the cat? Chapter 70, Dog Vivi is barking again. Yes, sir, please follow me. The saleswoman didn't take it seriously. Since he was willing to come back, there was a good chance he would buy the cat. Soon, she took Mu Omo for a walk around the pet store, and Mu Omo selected 10 cats according to her needs. It's less about my own needs and more about the system's requirements. Because he kept the cats in a cat cafe, the cats he chose were all relatively old. They are all cats aged 6 months to 1 year. Cats in this age group are relatively healthy and have good temperaments, so they are more suitable for cat cafes. In addition, he bought some cat litter, cat bowls, cat food, and some supplementary cat food cans. Of course, the saleswoman also gave him some cat toys and some kitten toys. As for the cost, the price varied depending on the breed of the cat. The 10 cats cost a total of 75,000 yuan, which was quite expensive. However, these are all initial investments for starting a business, and Mu Omo can accept this amount of money. After agreeing to deliver the kitten on Friday afternoon, Mu Omo left the shop first. He had barely stepped out of the pet store when the system's voice appeared. Ding, congratulations on completing the mission. You have obtained the Super Robot Terminal Technology skill. Just then, Mu Omo felt a jolt in his head, and a flood of intangible memories rushed into his mind. It's all just code, and the technology for setting up robot terminal programs. It took Mu Omo more than a minute to absorb the energy before she took a deep breath. Call. These terminal technologies were too advanced. By this point, he already knew how to program the robot to perform the tasks he wanted. He murmured, perhaps I could use these technologies to start a business. Without thinking much about it, Mu Omo noticed there was a KFD, Kentucky Duck restaurant nearby. She rubbed her stomach. She had been busy with this since school, and it was already past 8 p.m. and she still hadn't eaten. So Mu Omo went straight inside, intending to have a simple meal. Meanwhile, at the Magic University, in the faculty and staff dormitory, beep, 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 tilde. The pear-shaped phone on the table started playing a video call from WeChat. Mu Baining, who was writing a lesson plan, frowned slightly, put down her pen and picked up her phone. At that moment, the words "father" were scrolling across the phone screen. Mu Baining's expression turned somewhat unpleasant when she saw that it was her father. To be honest, she didn't want to accept it, because every time her father contacted her, it was to urge her to get married or to ask her to go home for blind dates. But he is also her father, and as his daughter, how could Mu Baining not answer her father's call? Helpless, Mu Baining had no choice but to click to connect. She placed her phone on the phone stand, facing her face, and continued writing her lesson plan. Mu Changlei's face appeared on the phone screen. He saw Mu Baining writing a lesson plan and immediately smiled. Haha, daughter, you're busy, still working at this hour. Mu Baining looked up at her father on the screen and then said, Dad, why did you suddenly decide to call me again? Isn't the station busy right now? What are you saying? Mu Changlei was clearly unhappy to hear Mu Baining's words. He missed his daughter, but he couldn't even video call her. He continued, no need to rush anymore. Let me tell you, the theft case I told you about a few days ago has been closed today. Mu Baining raised her head, tucked the hair in front of her ear behind her ear, and then smiled faintly. I see. Then congratulations, Dad. Haha, it's all thanks to a young man. He acted bravely and helped me catch the criminal, which allowed the case to be closed smoothly. Mu Baining looked helpless after hearing this. Her father just liked to share these things with her. The main problem is that I'm not interested in this at all. Mu Baining said helplessly, then you should thank them properly, after all, they helped you so much. That's right, that's right. Mu Changlei's eyes darted around in their sockets. Daughter, this young man is very handsome and strong. I'd estimate he's about 185 cm tall. He's also from the same school as you. Why don't you two get to know each other? Hearing this, Mu Baining rolled her eyes. Dad, he's at it again. Mu Baining had already guessed that her father would talk to her about this, because it was always like this before. Just like how she can't find a boyfriend. Mu Baining pouted. Dad, what do you mean by knowing? It's not like your daughter is unwanted. I still have a job and a Western restaurant to run. I'm so busy, how can I have time to date? You little brat, don't you even know what's going on with old Wang's family? Mu Changlei wanted to scold her. But then he remembered that Mu Baining's roommate might be there, so he swallowed his words. Mu Changlei waved his hand. Okay, if you don't want to get to know me, then don't. By the way, it's been a long time since we last met. This weekend is the National Day holiday, so how about we go out for dinner together on Friday night? This is fine. Mu Baining nodded. As long as her father wouldn't let her go on blind dates, she would agree to anything. That's more like it. Mu Changlei clapped his hands happily. He had already come up with his plan. Mu Xiaomo's bonus application should be approved by Friday. I'll call him over then and take him directly to the hotel. After my daughter comes over, we can have them eat together. Mu Changlei trusted his judgment and felt that if he had his eye on a young man, Mu Baining would definitely be interested in him too. Although he had thought the same way before, Mu Baining never took a liking to him. But this time might be different. He felt that Mu Xiaomo was different from other boys, and Mu Baining would definitely take a liking to her. Mu Changlei didn't continue talking about Mu Xiaomo. Now he was just waiting for the weekend to arrive. Hopefully, these two kids will hit it off. He chatted with Mu Baining for a while longer, repeatedly reminding her to come over on Friday before hanging up the phone. Upon hearing the call end, Liu Weiwei, who had remained silent, chuckled. Ning, your parents are pressuring you to get married way too often. It's only been a few days, and they're doing it again. Shut up, you dog, Vivi. Mu Baining was speechless. Liu Weiwei continued. But why don't you mention Mu Xiaomo to your dad? That way he won't urge you. This, Mu Baining shook her head. Let's forget it. The blind dates my dad found for me before were all civil servants or people working in state-owned enterprises. I'm afraid my dad wouldn't approve of me dating his own student. Liu Weiwei chuckled. Oh dear, look how anxious your dad is. I feel like he'll accept it. If all else fails, you can have Mu Xiaomo get you pregnant and give your dad a surprise. Chapter 71, great. We'll get to pet a cat soon. After hearing Liu Weiwei's words, Mu Baining rolled her eyes at her again. Vivi the dog is barking again. They talk about useless things all day long. If Mu Xiaomo gets her pregnant out of nowhere, her dad will definitely break Mu Xiaomo's legs. Let's establish a relationship first and get to know each other more deeply. Mu Baining didn't think much of it. Although she was a student and didn't have a job, she believed that Mu Xiaomo was a promising prospect. Your cooking is so delicious. The two of you could open another restaurant someday. Mu Baining was well aware of the saying. Man is made of iron, food is made of steel. You'll get hungry if you skip a meal. Even if Mu Xiaomo doesn't earn much money, she will still worry. Her family owns a house in Shanghai, so Mu Xiaomo doesn't need to buy one. After he graduates, they can really open a restaurant together. Since the salary after graduating from university isn't much, it would be better to let Mu Xiaomo become the boss directly. Actually, the life she wanted was very simple. A house, 2 people, 3 meals a day, and 4 seasons. Ding, congratulations, host, you have triggered a mission. Between October 1st and October 4th, share your steak recipe with the chefs at Mu Baining's shop. And on October 4th, use the celebrity shop visit card to increase the exposure of Mu Baining's shop. Once the task is completed, the store's traffic will increase significantly. As soon as Mu Xiaomo returned to her dormitory, she heard the system's voice. The main thing is, this task is exactly what I was thinking about. After triggering this task, Mu Xiaomo felt a tiny bit excited. He felt that he and Mu Baining were getting closer and closer. It won't even be long before they can confess their feelings. A birthday celebration would be a good choice. I could give her the genetically modified Scottish fold cat then. Hey. Thinking of this, Mu Xiaomo smiled like a doting aunt. Seeing Mu Xiaomo's smile, Huang Wenxu said, "What's wrong, Brother Mo? You're smiling so lewdly. Are you missing your Professor Mu again?" Mu Xiaomo rolled her eyes, looking at him with disdain. Get lost. Don't give me that crap. I'm going to take a shower. Oh, so you went to the bathroom to have a date with the 5 Fingers girl. I get it, Tilda. Mu Xiaomo rolled her eyes. Huang Wenxu was really something else. As expected of someone surnamed Huang, 4 out of the 5 sentences he uttered were suggestive. How damn pure. After taking a shower, Mu Xiaomo went to bed early. He had classes the next day, and as a contemporary college student, studying hard was his duty. Turn off the lights and go to sleep. Huang Wenxu, stop rocking the bed so loudly. Time flies, and Friday is here in the blink of an eye. The system has been down for the past few days as usual, and no new tasks have been assigned. He had a premonition that the perfect life system was about to be activated. And at this moment, Mu Ziomo was particularly curious about just how perfect the perfect life the system was talking about really was. Can we just give him 100 million? Or a house in Shanghai? Or to directly reach the pinnacle of life? It was 2 p.m. Mu Ziomo has already made preparations for the cat cafe. At this time, there were 4 people in the shop, Zio Ming and 3 employees. 2 of the employees are students from the University of Science and Technology of China, USDC, working part-time. One of them is his senior, named Chen Kiyuki. Another student in his year was named Jiang Han. Both girls are big cat lovers, and since the health of the kittens is the most important thing in a cat cafe, that's why he chose 2 girls like that. Of course, there is also a long-term employee hired from the community. She is also a woman in her 30s and has some experience in managing milk tea shops. Muzaya Omo appointed her as the store manager. The cat cafe is not officially open yet, but the raw materials for making milk tea and coffee have been prepared. Muzaya Omo plans to officially open for business starting tomorrow, October 1st. Boss, when will the cat you ordered be delivered? At this moment, Chen Kiyuki couldn't help but come over. It is understood that cats are not allowed in the dormitory of Magic University. Chen Kiyuki is a cat lover, and her hands were itching to pet a cat after not having one for a month. Yes, yes. Jiang Han leaned closer. Boss, you said there's Garfield too. I've never seen what Garfield looks like. Does he look like the one in the cartoon? More or less. After thinking about it carefully, Muzaya Omo realized that Garfield had a big head and a short nose, and he wasn't ugly. He was quite distinctive compared to other cats. Looking at the 2 employees, Muzaya Omo couldn't help but smile. Let's wait a little longer, the kitten will be here soon. Both girls love cats, and were eager to see the cats they had been longing to see. Muzaya Omo checked the time again. The pet shop owner just sent me a WeChat message saying he'll be here soon. Upon hearing his words, Jiang Han excitedly exclaimed, Great, we'll get to pet a cat soon. Hee tilde. After waiting for about 10 minutes, 3 people suddenly walked in from outside. They were wearing red short-sleeved shirts and carrying backpacks containing kittens in their chests, backs, and hands. Oh, here it comes. Chen Kiyuki, Jiang Han, and store manager Zhao Chunhua rushed forward to greet them and opened the glass door to the cat activity area. The area where you buy milk tea and coffee is separated from the cat play area, which is safer and won't affect other customers buying milk tea. Upon opening the backpack, the first thing that catches the eye is a golden-shaded cat. His fur was all golden. After he came out, he curiously observed his surroundings and then stuck out his tongue to lick his fur. Then the silver-shaded cat, 2 British Shorthairs, 1 American Shorthair, 2 Garfields, and 3 Ragdolls were released. At the same time, the manager of Maya Omiamil Pet Shop gave Muzaya Omo a document. This is the cat's vaccination certificate. Remember to vaccinate them every 6 months and deworm them every 3 months. Okay. Muzaya Omo nodded, and soon with everyone's help, the cat litter and cat food were all prepared. Chen Kiyuki and Jiang Han started playing with the kitten, and just then, Muzaya Omo's phone rang. It was an unfamiliar local number in Shanghai. He answered the call and then put the phone to his ear. Hello, who is this? Ha ha ha, I'm Mu Changlei, Captain Mu. Mu Changlei's voice came from the other end of the line. Muzaya Omo was taken aback. Oh, it's Uncle Mu. What can I do for you? Of course, Mu Changlei continued. Your 10,000 yuan award for bravery has been approved. Come and collect it now. I'll treat you to dinner tonight. Chapter 72. Congratulations to Muzaya Omo for obtaining the title of Heroic Warrior. Please treat me to a meal. Muzaya Omo was taken aback. Why did Mu Changlei keep emphasizing that he wanted to treat him to a meal? Upon hearing Muzaya Omo's words, Mu Changlei sensed that he was somewhat bewildered, so he quickly said, You can't refuse me this time. What did we talk about on Monday? You said we'd eat together next time we had the chance. This is your chance, so you have to come this time, understand? His tone was authoritative. He wasn't questioning him, but commanding him. It's okay. Muzaya Omo reluctantly agreed, mainly because he didn't have many friends in Shanghai. If he wanted to develop his career in Shanghai, it would be better to have some friends there. The main reason is that Mu Changlei is the captain of the criminal investigation team. If the 2 of them get along well, they can ask him for help in the future. After all, popularity is quite important. Upon hearing Muzaya Omo's words, Mu Changlei's tone became somewhat excited. Okay, it's settled then. Just come to the police station at 5 p.m., collect your bonus, and I'll take you to the hotel. Don't stand me up. I've already booked a hotel. It'll just be the two of us. We'll have some drinks. Okay, sure. After exchanging a few more words with Mu Changlei, Mu Omo hung up the phone. Since I've already promised Mu Changlei, then I'll go. Boss, this golden-shaded cat is so cute. Seeing that Mu Omo had finished her call, Jiang Han came over with her golden tabby cat in her arms. Mu Omo nodded in satisfaction when she saw the cute little kitten. How could it not be beautiful? If he remembers correctly, this golden-shaded cat is worth more than 10,000 yuan. That's fucking expensive. Boss, I really like this golden-shaded cat. By the way, none of the cats in our cat cafe have names yet. Why don't you let me name them? Can? Mu Omo naturally had no objections. Jiang Han looked at the cat in her arms and thought carefully, how about we name this cat Su Bing? Shortcake. Mu Omo thought about it carefully, and sure enough, the name Shortcake sounded really nice. Jiang Han nodded. Yes, let's call it Shortbread. Shortcake, do you like your new name? At the same time, the shortbread in Jiang Han's arms meowed, seemingly liking the name very much. Jiang Han was extremely excited. She quickly put the pastry on the ground and took out her phone. Pastry, look at the camera, let me take a picture of you. Soon, she took one photo after another of the shortbread. Then the three of them started petting the cat and forgot about their jobs. Mu Omo is not a strict person. He only cares about making his employees happy. Of course, tomorrow is the official opening day of the shop. He hasn't promoted the shop in the past few days, but the cat cafe is already quite famous. In the past few days of preparation, cat lovers have been asking about the opening of the store, and some students have even posted the news of the cat cafe's upcoming opening on the forum. I just don't know how business will be tomorrow. As for the business's outcome, Mu Omo had some expectations, but of course, the most important thing was to complete the tasks assigned by the system. Let's make Mu Baining's shop popular first. At this moment, the staff had already started petting the cat. Mu Omo said, "The three of you, I have something to do tonight. Since we're not open for business today, you can leave when it's time to go home. Then, Jiang Han, please take good care of the cats, provide them with cat food and water, and make sure they are well cared for." "Don't worry, boss," Jiang Han nodded. As a cat owner with 10 years of experience, taking care of these kittens was a piece of cake. "Okay, I'll head back now. See you tomorrow." "Boss, tomorrow, Tilda." The three of them waved to him, and soon Mu Omo left and returned to his dormitory. At this time, his three eldest sons were all playing video games. Bai Yuntao had stopped playing League of Legends with Huang Wengsu. Well, he just thought Huang was bad at it. I lay in bed for a while, and before I knew it, it was 4 o'clock. It's quite a distance from here to the police station. It takes about half an hour to drive there. After getting up, he opened the wardrobe and changed into a new set of clothes. After all, he was going to see Mu Changlei, so he had to dress appropriately. As the weather was getting cooler, he wore a white t-shirt with a black striped jacket, a simple pair of loose-fitting suit trousers, and a pair of white Air Force One sneakers. The overall outfit is very simple, giving off a pure, youthful vibe. Huang Wengsu noticed that Mu Omo was disguising himself, so he leaned closer to him and couldn't help but ask, "Brother Mo, are you going on another date with Professor Mu? Are you not coming back again tonight?" Mu Omo looked at him with disdain. "Damn, what kind of crap is in your head? I'm going to the police station today. Someone wants to treat me to dinner." Upon hearing this, Huang Wengsu's expression changed. Then he gave a maternal smile. "I understand, Brother Mo, are you going to the police station to pay your bail? You're really something, secretly meeting up with girls outside. How did they get inside?" Soon, Huang Wengsu's screams echoed from the dormitory. "Ouch, damn it, Moji, that hurts." Smack. "Holy crap, Moji, I was just kidding. I'll never do it again." The murders help Waza. At 4:15, Mu Omo clapped her hands and walked out of the dormitory. Huang Wengsu is a damn jerk who deserves a beating. Oh shit. After cleaning up, I feel much better. Soon, he left the Magic University and hailed a taxi outside the school gate, heading towards the police station where Mu Changlei was located. Half an hour later, Mu Omo arrived at the 1st Criminal Investigation Brigade. Mu Changlei had been waiting for him for more than half an hour. As soon as I got out of the car, Mu Changlei hurriedly came over to greet me. "Little Mo, you're here, ha-ha-ha," Mu Changlei said quite politely, while Mu Omo was taken aback. "Uncle, you weren't watching outside the whole time, waiting for me to come, were you?" "Yes." Mu Changle nodded. Come in quickly. We have specially prepared an award ceremony for your act of bravery. I believe you will like it very much. Upon hearing this, Mu Ziomo was completely dumbfounded. Good grief, an awards ceremony. Before he could think any further, Mu Changle pulled Mu Ziomo inside. Suddenly, with a loud bang, the police officers hidden on both sides of the door set off the fireworks. Colorful cards floated down from the sky, and Mu Ziomo stared at them in disbelief. My goodness, is this going to be such a big deal? Not far from him, there was even a makeshift stage made of cardboard. A line of large characters was written on it. Congratulations to Mu Ziomo for receiving the title of Heroic Warrior. Chapter 73. Both of them stared wide-eyed. It seemed like there was hope. Seeing this, Mu Ziomo stared at him wide-eyed. Soon, he awkwardly received 10,000 yuan in cash. Then, after taking a group photo with the police officers, the awards ceremony came to an end. Afterwards, Mu Changle pulled Mu Ziomo out of the lobby and into the parking lot. Only after seeing Mu Ziomo sitting in the passenger seat did Mu Changle nod in satisfaction. Luckily, the kid didn't run away. Otherwise, it would have been too awkward just him having dinner with Mu Baining. Uncle, are we going to the hotel now? Mu Changle nodded and said, You've really helped me this time. The suspect you chased on Monday is named Chen Wei, and he's been committing murder, theft, and robbery recently. His case involves more than 300,000 yuan. Most importantly, we also found drugs in his residence. Mu Ziomo was slightly taken aback. Good heavens, he was actually a drug addict. Then, Mu Ziomo couldn't help but ask, in that case, how many years will he be sentenced to? 300,000 yuan is already a particularly large amount, and given that he also uses drugs, he probably won't be able to get out of prison for the rest of his life. After hearing Mu Changle's words, Mu Ziomo nodded and said nothing more. Mu Changle continued, Such a young man, what a pity. By the way, guess how old Chen Wei is this year? How big? Mu Ziomo wasn't interested in that, but since Mu Changle had already asked, Mu Ziomo decided to cooperate with him. He's only 24 years old this year. 24 years old. Hearing his age, Mu Ziomo's heart skipped a beat. 24 years old, that's too young. Mu Changle looked at the road ahead. He has a girlfriend now, but they're not married yet. It's a pity he's only 24, but he deserves what he got. Mu Ziomo didn't know how to reply to him. She is 24 years old, not married yet, and probably doesn't have children. Both of his things were broken, and he even had to use a sewing machine. Just thinking about it is painful. Forget it, I don't want to think about it anymore. Mu Ziomo dismissed the thought. After all, this kind of person didn't deserve sympathy. Soon, Mu Changle drove Mu Ziomo to the Phoenix Hotel in Pudong district of Shanghai. This is a 5-star hotel. The average spending per person in the area is over 2,000. 2,000 is not a small amount. It can be said to be Mu Ziomo's monthly living expenses. Why did Mu Changle bring him to such a high-end place? Looking at the Phoenix Hotel building, Mu Ziomo couldn't help but ask, Uncle Mu, are we having dinner here today? Haha, right, Mu Changle nodded. I know the old guy's here, so he'll give me a discount. It's not expensive at all. Let's go over first. Mu Ziomo felt awkward refusing, since he was already there, and if it really didn't work out, he could pay in the end. Once upstairs, Mu Changle greeted many people in the hotel. Soon, he led Mu Ziomo up to the 6th floor and into room 666. This is an exceptionally large private room. Needless to say, the decor of this 5-star hotel is incredibly luxurious. The table in room 666 is a marble slab that can seat more than a dozen people. The main point is that this is a single piece of marble slab. Without cutting and splicing, such a marble slab must be extremely expensive. Mu Changle had already booked a set meal. After the two of them sat down, Mu Changle took out his phone and called Mu Baining. Mu Baining answered quickly. Because of a sudden meeting at school today, she was a little delayed and was driving here at the moment. Dad, I'm almost there, but there's a bit of traffic on the way. Please wait a little longer. Okay, daughter, I'm already waiting for you at the shop. Once you arrive, the food will be served. Okay, Dad, I'll hang up now. I'm driving. Mu Changle hung up the phone, and Mu Ziomo, who had just heard the conversation, was completely dumbfounded. Daughter, should I bring my daughter over? Why do I suddenly feel like I've been tricked? Mu Ziomo stared straight at Mu Changle, who smiled and said, Well, I was indeed treating you to dinner today, but my daughter just got off work and hasn't eaten yet, so I had her come over instead. It's a good opportunity for you two to get to know each other and become friends, right? Mu Omo's face darkened. Damn it. He was wondering why Mu Changle kept trying to invite him to dinner, but it turns out he's interested in him. Make friends my ass. You clearly want me to be your son-in-law. That's absolutely outrageous. This time I was really careless. I didn't flash it. Meanwhile, Mu Changle was secretly delighted. He looked at Mu Omo and thought to himself, now that you're here, I don't believe you can't leave. If we leave now, it would be too disrespectful to him. When Mu Baining arrives later, she'll definitely blow your mind. Mu Omo couldn't help but ask, do you know your daughter? Yes, yes, yes. Mu Changle nodded. You just came to Shanghai to study this year, right? Shanghai University of Science and Technology is a science and engineering university, and there are very few girls. My daughter is usually very free, so you can ask her out to play and get to know her better, right? Depend on. Little did anyone expect that Mu Changle had already planned his scheme. Although Mu Omo was somewhat resistant to this, there was nothing she could do. Since we're already here, leaving now would be disrespectful to Mu Changle. Moreover, with Mu Changle's daughter here, it's uncertain whether she'll even take a liking to him. Anyway, he definitely wouldn't be interested in her. Even if Mu Changle's daughter is very beautiful, it's impossible. He simply cannot have his cake and eat it too. About 10 minutes later, suddenly the door was opened. Snap! Mu Omo couldn't help but look towards the door. But when he saw who came in, he froze on the spot. Depend on. Damn it. Why is it Mu Baining? This is Mu Changle Mu Baining's father. Is she his daughter? Holy crap, this can't be real. How could there be such a coincidence in the world? It is said that Mu Baining saw Mu Omo the moment she entered the room. What's going on? Why is Mu Omo with his dad? Didn't Dad say that there was no one else here, only himself? How did Mu Omo end up here? At this moment, Mu Omo and Mu Baining stared at each other wide-eyed. Mu Changle glanced at Mu Omo, then at Mu Baining, and then slapped his thigh. Great, both of them are wide-eyed. Looks like there's potential. Chapter 74, Mu Changle. Daughter, you can tutor Omo privately. Mu Changle was extremely satisfied at this moment. Both Mu Omo and Mu Baining were attracted to each other. And then love came along. As I suspected, the two of them were a good match. At this point, Mu Changle had even thought of what to name his future grandson. Mu Yu's Mu Zhengyu, or perhaps Mu Chen. Mu Omo, who was standing to the side, grinned and said in surprise, Professor Mu, what are you doing here? Upon hearing this, Mu Changle immediately raised his head. What's going on? Mu Omo called her daughter Professor Mu. Damn, could it be that Mu Omo is his daughter's student? Mu Baining closed the door behind her, staring at Mu Omo. I should be asking you that, Omo, what are you doing here? Mu Baining and Mu Omo both looked at Mu Changle. Mu Changle was taken aback, so it turned out the two of them knew each other. The most important thing is the teacher-student relationship. What's wrong with the teacher-student relationship? The teacher and student relationship is only 3 years apart in age. A woman 3 years older than her husband is a golden brick, and a teacher-student relationship doesn't preclude romantic relationships. Mu Changle smiled and looked up. Oh, well, actually it's just. Immediately, Mu Changle didn't know what to say. Mu Baining rolled her eyes at her father speechlessly. Dad, do you think I don't know your little schemes? Mu Baining sat down next to Mu Changle and placed the bag hanging on her wrist on the dining table. At this moment, Mu Changle spoke up. Daughter, I was thinking of finding you a friend. Actually, the 5-star good citizen who subdued the thug that night was Mu Omo. It's him. Mu Baining turned to look at Mu Omo. That day must have been Monday, right? Did you go out on something? Yes, Mu Omo nodded. Because she's quite busy, she probably doesn't know about the cat cafe. After all, the cat cafe was a gift he gave her, so he didn't mention it. I had some business to attend to that day, and I happened to hear someone shouting, "Stop thief!" Since I've studied Sanda Chinese kickboxing, I came out to help. Mu Baining frowned slightly after hearing this. Are you all right? You're not hurt, are you? No. Mu Omo smiled and shook her head. You've seen my skills. I've studied Sanda Chinese kickboxing. I can easily spar with a petty thief like you. That's true. Mu Baining thought about it carefully. With Mu Omo's strength, ordinary people probably really wouldn't be his match. Mu Changle, who was standing nearby, was overjoyed after hearing their conversation. Good heavens, when had his daughter ever cared about anyone? In his memory, Mu Baining was a cold and strong woman who only knew how to study when she was in college, and even planned how to open a shop. His mind is full of knowledge and money, and he seems to have never really cared about anyone except his grandparents and parents. It seems their relationship is quite special. Mu Changle wasn't sure if Mu Ziomo was his daughter's student, so he asked, "Daughter, are you two teacher and student?" Mu Baining didn't hide anything, but felt that this was too coincidental. Her father must have tricked her into coming here to meet Mu Ziomo. The meaning is obvious. It's a disguised way of setting her up on blind dates. But if that's the case, it seems Dad approves of Mu Ziomo. Previously, Mu Baining was worried that Mu Changle would look down on Mu Ziomo, fearing that he wouldn't have a career or anything like that. But since he's here, it seems his father doesn't care about this at all. Just then, Mu Baining suddenly wondered why Mu Ziomo would come here for a blind date. Her expression darkened at the thought, but she still managed a faint smile and said, "He is a student in my class, and also the class monitor." He, Mu Ziomo nodded and Mu Changle laughed. "Haha, so that's how it is. I never expected you two would know each other." That's great, that's great." Just then, Mu Changle noticed that the table was empty, so he quickly arranged for the waiter to serve the dishes. Shortly after, several waiters entered the private room and set out 7 or 8 dishes on the table. These dishes were all delicacies from land and sea, and even a bottle of Maudai was served. Mu Changle was in a good mood. He said, "Ziomo want to have a drink with me today." No, no, no." Mu Ziomo shook her head. "I don't drink alcohol. Uncle Mu, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, really. I've never drunk alcohol before." Upon hearing this, Mu Changle was somewhat disappointed. Mu Baining, standing to the side, rolled her eyes with a look of utter disdain. "Pshaw, he can't even drink alcohol. I went to a bar the night before school started, even though I don't drink alcohol." "This is so fake." Mu Changle said, "Drink less, honey. You drove here, right? Will it be okay if you take Ziomo home later?" Mu Baining was a little confused. "Uncle, let's forget it. I really can't drink. Let's just have a simple chat instead." Seeing that Mu Ziomo insisted on not drinking, Mu Changle's face darkened. But he had no choice. "Then let's eat. I ordered all the hotel's specialties. Try them." "Thank you, Uncle." Mu Ziomo didn't stand on ceremony and directly picked up a piece of meat and put it in her mouth. As expected of a 5-star hotel, the food was indeed delicious. Even he, with his god-like culinary skills, felt the taste was absolutely exquisite. Mu Ziomo barely spoke, so Mu Changle started looking for topics to talk about. After all, he didn't know his relationship with Mu Baining. Knowing each other was actually much better than not knowing each other at all. So Mu Changle asked, "Ziomo, I just heard you studied Sanda, Chinese kickboxing. How many years did you study it?" "I studied for 2 years in total." Mu Ziomo spoke calmly. "Not bad, not bad." Mu Changle nodded. "Then you must protect my daughter at school." Upon hearing this, Mu Ziomo was stunned. Why does this feel like a father-in-law asking him to protect his daughter? At the same time, Mu Baining pouted. "Dad, there aren't that many bad people these days, and the security system at the university is very good. Besides, you're a policeman, so if something happens to me, wouldn't I have to come to you first?" Mu Changle said, "What you said is true, but Ziomo is right next to you, right?" "Oh, Tilda." At the same time, Mu Ziomo said, "Don't worry, Uncle. If anyone bullies your daughter, I will definitely deal with him the same way I dealt with Chen Wei." His Tilda Mu Changle took a deep breath. "Good grief, we can't play like this. After all, they are different in nature." However, he still nodded. "Haha, okay, I'll invite Zhang San over for you then." "Haha, okay." Mu Ziomo knew he was joking, so she didn't take it seriously. She had only taken a couple of bites of food when Mu Changle spoke up again. "Daughter, you need to supervise Ziomo's studies more in the future. If he doesn't understand something, you can teach him privately. Don't let it affect his grades, okay?" Chapter 75, Mu Ziomo. Why did you come to this blind date? Mu Baining was speechless. Her dad was the same way. He always tried to get the two of them together, and his intentions were too obvious, but he was too embarrassed to say it out loud. Mu Baining nodded. "Don't worry, Dad, I will." Mu Ziomo nodded. "I will definitely listen carefully in class." Soon, Mu Changle started chatting awkwardly again. He always found various reasons to bring Mu Ziomo and Mu Baining together, and he was extremely worried about Mu Baining's love life. Mu Ziomo was secretly laughing to death, but he was also quite happy to be valued so much by Mu Changle. At the very least, Being liked by one's future father-in-law is something to be very happy about. No matter how good a wife's personality is, if her parents don't support her, married life is destined to be full of hardships. However, Mu Changlei is a very kind person, so there shouldn't be any problems with married life. Throughout the meal, Mu Changlei was the one trying to find topics to talk about. Of course, Mu Xiaomo and Mu Baining quickly joined in, and the two children's reactions were good for Mu Changlei. The dinner ended at 9:30 p.m. The three of them left the hotel chatting and laughing, and arrived outside the Phoenix Hotel. Mu Baining clung tightly to his father. Mu Xiaomo looked at his future father-in-law and future daughter-in-law and said, "Then, Professor Mu, you should go back with your father first. I can just take a taxi back by myself. Tomorrow is October 1st, and Professor Mu will also have a holiday." Mu Xiaomo feels that Mu Baining will go back with his father. As for the tasks assigned by the system, he planned to contact Mu Baining again tomorrow. He needs to manage the cat cafe in the morning, and then he will start the tasks issued by the system in the afternoon. No need, no need. Mu Changlei shook his head. I have to go back to the station for my shift now. Ning Ning, you should be back at school, right? Okay, Mu Baining nodded. Yes, I need to go back to school. I have some things to do there tomorrow. Xiaomo, how about I give you a ride back? Hearing this, Mu Changlei was very satisfied. This girl is so sensible. Now is a good opportunity for the two of them to get closer. So of course Mu Xiaomo should ride back in his daughter's car. After all, spending time alone is the best way to enhance a relationship. By observing their words and actions, Mu Changlei could tell that their relationship was unusual. Mu Baining is usually quite indifferent to other boys, but she is different with Mu Xiaomo. From this, he could tell that Mu Baining had most likely fallen for Mu Xiaomo. I see, Mu Xiaomo scratched his head. All right then, thank you, Professor Mu. To be honest, Mu Xiaomo also wanted to leave in Mu Baining's car. He also wanted to spend time alone with Mu Baining. It's just that I'm too embarrassed to say it in front of Mu Changlei right now. Haha, you two can go now. I suddenly remembered I have some things to do at the station, so I won't keep you any longer. I'll head back now. After saying that, Mu Changlei hurriedly left. Mu Xiaomo and Mu Baining watched him get into the car and drive away. That's right, Mu Changlei left the two of them with a chance to be alone together. A time for just the two of them. Just then, Mu Baining suddenly turned to Mu Xiaomo and asked, Mu Xiaomo, why did you come to this blind date? What the heck? Mu Xiaomo was completely bewildered after hearing this, because Mu Baining had never called him by his name directly, except when they first met. Blind dates, what the heck? Seeing Mu Xiaomo's bewildered expression, Mu Baining snorted. HMPH, didn't you only come here because my dad said he wanted to introduce you to a girlfriend? Buff. Hearing this, Mu Xiaomo chuckled. It turned out this girl had misunderstood. Tusk. I didn't expect Mu Baining to be jealous over such a small thing. Suddenly, Mu Xiaomo leaned closer to Mu Baining, looked directly into her eyes, and said softly, Are you so sure that I was brought here by your father for a blind date? Mu Baining nodded. I know my dad too well, don't I? At this moment, Mu Xiaomo directly took the initiative. Then let me ask you, since you already have feelings for me, why did you come to this blind date when your dad told you to? Upon hearing this, Mu Baining was taken aback. Depend on. Even though I was the one asking him the question, why did the initiative suddenly shift to Mu Xiaomo? This man is surprisingly intelligent. Mu Baining looked at him with disdain. My dad didn't say he was coming for a blind date. He just said he was coming to take me out to eat. I was fooled by my dad. Yes, Mu Xiaomo nodded. I was also tricked by your dad into coming. He didn't say he was going to bring anyone else. He just said it was just to have a meal with me. So we were both tricked by our dad. Hearing this, Mu Baining suddenly realized that she had been overthinking things. But Dad's trick was absolutely brilliant. Both of them were infected. Just then, Mu Xiaomo laughed and said, It seems you're quite resistant to blind dates, but with me around, you won't have any more blind dates in the future. At this moment, one should be shameless. Upon hearing his words, Mu Baining blushed and said, Stop talking nonsense. But it's quite a coincidence that you could run into my dad. We are really destined to meet. Isn't that right? Mu Xiaomo smiled. We two are destined to be together, so. Mu Baining took a deep breath. Is this guy about to confess his feelings? After such a long period of contact, she had completely let down her guard. Mu Xiaomo is the person he can entrust his life to. The main thing is that he has gotten past his father, which is really important. Thinking of this, Mu Bei's face flushed even more. Mu Omo tilted her head and looked at her flushed cheeks. So please take me back quickly, I'm so sleepy. Mu Baning's face darkened. Why does this guy suddenly seem a bit dim-witted? IQ fluctuates, sometimes high, sometimes low, and is unpredictable. Why can't I confess my feelings now? Unfortunately, as a girl she had to maintain her composure. She smiled and nodded. Okay, let's go back first then. By the way, aren't you going home for the National Day holiday? No. Mu Omo shook her head. My home is in Jiangbei, so there's no point in going back. My parents are probably traveling now. So I don't want to go back. Then relax for a few days. No, Mu Omo shook her head. Professor Mu, to be honest, I feel there are some problems with your shop, and I would like to help you make some improvements. Mu Baining was somewhat bewildered after hearing his words. How would you like to renovate the store? Chapter 76, unexpectedly, Mu Omo is quite a gentleman. Seeing Mu Baining's puzzled expression, Mu Omo thought about it carefully and then spoke her mind. Professor Mu, you must have spent a lot of money investing in this shop. You treated me to dinner on a weekend, and I remember there weren't many people that day. Is this how business is usually? Hearing this, Mu Baining was not in a good mood either. Although she didn't want to admit that the shop was not doing well, that was the truth. The shop has been open for more than a month, but on average, only 5 or 6 tables of customers come every day. Moreover, the prices of their Western food are about the same as those in the market. There are 3 Western restaurants on the commercial street. His shop is decorated better than the other 2, but his business is the worst. Because she had just graduated from university and had little experience, it was difficult for her to pinpoint the problem. Perhaps it's because there was no commercial promotion. Commercial advertising is so expensive. She sighed. Let's talk in the car. Mu Baining led Mu Omo to a BMW mini car. This kind of car is indeed very suitable for girls to drive and is widely loved by women. Professor Mu, how about I drive? He got his driver's license right after the college entrance exam, and even took a trip in his dad's car during the summer vacation. His driving skills are already very good. Upon hearing this, Mu Baining frowned and asked, you can drive? Yes, Mu Omo nodded. I passed the college entrance exam a few days after it ended. When I was little, my dad often took me to go racing. Don't worry, I'm very good at it. Okay. Mu Baining gave him the car keys, and Mu Omo went to the passenger seat first and opened the car door for Mu Baining himself. Mu Baining stood there stunned for a moment, not expecting Mu Omo to be so gentlemanly. She got into the car with a faint smile and sat in the passenger seat. After closing the car door, Mu Omo quickly sat in the driver's seat. The car didn't seem to have been bought for long. It had only driven a little over 1,000 kilometers. Mu Baining hadn't done any special modifications to the car. It looked exactly as it did when he bought it. He turned his head slightly to look at Mu Baining. This girl had absolutely no intention of wearing a seatbelt. So Mu Omo leaned in directly, and Mu Baining was taken aback, thinking that Mu Omo was going to force a kiss on her. It wasn't until I saw Mu Omo pull the right seatbelt over that I came to my senses. It turns out I was overthinking things. After fastening her seatbelt, Mu Omo pressed the start button, adjusted the seat, and then focused on driving. At the same time, Mu Omo looked straight ahead and asked, Professor Mu, can you tell me about your shop now? Mu Baining nodded. The store opened at the end of August during the summer vacation. Since it's located on the commercial street opposite the university, I think the location is pretty good. And just like you said, the store's customer traffic really isn't very good. Mu Omo asked, have you done any promotions since the store opened? For example, advertising, discounts, or something like that? No, Mu Baining shook her head. I was just too busy at that time. There were a lot of things to do at school, and I simply didn't have time to deal with them. After hearing her words, Mu Omo nodded. I understand, leave the rest to me. Mu Baining was slightly taken aback. Give it to you? What is it that I'm giving you? Mu Omo. Of course, it's the store's operation plan. Opening a store requires commercial promotion, discount activities, and so on. It needs to have highlights. As you just said, there are 3 Western restaurants on the commercial street. In fact, the other 2 Western restaurants have retained their customers. If they want to eat Western food, they will think of the other restaurants first. What we need to do is to increase the store's exposure as much as possible, and then organize some activities to retain customers who come to the store. Mu Baining nodded. What he said was true, but it would take a lot of effort to do it. Mu Omo continued. Professor Mew, could you take me to a restaurant tomorrow afternoon? I'd like to sample some of the steaks the chefs make. This is fine. Mew Baining didn't know why Mew Xiaomo suddenly took this matter to heart, but she was very happy to hear his words. This younger brother is already starting to worry about his own shop. He continued. If I think it tastes good, I might train them a bit, and then I'll ask someone to visit the shop and do some promotion. Upon hearing this, Mew Baining was taken aback. Visiting the store. In fact, she had also considered inviting some celebrities or online influencers to visit the store. For example, some fourth-tier celebrities or internet celebrities with millions of followers. Unfortunately, their asking prices were too high, and I was also busy with matters at the Magic University, so I put the matter aside. Hiring someone to review the restaurant, that'll probably cost quite a bit. Professor Mew, you don't need to worry about that. Leave everything to me. To be honest, if he were to actually invite a top-tier celebrity, he really wouldn't know how to explain it to Mew Baining. We'll just come up with a solution when the time comes. After hearing Mew Xiaomo's words, Mew Baining nodded slightly. This brat is actually keeping us in suspense. However, she didn't think much of it. If Mew Xiaomo were to look for someone, she would probably look for some local self-media bloggers who don't have many followers. These bloggers typically charge very low prices because they have few followers, and many of them don't even have any footage to shoot. You could even give them a free meal. The car drove towards the Magic University of Science and Technology, and half an hour later, it entered the campus. The campus was already quite deserted by then, as it was past 10 o'clock, and the students had all gone back to their dormitories. Mew Baining whispered to Xiaomo, "Xiaomo, just drive the car to your dorm building. I'll drive over there later." Mew Xiaomo nodded, having no objections. Soon, the car stopped in front of dormitory building number 3. Fortunately, there is access control. The Magic University doesn't lock its doors at all. He turned to look at Mew Baining. "Well, Professor Mew, I'll head back now. I'll contact you tomorrow afternoon." Both of them unbuckled their seatbelts. Mew Xiaomo got out of the car, while Mew Baining sat in the driver's seat. She instructed, "Then you should go back and get some rest. I'll be going now." "Bye-bye, Professor Mew." He waved at her. Soon, Mew Baining drove away in her little Mini. Just as Mew Xiaomo withdrew her gaze and prepared to go up to the dormitory building. Just then, his phone rang, and he received a message on WeChat. I opened my phone and saw, it was my younger sister. "Brother, I've already booked my train ticket to Shanghai University of Science and Technology. I'll arrive in Shanghai at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Remember to pick me up at the station." Mew Xiaomo was taken aback when she saw her younger sister's message. Why is this girl bothering him when she has nothing better to do? P.S. To put it simply, the protagonist of this book, Mew Xiaomo, is the son of Mu Chen, the protagonist of Xiaming's first book. At that time, it was set that Mu Chen had 2 children, twins, so he has a younger sister. The younger sister's appearance won't affect the plot. Don't worry if you haven't read the first book. The 2 books are unrelated. Hee. Thank you to everyone who read this far. Thank you for your continued support of Xiaming. Chapter 77, Did Mew Xiaomo date other girls? However, she is still my own sister. If someone comes to him, he can't very well refuse to answer their call. So Mew Xiaomo replied, "Okay, I'll come over early tomorrow. Just call me when you arrive. By the way, sis, how many days are you staying this time?" Mew Xiaomo sent another message, and Mew Xiaoxi quickly replied, "My parents said they've taken their parents on a trip, so I'm coming to stay with you during the 7-day National Day holiday. Brother, you won't abandon me, will you?" "No way, just contact me when you arrive tomorrow." Mew Xiaoxi, "Hee, okay, I'm going to sleep now. Good night, Tilda." "Good night, Tilda." After sending a good night message, Mew Xiaomo put down her phone. His younger sister, Mew Xiaoxi, had even better grades than him and was directly admitted to Tsinghua and Peking universities in the college entrance examination. It only takes a few hours by high-speed train from Kyoto to Shanghai. Never mind, I don't want to think about it anymore. He quickly went upstairs and then pushed open the dormitory door. At this time, Huang Wenxu, Bai Yuntao, and Du Yang were still awake. Huang Wenxu is practicing his Zhao Xin diligently, playing against bots. Bai Yuntao lay on the bed, turned to his side, covered with a summer blanket, wearing headphones, staring at his phone screen with a lewd smile. And it was accompanied by a creaking sound. As for Du Yang, he was reading a novel written by Pure Little Ming. Upon hearing Mew Xiaomo's voice, Huang Wenxu was taken aback. Holy crap, brother Mo, why are you back? Didn't you go to the police station to pay bail for your sister? You didn't see her tonight. Canada Kinjainus Omega Canada Kinjainus. Huang Wengsu gave him a knowing look. Musayomo's face darkened. He flexed his wrists. Then, Huang Wengsu's screams echoed from the dormitory again. Ouch, holy crap, that hurts. Brother Mo, I was wrong, I was wrong, I was wrong. Damn it, I'll never talk nonsense again. Brother Tao, Brother Yang, come down and lend a hand with this barbecue. Huang Wengsu, holy crap, what are you doing? Holy crap, don't fly my plane, The next day, Musayomo got up at 6 o'clock in the morning, washed up quickly, ate a quick meal at the cafeteria, and then left the campus for Shanghai Station. At 8:05, Musayomo stood at the exit of the station when her phone rang. Yes, it was her sister. Brother, I've already gotten off the train. Which exit are you waiting for me at? He looked up at the sign not far away, then typed 4 into his phone. About 10 minutes later, his younger sister came over wearing a pink coat and light blue jeans, pulling a purple suitcase. Zai, over here. Musayomo waved, and upon seeing Musayomo, his sister came running over excitedly. She is not as tall as Mu Baining, with a net height of only 166 cm and about 168 cm with shoes on. Zai's style of dress is the opposite of Mu Baining's. Mu Baining is a mature and sophisticated woman, while Zai is a soft and gentle girl. Well, upon seeing Musayomo, Musayoxi frowned and couldn't help but say, Brother, I haven't seen you for only a month, but you seem to have grown quite a bit taller. It's probably 3 centimeters taller, right? Wow, this girl is so accurate. Musayomo coughed once. Cough, cough, you've grown taller. Boast. Musayoxi retorted. You were already 182 cm in the first year of high school, and you've never grown taller. Tell me, did you wear height-increasing insoles? All right, Zai, Musayomo pinched her cheek. Stop gossiping, let me take you back to school first. Oh, Tilda, she chuckled, then turned to look around. By the way, where's your sister-in-law? Didn't she come with you? What? Musayomo looked at her younger sister and said helplessly. You still don't have a sister-in-law, and you're talking about me? Where's your boyfriend? You've been at Tsinghua and Peking University for a month and still haven't found one. No, Musayoxi laughed, but I went on the confession wall and lots of people confessed to me. Musayomo, what a coincidence, me too. Tusk, with your carefree attitude, you actually made it onto the confession wall. I don't believe it. Musayomo was speechless. He ignored her and dragged her into a taxi. Then they headed towards the Magic University. Because of traffic congestion, it took them a full hour to get to Shanghai University of Science and Technology. Musayoxi tossed the suitcase to Musayomo, then took his hand and began to observe the campus of Magic Science University. It must be the guy observing the Magic University. At this moment, they were like a couple, and because of her parents' good genes, Musayoxi was also very beautiful. It even drew envious looks from many passing students. Brother, the campus of Magic University is quite big, but school is so boring. I finally came all this way to visit you, so take me to Disneyland. I'm not going. Musayomo refused outright. He was very busy during the National Day holiday. After all, if he had to choose between his sister and Mu Baining, he would definitely choose Mu Baining. Hey bro, please take me with you. Musayoxi immediately launched into a 3-pronged attack of coquetry, her fair little hands tugging at his clothes as she looked at him pleadingly. Brother, please Tilda. Musayomo's face darkened. Sister, I really have something to do during the holiday and can't go. I opened a cat cafe at school and I have to go help your future sister-in-law this afternoon. Future sister-in-law. Musayoxi was stunned. Brother, you're really in a relationship. We're pursuing them. Musayomo didn't hide this matter. After all, she was his sister, so there was no point in hiding it. This, Musayoxi pouted. Then you have to take me to see it this afternoon. I want to give you some advice. After all, not just anyone can be my sister-in-law. Is she tall? Is she thin? Is she pretty? Faced with Musayoxi's question, Musayomo thought about it carefully. Taller than you, better figure than you, and most importantly, not as plain as you. What? Upon hearing this, Musayoxi punched his chest with her little fist. He said angrily, You dog, who are you calling ordinary? You, Musayomo chuckled. All right, being flat-chested has its advantages. I opened a cat cafe. Come on, let's go pet some cats. As he spoke, he grabbed her arm and led her toward the cat cafe. Meanwhile, not far away, Mu Baining looked at Musayomo and Mu Xyroxy with a blank expression. She had just returned from buying food, and she unexpectedly saw Mu Xyoomo. If you see it, you see it. That's normal. But there's another girl with her. The main thing is that the girl is incredibly beautiful. Most importantly, they held hands. He's dating other girls. No way. But they looked so intimate. Suddenly, a surge of jealousy welled up in Mu Baning's heart. Chapter 78, Mu Baning. This girl has misunderstood. The more Mu Baning thought about it, the more upset and aggrieved she felt. Who exactly is that girl? So conflicted. Well, Hello Kitty Cat Cafe. After Mu Xyoomo opened the door, 10 kittens immediately came into Mu Xyroxy's view. Wow, so many kittens. Upon seeing these cats, Mu Xyroxy's eyes lit up. Brother, I never would have guessed that you opened a cat cafe and have so many cats. Once inside, Mu Xyroxy immediately picked up a plush toy. How much money did Dad give you? Huh, Mu Xyoomo rolled her eyes upon hearing this. This is all money I earned myself. Pshaw, I don't believe it. Mu Xyroxy didn't dwell on the question and continued petting the cat. Mu Xyoomo made her a drink, and soon after, the 3 employees in the shop came to work. After introducing themselves, Mu Xyoomo didn't let Mu Xyroxy sit idle. She immediately made her a shop employee. Who wouldn't want free labor? Thanks to prior publicity and the National Day holiday, the cat cafe did quite well. Of course, it was mostly girls who came. At noon, Mu Xyoomo and her younger sister booked a room for her. She had a good friend from high school who was also from the University of Science and Technology of China. Then, she left Mu Xyoomo behind and went to hang out with her friend. Without this annoying person, Mu Xyoomo felt much more relaxed. 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Mu Xyoomo left the cat cafe and immediately dialed Mu Baning's number. Soon, the woman across the street answered the phone. Hello? Mu Baning's voice came through the phone, and for some reason, Mu Xyoomo felt something was off after hearing her voice. His tone was extremely fierce, like he had taken the wrong medicine. What's wrong with this girl who made her angry? Although Mu Xyoomo was puzzled, she didn't think much of it. He said, Professor Mu, are you done with your work? I'm all packed and ready to go to the Western restaurant anytime. Mu Baning said coldly on the phone, I'll be waiting for you at the school gate. Good. Beep, beep, beep. Before Mu Xyoomo could finish speaking, Mu Baning hung up the phone. Looking at her phone screen, Mu Xyoomo was completely bewildered. Damn this girl, if she's angry, why is she taking it out on him? I didn't do anything to her. Speechless. Without thinking twice, he quickly left the basement and ran towards the school gate. A dozen minutes later, Mu Xyoomo arrived at the school gate. At this time, many students with suitcases were gathered at the school gate, planning to go home for the National Day holiday. From afar, Mu Xyoomo spotted Mu Baning. She was dressed casually today, in a white floral maxi dress paired with Valentino high heels. The upper body looks very innocent, but paired with these shoes, it also gives off a very sophisticated vibe. He quickly walked over, then gently patted Mu Baning's shoulder and said with a smile, Professor Mu, I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. Let's go over quickly. She frowned slightly, and after noticing Mu Xyoomo, her expression turned indifferent. Seeing her eyes, Mu Xyoomo felt a chill run down her spine. That look in her eyes, isn't that the look she had when she woke up in that little hotel? At that moment, he felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. I feel terrible. Mu Xyoomo's lips twitched. Professor Mu, did someone make you angry? No. Upon seeing Mu Xyoomo, Mu Baning's anger flared up immediately. Could it be that he's playing both sides? When Mu Xyoomo heard him say no, she sensed something was wrong. If a girl says no, then she means yes. He's not stupid. He can tell whether she's angry or not. Professor Mu, tell me who the hell messed with you. I'll kill him. Protecting your woman is a man's duty. At the same time, Mu Baning coldly asked, who was the girl you were holding hands with at 9:20 this morning in cafeteria number 1? Huh? Hearing this, Mu Xyoomo blinked. Damn, it turns out this girl misunderstood. Did Mu Baning see him holding hands with Mu Xyroxy? There's no way around it. Mu Xyroxy has always been like this since she was little, especially clingy, particularly to him. Mu Xyoomo quickly said, the girl I held hands with this morning is my sister. Professor Mu, as I told you, I have a younger sister who studies at Tsinghua or Peking University. She came to visit me during the National Day holiday. Suddenly, the weight that had been hanging over Mu Baning's heart lifted. Indeed, Mu Xyoomo had told him many times before that he had a younger sister who was a top student, and was studying at Tsinghua or Peking University. So it was his sister. At this moment, Mu Beining's expression had returned to its usual state. So it's your sister, I thought. Mu Beining didn't finish her sentence. Mu Ziomo chuckled and said, "What did I think? Did I find some other pretty older sister and dump you? How could that be, Professor Mu? My heart can only hold you." At this moment, Mu Ziomo became extremely greasy. Seeing his expression, Mu Beining rolled her eyes. All right, stop being so glib. Let's go to the Western restaurant." Tilda. Mu Ziomo was both amused and exasperated. This girl is actually jealous of her sister. What does this tell us? This shows that his position has already taken root in Mu Beining's heart. This is a good thing. Mu Ziomo nodded. Okay, let's go to the Western restaurant first. The two walked side by side. When they reached the intersection, Mu Beining seemed to be lost in thought. The traffic light on the other side had already turned red, but she didn't even notice. Mu Ziomo grabbed her hand immediately. "Professor Mu, what are you thinking about again? Didn't you see that the traffic light across the street has turned red?" Only after being scolded by Mu Ziomo did Mu Beining realize what was happening. I was daydreaming. Feeling her hand being enveloped by her large palm, Mu Beining blushed again. Being with Mu Ziomo gives me a real sense of security. And it was at this moment. Mu Zioxi appeared behind them. Mu Zioxi stared at Mu Ziomo in utter confusion. They're holding hands now. Is she going to be her future sister-in-law? So she happily ran over there. Then he slowly appeared to Mu Beining's right, poked his head out and chuckled. Hey, hello, sister-in. Mu Ziomo was taken aback when he heard Mu Zioxi's voice. Holy crap, what the hell? How did Mu Zioxi end up here? Chapter 79, brother, this is too much. He even managed to get the professor. At the same time, Mu Beining was also startled by Mu Zioxi's sudden appearance. Because she was wearing high heels, her body involuntarily leaned towards Mu Ziomo, and she immediately lost her balance. And so she lay down in Mu Ziomo's arms. Mu Ziomo quickly supported her body with her hands to prevent Mu Beining from falling. Professor Mu, be careful. After helping her up, Mu Ziomo turned her gaze to Mu Zioxi. He asked, weren't you going to play with Xu and Wenwen? Why are you suddenly here? Is that not allowed? Mu Zioxi pouted. Wenwen just said she had something to do back in the dorm, and I was thinking of going back to the hotel, but I didn't expect to run into you at the school gate. This must be your girlfriend. Mu Zioxi turned her gaze to Mu Beining, looking her up and down. As the younger sister, I definitely have to help my brother make the right choices. Mu Beining's figure came into her view. She was indeed very beautiful, but just now her brother called her Professor Mu. Professor, Suddenly, Mu Zioxi realized what was happening, and she was extremely surprised. Letter FF77, letter FF9F, de letter FF9F. Dude, that's too much torture. They've all gotten together with professors. If I tell my dad this news, what will he think? Meanwhile, Mu Beining had recovered her senses. She looked at Mu Zioxi and suddenly didn't know how to address her. The main thing is, Mu Ziomo seems to have mentioned herself to her. Before Mu Beining could even speak, Mu Ziomo introduced. Yes, sis, this is your future sister-in-law. Quickly call her sister-in-law so she can hear it. Mu Beinings. Did I agree? Okay, I reluctantly agreed. Hello, sister-in. Mu Zioxi was a very innocent girl. She chuckled and greeted her excitedly. Mu Beining nodded. Hello, Zioxi, your brother often mentions you to me. Are you studying at Tsinghua or Peking University now? Yes, Mu Zioxi tilted her head. Then, during the National Day holiday, I came to Shanghai to visit my brother. Sister-in-law, let's add each other on WeChat. If my brother bullies you, just tell me and I'll tell Dad. Dad will definitely break his legs when he finds out. Mu Ziomo. Mu Beining couldn't help but laugh. Without thinking too much, she took out her phone and added Mu Zioxi on WeChat. After adding each other on WeChat, Mu Zioxi glanced at the two people. Well then, brother and sister-in-law, I won't disturb your time together any longer. I'm going back to the hotel to get some things from my suitcase, and then I'll go out with Wenwen later. You two had a great time. At that moment, the traffic light turned green. Mu Zioxi happily left the place. Mu Ziomo didn't call her. He was still holding Mu Beining's hand. He turned his head slightly and said, Professor Mu, let's go too. After what had just happened, Mu Beining's heart immediately softened. From now on, have the two of them started dating. After all, Mu Zioxi already calls her sister-in-law. Mu Beining didn't dwell on the issue. She simply let Omo lead her by the hand to the whale's restaurant. Once inside, there were only 4 customers in the restaurant, 2 couples eating steak. Business remains as slow as ever. Once inside, Omo turned her gaze to Mew Baining and said, "Professor Mew, why don't you call all the chefs over first? I'd like to try their steaks." Okay." A moment later, Mew Baining called all 3 chefs up to the second floor. The 3 chefs were all quite fat with protruding bellies and stood swaying precariously. To Omo they seemed, well, lifeless and completely devoid of energy. At this moment, Mew Baining said quite seriously, "Masters, as you all can see, the current situation of our shop is also something I am looking for." She turned her gaze to Omo. "My student and I would like to try your steak and see if we can give you some suggestions. Is that all right?" Upon hearing this, the 3 chefs frowned slightly. Good heavens, this was a questioning of their culinary skills. In fact, chefs, especially older chefs, really hate it when people question their culinary skills. After all, this is their secure job, and everyone has their own way of doing things, so the taste will definitely vary. "No problem, boss." The 3 chefs were all right. They had seen Omo cook steak before, so they didn't take her cooking skills too seriously. How good can a little guy, who hasn't even grown all his feathers, be as a cook? Soon the 3 chefs came downstairs. After leaving, Mew Baining said, "The chefs here are all quite proud. If their cooking skills are really problematic, when you talk to them later, they might." "I know, Professor Mew." Omo interrupted her. "All chefs are like this. Actually, the best solution is to conquer chefs with your own culinary skills. I'll go to the kitchen and make 2 steaks so they can try my cooking. Oh, and you too." After saying that, Omo went downstairs and went to the kitchen. At this moment, all 3 chefs were preparing their signature steaks. Omo did the same. He took out a fresh steak from the refrigerator and then, relying on his god-level cooking skills, began to cook the steak. He made 2 pieces this time. He will then divide the steak into several portions for everyone present to enjoy, including these 3 chefs. About 40 minutes later, Omo's steak is ready. He cut the steak into pieces and put them on a small plate. The same applies to the other 3 chefs. There were no customers in the restaurant at this time. In addition to the 3 chefs, there were 3 waiters and 1 cashier. After leaving the kitchen, Omo said, "Everyone, put down what you're doing and come upstairs to try our steak." Upon hearing his voice, the 3 waiters curiously gathered around and followed Omo. Upon arriving on the second floor, Mew Baining was playing on her phone. Seeing Omo return, carrying 2 plates, he asked, "Is this the steak you made?" Omo nodded. "I invited all the employees in the store to come and be judges as well." Mew Baining nodded in agreement. Soon, the 3 chefs brought their steaks up to the second floor. 3 waiters and a cashier also arrived. Since the store hasn't been open for long, to be honest, they haven't tried the steaks yet. After all, the wages of waiters and cashiers here are only 3 or 4,000 yuan. A steak at this restaurant costs 198 yuan, so they definitely won't eat this. After all, it's too expensive. It's more than 2 days' wages for them. Chapter 80, a 40-year-old man becomes my apprentice. Since everyone's here, please have a seat. Omo spoke, and at the same time, everyone present sat down in chairs and formed a circle. Mew Baining, "Everyone, the reason I called you all here today is to let you taste our restaurant's steak and compare the flavors." Mew Baining said this to the 4 waiters. She knew they couldn't pinpoint the steak's pros and cons, but comparing the taste, they should be able to agree. Omo, who was standing to the side, turned her attention to the steak. "I'll try it first, I'm a little hungry." He took out his knife and fork, cut a small piece of steak prepared by the 3 chefs, and put it in his mouth. After careful tasting, thanks to his god-like culinary skills, he quickly discovered the problem. He began by saying, "The first piece was a bit too salty, and the steak was probably cooked at different times on each side, about a minute longer on the front than the back." Upon hearing his words, those around him frowned slightly. Is this definitely not just nonsense? But the chef who made the steak widened his eyes upon hearing this. "That's right, Omo is absolutely correct." He replied to a few messages on his phone while he was frying the steak, and then he didn't manage his time well. The reply time was just over a minute. "How could you tell that from the taste?" "Depend on. What kind of mouth is that?" Omo continued. "The meat was still a bit raw. They must have been lazy when making the steak, and the sauce wasn't good either." He didn't care at all about what the people around him thought. He just said what he was thinking, and then continued eating the food prepared by the second chef. After tasting it, He felt that it tasted similar to the first chef's dish. Without saying much, I continued eating the food prepared by the third chef. The last steak was much better than the first two. Musayomo said, I have to say, all three steaks were just average and didn't live up to the price of steaks here. The food made by the first two chefs, tastes about the same as the 34 yuan food I ate on the street outside. The last one we tasted was all right, but it only justifies the price of less than 100 yuan. Upon hearing his words, all three men turned ashen-faced. Damn, how can this kid talk so arrogantly? Zyromo, it can't be that bad. Mu Baining couldn't help but speak up. How could Mu Zyromo have such low emotional intelligence and be so bad at speaking? She's not usually like this. I'll try it. Mu Baining picked up her knife and fork, tasted all the steaks prepared by the three chefs, and then said, I think they're all pretty good. There's really nothing wrong with them. Mu Zyromo said without changing her expression, let the others try it too. The four waiters around also came over, and after tasting the steak, they expressed their opinions. Indeed, I think Chef Huang's cooking is delicious. But I think Chef Liu's cooking is delicious. I can't taste the difference. After hearing the four people's opinions, Mu Zyromo continued. Now, try what I made and compare it with what the three chefs made. He turned his gaze to Mu Baining. Professor Mu, you should try it first this time. At this moment, Mu Baining was particularly curious about the steak that Mu Zyromo had made, since his grilled fish had indeed been quite good. She put a small piece of steak into her mouth, chewed it gently, and suddenly her eyes lit up. He looked up at Mu Zyromo, even stopping the movement of his mouth. This taste is absolutely exquisite. Besides being fragrant and tender, the steaks he makes are cooked to perfection, with a firm and chewy texture. Moreover, the sauce is exceptionally well prepared, leaving a lingering aftertaste and the aroma of beef in your mouth after eating the meat. It really can't compare to what the previous three chefs made. Mu Baining couldn't help but glance at him a few more times. She was now wondering if Mu Zyromo had some kind of background. He said his grandparents run a grilled fish restaurant and wondered if his parents and elders were all chefs. Because she also works in the catering industry, Mu Baining knew that without years of experience, it would be extremely difficult to make a dish that tasted like that. Seeing Mu Baining's expression, he already knew what she was thinking, so Mu Zyro continued. Everyone should try it. Everyone picked up their forks, speared the meat that Mu Zyromo had cut beforehand, and put it into their mouths. Of course, this also includes the three chefs. Mu Zyromo also turned her gaze to the faces of the three chefs. One of the chef's expressions froze after putting the steak Mu Zyromo made into his mouth. The steak tastes so unique. As a Western cuisine chef, he has eaten a wide variety of Western dishes. After eating Western food prepared by others, he can sometimes find fault with it. But after eating what Mu Zyromo made, he found that he couldn't find any fault with it. He even wondered what method he could use to reach such a high level of culinary skill. If you had to describe the taste of Mu Zyromo's steak in 4 characters, it would be crispy and tender, chewy and flavorful with a rich, dry aroma. Only then did the three chefs understand why Mu Zyromo had spoken so arrogantly. This tastes absolutely amazing. It's true, you can't judge a book by its cover. Although he looked young and didn't seem like a very good cook, they realized they were wrong after eating his steak. How is it? Does it taste all right? Mu Zyromo smiled faintly after seeing everyone's expressions. It seems everyone was impressed by his superb culinary skills. My God, this is so delicious. I've never eaten such tender steak before. Yes, my son took me to Australia once before, and this tastes even better than what we get in Australian restaurants. After hearing their words, Mu Zyromo knew that her goal had been achieved. After the surroundings quieted down, he said, So, my three chefs, I believe you also want to improve your culinary skills. From now on, I will be giving you a series of training sessions. Is that all right? No, Huang Yaoquan shook his head. I have to say, young man, the steak you made is the best I've ever eaten. Another chef, Liu Daping, also said, That's true. If possible, I'd like to become your apprentice. Good heavens! Hearing this, Mu Zyromo was stunned. Because Liu Daping looks to be over 40 years old, a 40-year-old man becomes the apprentice of a 19-year-old boy. Mu Zyromo shrugged and shook her head. There's no need for apprenticeship. My idea is to bring profits to Professor Mu's shop. Actually, once you learn how to make this steak, you can make a lot of money on your own in the future. Is that right? Hearing his words, all three nodded. That's absolutely right. Mu Baining, who was standing to the side, was taken aback. Why does what Mu Ziomo said sound a bit strange? P.S. Xiaming knelt down to beg for a gift. Chapter 81 Professor Mu, I can cook for you for the rest of my life. Mu Baining was taken aback. Could Mu Ziomo's words be a test of the three chefs' loyalty? Thinking of this, Mu Baining suddenly felt a little sad. If Mu Ziomo teaches them, they'll quit their jobs and start their own businesses. She shook her head, realizing she was overthinking things. If the chef leaves, Mu Ziomo can just train a new chef. Anyway, he was completely under my control. If they get together in the future, her younger brother Mu Ziomo should listen to her, right? Seeing that the three chefs had no objections, Mu Ziomo said, "All right, in that case, let's all go to the kitchen and prepare. I'll come down to find you in a bit. I have some things to discuss with Professor Mu privately." Okay. The three chefs' attitudes underwent a complete 360-degree change. Just as the three chefs were about to go downstairs, Chef Liu Dapping spoke up. "Young man, could we take these steaks you made back with us and have a taste?" Forehead. Mu Ziomo was taken aback. Hadn't he eaten enough yet? Mu Ziomo did not refuse and readily nodded. "Of course, the three of you can take it back and try it." Okay. Liu Dapping chuckled, picked up the plate of steak, and slunk away. Mu Baining watched Liu Dapping's departing figure and couldn't help but pout. What? She planned to eat the remaining steaks. How did Liu Dapping manage to take it back? Mu Baining immediately felt somewhat unhappy. The four waiters wisely left, and only after they were gone did Mu Ziomo turn her attention to her. Seeing Mu Baining's furrowed brows, Mu Ziomo looked puzzled and asked, Professor Mu, what's wrong with you?" "It's nothing," Mu Baining shook her head. "It's just that Liu Dapping took away the steak you made, and I'm a little unhappy about it." Mu Ziomo was silent for a moment. Actually, Mu Baining was not bad. At least she would speak her mind. For example, she spoke up about the misunderstanding this morning, instead of just sulking like her sister, and saying nothing was wrong no matter what she was asked. He chuckled. "No way, Professor Mu, you're upset about this. Also, I made that steak. Don't worry, I can cook for you for the rest of my life." After Mu Ziomo finished speaking, he gently ruffled her hair, and Mu Baining immediately felt a little shy. Seeing her expression, Mu Ziomo continued, "All right, I'll cook you a signature dish later, but we still need to discuss the shop first." Mu Baining asked, "Are there any problems with the shop now?" Mu Ziomo nodded. "The shop should not be open tomorrow or the day after. I will give the three chefs more systematic training tomorrow and the day after. By the way, Professor Mu, the shop is not enough for waiters and chefs. In the next 2 days, please recruit 6 more sales staff. We can also hire chefs. If we offer higher wages, there shouldn't be any major problems." Upon hearing Mu Ziomo's voice, Mu Baining felt somewhat worried. He said he could do it, but she was worried that the shop's customer traffic wouldn't be enough, and hiring so many people would definitely result in losses. Although Mu Ziomo's steak is indeed delicious, no customers have tasted it yet, and it won't be easy to build up a customer base in a short time. So Mu Baining frowned and said, "What you say is fine, but the customer flow is not large. Wouldn't it be a waste to have so many employees?" "Don't worry, Professor Mu, just do as I say. The day after tomorrow, which is October 4th, I will invite a big shot to come and promote your store. I guarantee the store will be fully booked by then." Upon hearing this, Mu Baining couldn't help but ask, "A big shot? What big shot?" "I won't tell you." Mu Ziomo smiled slightly. "All right, you'll see when the time comes. Just do as I say. I'll go downstairs and make you something to eat first, and then I'll teach my methods to the masters. Professor Mu, you just wait here." After saying that, Mu Ziomo went downstairs. Mu Baining frowned as she watched Mu Ziomo's retreating figure, wondering who this important person he was talking about was. Also, she was very curious whether Mu Ziomo had any family background, because both Mu Ziomo and Mu Xiroxy seem to have very sound values. Although this guy is usually joking around, he also has a strange sense of maturity about him. His intuition told him that Mu Ziomo must come from a very well-off family to have such a temperament. Without thinking much about it, she sat down in the chair and, as Mu Ziomo had instructed, opened the Boss self-recruitment platform and posted the job information. Although she felt that this was not a very reliable idea, she still decided to give it a try. What if Mu Ziomo can bring her a surprise? Downstairs, Mu Zio had already started preparing dinner for Mu Baining. Because it's a Western restaurant, most of the ingredients are related to Western cuisine, which is normal. Mu Ziomo was currently frying steaks, while 3 chefs surrounded him, watching him work. First, sear the bottom of the steak to create a pattern. After searing the pattern, rotate it 70 degrees and continue to sear. Then sprinkle with freshly ground black pepper and sea salt, and then flip it over. Muzaya Omo spoke in a serious tone, and of course, he wasn't talking nonsense. He was demonstrating the cooking steps exactly as described in the God-level cooking skills manual. The three chefs all nodded. They noticed that Muzaya Omo was unusually serious when preparing the food. They even used their phones to keep track of the time. Muzaya Omo continued, "It's best to fry the top and bottom alternately so that the flavors can penetrate better. I'm using my phone to time it so that you can keep an eye on it." A dozen minutes later, the medium-rare steak is ready. "It's all better now, that. Let me try it. Huang Yaoquan couldn't help but say before Muzaya Omo could finish speaking. "This is for your boss." Muzaya Omo was speechless, and Huang Yaoquan was also stunned after hearing his words. "Depend on." "Oh, so it was made for the boss." Muzaya Omo said, "You've all seen how I did it, now go and try it out yourself. Just follow the ingredient quantities I've written down for you." Muzaya Omo has just written down the detailed ingredients needed to make steak. As long as you follow his instructions exactly, there shouldn't be any major problems. The three chefs returned to their spots to grill the steaks, and then he made a chicken salad for Mu Baining. Chicken salad is also a Western dish, but it's relatively uncommon. I looked around at Mu Baining's shop and was surprised to find that they had the seasonings for making it. After finishing, Muzaya Omo carried a steak and a chicken salad upstairs to the second floor. Peeking out, he said, "Professor Mu Tilda, your delicious food is here, Tilda." Chapter 82, "Wanna date my sister? No way." Upon hearing Muzaya Omo's voice, Mu Baining looked up. He placed the sirloin steak and chicken salad on the table and said, "Professor Mu, you've been waiting long. Please have a taste." "Wow, Tilda." Seeing the sumptuous dishes on the table, Mu Baining couldn't help but lean over and sniff them. Then she looked up at him and said, "Little Mo, you can even make chicken salad. And judging by its appearance, it looks very appetizing." "Just kidding, there's nothing I can't do," Muzaya Omo said with a narcissistic look. "Professor Mu, I'm not bragging, but I can cook any dish you can think of." Upon hearing this, Mu Baining asked curiously, "Do you know how to make dace fish paste by hand?" Upon hearing this, Muzaya Omo asked, "What is this thing?" "It should be similar to handmade shrimp paste." He nodded, yes. Mu Baining then asked, "What about the 9-turned intestine?" "I can do it too." Muzaya Omo nodded. 9-turned intestines is a Jiang cuisine from Jiangbei, and the main ingredient is pig intestines. Although it is a bit troublesome to make, it is still possible. Then, what about crispy fried lotus root? Crispy stir-fried lotus root. What is this thing? Muzaya Omo had never heard of it before. However, he still said with a serious expression, "This is too easy, I definitely know how." "Stop bragging." Mu Baining rolled her eyes and said with a look of disdain, "The name crispy fried lotus root is something I came up with myself. There is no such dish." That was too hasty. However, Muzaya Omo still spoke up. "Isn't it just making lotus root crispy? It's so simple, let's start." Muzaya Omo was about to continue her rambling when Mu Baining rolled her eyes. "Stop talking nonsense. By the way, what about your portion? You didn't just make it for myself, did you?" Muzaya Omo nodded and said, "Can't I share a meal with you? It's a big steak and a chicken salad. Professor Mu, you can't possibly finish it all, can you?" Mu Baining's face darkened upon hearing Muzaya Omo's words. To be honest, she could actually finish it if she ate it herself. However, it's best not to eat so much in front of Muzaya Omo. I need to make a good impression on Muzaya Omo. Mu Baining smiled and said, "Yes, I can't finish it all. Then let's eat together, Zyro Mo." Punishment. Muzaya Omo didn't stand on ceremony at all. He shamelessly sat down opposite Mu Baining. Mu Baining first used a knife to cut a small piece of beef. Then he picked it up with a fork and handed it to Muzaya Omo. "Eat up." Mu Baining stared at him with wide eyes, while Muzaya Omo ate the beef in one gulp. Since he made it himself, the taste wasn't that great to him. Barely passing, "Professor Mu, you should eat too." He politely declined Mu Baining's offer, and she nodded, then started eating with Muzaya Omo. The two of them shared a knife and fork, and of course Mu Baining wouldn't complain about it. Isn't that just indirect kissing? Although she had already kissed Muzaya Omo twice. It was all an accident. About half an hour later, a chef came up to the second floor and called Muzaya Omo, because all three of their steaks were ready. Of course, Muzaya Omo should have a taste. After Mu Ziomo went downstairs, he tasted the food. This time, all three chefs made it quite well, and the taste was about 60% similar to what he made. After giving some more pointers, it was getting late. Mu Baining told the four waitresses to rest for 2 days, and then she and Mu Ziomo headed towards the Magic University. Ziomo, I've done what you asked me to do. I've hired 6 more waiters, but 4 of them are temporary. They are college students from nearby universities who did not go home for the National Day holiday and worked part-time during the break. Mu Ziomo hummed in agreement and nodded slightly. Okay, where's the chef? We haven't found a chef yet because there are very few chefs who can cook Western food. It might take some time to find one. No problem. Mu Ziomo didn't take it to heart. He mainly wanted to know who would come after using the celebrity store visit card. Since he's a top-tier celebrity, his influence must be considerable. The two quickly entered the Magic University. During the holidays, many students did not go home. At this time, there were still many students at the school playing badminton and doing other sports. They came to a fork in the road. Mu Ziomo glanced at Mu Baining and then said, Professor Mu, I'll head back now. I'll be at the shop at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning to continue training the 3 chefs. Yes, thank you for your hard work. I'll treat you to lunch. The two waved and then left. In the dormitory, Huang Wenxu and Bai Yuntao were playing games as usual. Du Yang went home for the National Day holiday. Huang Wenxu and Bai Yuntao are both from Hainan, which is far from home. The airfare home would cost more than 2,000 yuan, so they did not go back either. Mu Ziomo pushed open the door. Hearing the sound of the door opening, Huang Wenxu turned his head and said, Brother Mo is back from your date with Professor Mu. Mu Ziomo glared at him fiercely, and Huang Wenxu quickly shut his mouth after noticing Mu Ziomo's gaze. He was terrified that Mu Ziomo would fly the plane again. He didn't want to experience that feeling again. At the same time, Bai Yuntao said, Brother Mo is your sister here. Why didn't you introduce her to me? Last night, Mu Ziomo told them that her younger sister was coming over. Sure enough, Bai Yuntao had already set his sights on his sister. Upon hearing his words, Mu Ziomo became cautious. Why are you asking this? My sister is here. She's staying at a hotel now. Tusk, tusk, tusk. Bai Yuntao took off his headphones, turned to look at Mu Ziomo. It's too dangerous for a girl to stay in a hotel alone. I'm free tomorrow. Why don't you call her out and I'll take her out to play? Mu Ziomo looked up at Bai Yuntao. Then he said, I feel that her being with you is more dangerous than staying in a hotel alone. Damn it, Bai Yuntao's face darkened. Brother Mo, are you that kind of person? I'm your roommate and in a sense, family. Haven't you heard the saying, don't let the good stuff go to outsiders' fields? Get out, we're not family. You want to date my sister? No way. Previously, Bai Yuntao secretly looked at his phone's photo album and saw photos of him and Mu Zioxi. Then this guy fell in love with his sister. It could also be described as lust at first sight. Of course, Mu Ziomo never considered having Bai Yuntao as her brother-in-law. Don't be like that. Brother Mo, what if your sister takes a liking to me? Hee, Mu Ziomo rolled her eyes. Let me tell you that's impossible. My sister has very high standards for choosing a partner. She doesn't like people who rock the bed all night long. P.S. Please give me some flowers. A 5-star review would be incredibly grateful. Chapter 83, Professor Mu. Won't this shop be mine in the future? Shaking the bed every night. Bai Yuntao was immediately displeased upon hearing this, as he hadn't been rocking the bed every night. He said, when have I ever rocked the bed every night? It's only twice every 3 days or 4 times every 5 days. It's not every day. Get lost. Mu Ziomo rolled her eyes. She had heard that these things were limited. This guy goes on dates with the 5 Fingers girl every night. Isn't he afraid of losing his manhood? Furthermore, frequently rewarding oneself can also lead to infertility. Mu Ziomo was too lazy to argue with Bai Yuntao. Anyway, it was absolutely impossible for him to get to know his younger sister. After taking off his shirt and pants, he ran into the bathroom to take a shower, and after showering, he went to bed. He looked at the ceiling and suddenly realized that it might be time to use the celebrity store visit card. So Mu Ziomo brought up the system panel. He completely ignored the above values and selected the celebrity store visit card. Then select use. Ding, successful use. Please select a restaurant to visit. Female celebrities, Liu Yaifa, Yang Mi Banjalababy, Zhao Liying, Zhou Dongsu. Male celebrities, Deng Ke, Huang Xiaming, Hu Ji Yanqiangxi, Hu Jianhua. The host may choose any one person from the above list. Holy crap! Mu Ziomo was stunned when she saw the list of celebrities above. Holy crap, these people all seem to be A-list celebrities. Each of them is incredibly talented, boasting hundreds of millions of fans. Damn it, seeing so many celebrities, Musaya Omo suddenly didn't know how to choose. The main problem is that they went. How should I explain this to Mu Baining? Musaya Omo didn't dwell on this question first. In the end, he chose Brother Who, because he is a fan of Brother Who. In fact, Musaya Omo also wanted to choose Yeonkyungsi, because his sister is a fan of Yeonkyungsi. She would definitely be very happy if Yeonkyungsi could take a photo with her. But Musaya is not worthy. Let's stick with Brother Who. You have selected Brother Who. Once selected, you cannot change your choice. After the restaurant visit, your network will increase by 1. Are you sure you want to select Brother Who? Musaya Omo was slightly taken aback. Connections? The system even has a function to count connections. After thinking about this question, the system's voice came through. After the perfect life system is officially activated, the system's functions will be further improved. For more features, please check them after you have successfully won over Mu Baining. I see. Musaya Omo didn't think much of it and chose yes. Ding, selection successful. Brother Who will visit the Welsh restaurant at 12 noon on October 4th. Please prepare yourself, host. Mr. Who will prepare the script for the restaurant visit. You do not need to prepare anything. All we need to do is maintain order at the scene on that day. The system shut down, and Musaya Omo took a deep breath. It feels so damn surreal. We can even see Brother Who now. Musaya Omo thought about it carefully. Liu Weiwei had told him before that Mu Baining seemed to be a fan of Brother Who as well. At this moment, Musaya Omo was already curious about what kind of expression Mu Baining would have when she met Brother Who. We'll find out the day after tomorrow. Musaya Omo smiled, and just then Musaya sent him a WeChat message. Musaya Omo frowned slightly. Why was this girl looking for him at this time? After clicking on it, I found it was a voice message. Musaya Omo was slightly taken aback. After opening the audio, I found that I couldn't hear anything clearly. So Musaya Omo turned the volume up to the maximum. Suddenly, the bed slammed against the wall, creaking and groaning, accompanied by the sound of people playing cards coming from the phone's speaker. There were also some screams. Holy crap, Mo, wear headphones when you watch porn, don't play it out loud. Upon hearing the voice, Huang Wengsu spoke up with a mischievous smile. Bai Yuntao, and you're the one rewarding yourself too. Musaya Omo was slightly taken aback. What the hell was going on? Then Musaya sent him a message. Brother, the soundproofing in this hotel you picked for me is terrible. It's so bad. You must change it for me tomorrow. Musaya Omo was slightly taken aback. It's unbelievable that Musaya would ask him for help with this. He replied, okay, I'll change it for you tomorrow. Musaya, that's more like it. She quickly sent another message. Hey bro, your girlfriend is really pretty. I'll accept her as my sister-in-law. I was chatting with her, and she just sent me a 1,000 yuan red envelope. Omega. When are you two going to have a baby? Actually, I feel like you should have one before you graduate from university, and then give Dad a surprise after graduation. Musaya Omo was completely bewildered when she saw the series of messages sent by Musaya. What is that? Did he receive a 1,000 yuan red envelope from Mu Baining? Should we urge them to have children sooner? How about giving Dad a surprise? Give me a ghost. Musaya Omo's face darkened and she replied, Stop talking nonsense. 3 minutes have passed. Your neighbors should be done by now, right? Go to sleep quickly. On the other side, Musaya was lying in bed when she saw Musaya Omo's message and was stunned. It's really over. Finally, I can get a good night's sleep. Musaya typed rapidly on the screen. It really is over. I'm going to Disneyland with Kshu and Wenwen tomorrow, so I'm going to sleep now. Good night. Don't be like my neighbor, lasting only 3 minutes. After sending the last message, Musaya tossed her phone onto the bedside table, then turned off the light and went asleep. When Musaya Omo saw Musaya's last message in the dormitory, her face darkened. When did this girl learn this? But I have indeed reached that age. To be honest, the topics that girls talk about in their dorms are sometimes even more explosive than those in the boys' dorms. Musaya Omo didn't think much of it and put down her phone. Over the next 2 days, Musaya Omo trained the chefs according to his plan. The training covered more than just steak. It also included various Western dishes and desserts, since Mu Baining's restaurant was set to become a high-end establishment. A restaurant endorsed by Hu Ji shouldn't be allowed to lower its standards. These past 2 days, Mu Baining has also been staying close to Mu Ziomo. That's right, she also wanted to learn Mu Ziomo's cooking skills. After all, once the two of them got married, she couldn't always expect Mu Ziomo to cook. October 3rd, 9:30 p.m. Inside the kitchen, after tasting the Western food prepared by the three chefs, Mu Ziomo said, "Everyone has made great progress in just 2 days. We expect a large number of customers coming to our store tomorrow, and we hope you will take good care of them. Don't worry, Master Mu." Although he wasn't their master, all three chefs already called him master. All three were in high spirits. Mu Ziomo said, "Okay, thank you all for your hard work. You can all go home now." Soon the three chefs left. Just then, Mu Baining, who was standing next to him, suddenly pulled out a wad of banknotes. He said, "Ziomo, you've worked hard these past 3 days. This is your reward." Mu Ziomo was taken aback. "Professor Mu, what are you doing? Won't this shop be mine in the future?" Chapter 84. Mu Ziomo actually invited Brother Who. Huh? Upon hearing Mu Ziomo's words, Mu Baining was completely stunned. This shop will belong to him from now on. Goodness, I didn't expect Mu Ziomo to be eyeing her shop now. Seeing Mu Baining's expression, Mu Ziomo said, "Just kidding. I didn't contribute anything, so I don't need the money. I'm not short of money. The most important thing now is to welcome the food review experts tomorrow. He will arrive at 12 o'clock tomorrow, and we just need to be prepared." Mu Baining nodded, then frowned and asked, "Who is it that came?" She had asked Mu Ziomo before, but Mu Ziomo just wouldn't tell her. "You'll find out tomorrow." Mu Ziomo stretched and yawned. I'm a little sleepy. Professor Mu, I'll go back to my dorm to sleep now. Get ready for tomorrow." After saying that, he quickly left the shop. Mu Baining stood there, completely baffled. Who exactly is this person who is coming and can bring in so much traffic? It can't be the logo of a popular TikTok influencer, can it? He rubbed his head. He had been quite tired these past 2 days, mainly because his period had started again. It was only then that Mu Baining realized that she and Mu Ziomo had known each other for over a month. It's time to define our relationship. The next day, at 11 a.m., Mu Ziomo brought Mu Zioxy to the Welsh Western restaurant. There were still quite a few people on the commercial street on October 4th. However, perhaps due to the lack of customers, Mu Baining's restaurant remained as deserted as ever. At that time, there were only 5 or 6 tables of customers in the shop. They were all students from nearby universities who brought their girlfriends here to eat steak. Of course, every customer who came to eat steak was amazed by its delicious taste. This taste is absolutely amazing. Inside the restaurant, Mu Zioxy patted her belly and said, "Brother, who's here to check out the restaurant today? Could it be my husband, Yonkyungsi?" The news about the restaurant visit wasn't told to Mu Zioxy by Mu Ziomo. It was Mu Baining. Because Mu Baining was really curious about who had come to check out the store, she simply asked Ziomo's younger sister, Ziozai. But she didn't know either. My brother never mentioned this to him. As for the husband he mentioned, Yonkyungsi, well, Mu Zioxy is a die-hard fan of TFBOYS. Her favorite artist is Jackson Yi. It has to be said that Yonkyungsi is indeed quite handsome. But of course, the most handsome one is always the reader here. Mu Zioxy wasn't an excessive fan of celebrities. Liking celebrities is perfectly normal. Mu Ziomo shook her head. "It's not Yonkyungsi. If your brother could invite Yonkyungsi, I would be so awesome." "That's true," Mu Zioxy sighed, then suddenly remembered something. "Brother, there's a concert by TFBOYS in Kingcheng in December. Can you take me with you?" Forehead. Mu Ziomo was taken aback. Then he nodded. "Okay, I'll go with you then." Upon hearing this, Mu Zioxy was delighted. Thank you, brother." "You're welcome." Just as Mu Ziomo and Mu Zioxy were chatting, Mu Baining walked over. She stopped beside Mu Ziomo and said, "Ziomo, I've prepared everything you asked me to prepare, and I've also reserved a room on the 2nd floor." "Okay," he nodded, glanced at the time on his phone and said, "It's about time. Let's go outside and greet them now." Huji is a superstar after all, so it's only natural that he would go out to greet him. I wonder if Brother Who will even acknowledge him if he sees him. Whether they come or not is a question. Of course, Mu Ziomo wouldn't distrust the system. Mu Ziomo, Mu Baining, and Mu Zioxy arrived at the entrance of the Western restaurant, where 3 waiters were waiting. Mu Ziomo took a deep breath. Just then, the system's voice came through. "Ding, reporting to the host, Brother Who is about to arrive at the scene. Currently, he already has memories of you, Mu Zioxy, Mu Baining, and the people who asked him to help promote the Welsh restaurant." You two have been friends for many years. In his memory, you once helped him with a very important matter, which is why you became very good friends. Upon hearing the system's voice, Musayomo was taken aback. Goodness, they can even generate memories. That's incredibly awesome. Time flies. At exactly 12 o'clock, a black Rolls-Royce drove up directly. Musayomo, Musayoxi, Mu Baining, and the three waiters beside them were all captivated by the black Rolls-Royce. Meanwhile, many students nearby were discussing it quietly. My God, is this a Rolls-Royce fantasy? How much is it worth? I don't know, but it should be worth several million. Definitely. I wonder who's sitting in the car. I'm so envious. Me too. Brother, has he arrived? Musayoxi walked over and nudged Musayomo's elbow, asking a question. He nodded. Yes, it's him. He's here. Musayoxi didn't ask anything more. A few seconds later, the black Rolls-Royce stopped in front of the shop. Everyone stared at the car in complete silence. A storm raged within me. The person who arrives in a Rolls-Royce must be a very important person. After the car was parked, the rear windows slowly rolled down. Then Brother Who, wearing sunglasses, appeared before everyone. He slowly took off his sunglasses, then focused his gaze on Musayomo and said, "Hello, Xiaomo Tilde." He spoke in a very calm tone, even with a touch of humor, just like a friend he had known for many years. Musayomo was a little confused, but he still managed a smile. "Brother Who, you're here." He quickly went to open the door. Huji, who is 185 cm tall, was thus presented to everyone. Immediately, Musayoxi, Mu Baining, and everyone around them were completely stunned. Holy crap, this is Brother Who. Holy crap, it's Brother Who, it's Brother Who. My God, it really is Brother Who. What's he doing here? He even hugged that young man. Their relationship must be special. I never expected to see a celebrity just by taking a walk. Immediately, many people around started shouting, saying all sorts of things. Meanwhile, the most shocked person was none other than Mu Baining. Musayomo actually invited Brother Who. P.S. Our house is being renovated recently, and Xiaoming is running around every day. Updates will resume once things stabilize, and everything is fine. Please give me flowers and a 5-star review. Rating has reached 9. Thank you everyone for your support. Chapter 85. Could it be that Musayomo is a second-generation star? Mu Baining's eyes remained fixed on Brother Who. As his loyal fan, she really liked him. After all, the TV series, The Legend of Sword and Fairy, was incredibly popular back then. Moreover, his portrayal of Li Xiaoyao made the audience remember the line, "Free and unrestrained, the whole world is his plaything." This is too surreal. No wonder Musayomo didn't tell her who the person who was visiting the store was. At this moment, Mu Baining was wondering, who exactly is Musayomo? Second-generation star. I've never heard of him before. However, being able to write the song, Guest, does indeed connect one to being a second-generation star. Could it be a second-generation star who hasn't debuted yet? So his dad is a celebrity offspring. At this moment, Mu Baining considered all of Musayoxi's possible identities. In short, the fact that they know Brother Who and seem to have such a good relationship means they must have known each other for a long time. After hugging Brother Who, Musayomo finally came to her senses and looked him over. Today, Brother Who was dressed casually, wearing a white t-shirt underneath an orange suit jacket. She wore dark jeans and black leather shoes. She looks very mature and has a sophisticated air about her. As a top-tier celebrity, her charisma is something that no one can imitate. Brother Who gently patted Musayomo's shoulder. I heard from your dad that you got into the Magic University, right? This is all related to his father. Musayomo nodded shamelessly. Yes, it's only been a month since school started. Not bad, not bad. After saying that, Brother Who noticed the people behind him and smiled. These are your sister, Musayoxi, whom you told me about, and your girlfriend, Mu Baining, right? Upon hearing his words, Musayomo's eyes widened in surprise. Seemingly sensing Musayomo's question, the system's voice came through. Brother Who has memories of Mu Baining and Musayoxi. The memory is about you asking him to help promote your girlfriend's shop, and he also introduced your sister and Mu Baining. So that's how it is. Musayomo nodded and introduced. Yes, this is my sister, Xiroxy. Musayomo turned to the side and gestured as she introduced the product. Musayoxy looked a little awkward. She greeted Brother Who. Hello, Brother Who. Hello. Brother Who smiled faintly and greeted Mu Baining at the same time. Like Musayoxy, Mu Baining also responded to him in a very unnatural way. The main thing is that Mu Baining never imagined in her life that a top-tier celebrity of this era would take the initiative to greet her. Mu Zia gave a brief introduction before getting to the main topic. Of course, Brother Who has 2 bodyguards. He also brought over a fat man with very long hair. At this point, Brother Who introduced him. Zia, this is my company's advertising planner, named Chen Xianghui. Hello, Mr. Chen. Mu Zia quickly reached out her hand and said, Hello. After shaking hands, Chen Xianghui turned his attention to the Welsh restaurant. I've already written the detailed advertising plan. At this moment, Chen Xianghui took out an iPad and opened a Word document, then turned the screen towards Mu Zia. This is a restaurant review plan. It's quite hot outside, so Mu Zia quickly said, Brother Who, let's go inside and sit down to talk. Good. Soon, Mu Zia and the others entered the restaurant together. Because there were still customers in the restaurant, they went directly to the second floor. Of course, the customers in the store also saw Brother Who, but they didn't recognize him immediately. After all, Brother Who would never easily appear in such a situation. Second floor, Mu Zia and Mu Baining sandwiched Mu Zia in the middle. As Mu Zia reviewed the store visit plan, Chen Xianghui explained to him, this plan mainly uses mainstream advertising solutions from the market. But unlike the self-media approach, our promotion is more rigorous, more like an advertisement, but not entirely. Let's see what the solution is on the iPad. Mu Zia nodded and looked at the proposal together with Mu Baining and Mu Zia. It's basically just advertising. The advertising plan is, Brother Who appears in the video first and says in a suspenseful tone, I recently discovered a treasure shop or something like that. Then we went into the shop, promoted the restaurant's signature dishes, and filmed some behind-the-scenes footage of the chef's cooking. This requires adding a lot of special effects. Finally, he tastes it himself, and then he promotes it. Such solutions are indeed very common in the market. After Mu Zia, Mu Baining, and Mu Zia, who was just there to make up the numbers, finished reading, Mu Zia turned her attention to Mu Baining. Professor Mu, how do you feel? It's fine. After all, it was a big star like Brother Who visiting the store. So Mu Baining felt she had no right to speak. Actually, the specifics of the plan are no longer important. With the added star power of Huji, the store visit is sure to be a great success. No wonder Mu Zia told her to prepare more waiters. Fortunately, she did as instructed. Seeing that his future wife was all right, Mu Zia quickly said, Brother Who, if there's no problem, then let's do it this way. Meanwhile, Mu Zia snorted and said angrily, Brother, why didn't you ask for my opinion? You have no right to speak. Go away and play somewhere else. Udell. Mu Zia rolled her eyes at Mu Zia. Brother Who chuckled at the sight but still nodded. Okay, let's get started now. Mu Baining stood up. I'll go arrange it right away, thank you for your hard work. She left the second floor very quickly. Everyone quickly got ready. Since Mu Zia wasn't needed for the filming, he simply stood by and watched. Then Chen Xianghui, Huji's advertising planner and photographer, began his shoot. Mu Zia, Mu Baining, and Mu Zia stood not far away watching them. At this moment, Mu Zia curiously leaned over and asked her brother, Brother, how do you know Brother Who? Oh my God, I'm still a little dazed. It feels like a dream. Mu Baining, who was standing nearby, also perked up his ears when Mu Zia asked him a question. After all, Mu Baining was also very curious about how Mu Zia knew Brother Who. Mu Zia smiled. It's a long story. 2 years ago, I did him a favor which led to our acquaintance, and then Mu Zia gave a reasonable excuse, then deliberately changed the subject and stopped talking about it. After all, if we keep talking, we'll definitely be exposed. Soon, Huji and Chen Xianghui finished filming the outdoor scenes and went inside the restaurant to continue filming. Chapter 86, Mu Baining. I feel like I'm not good enough for Mu Zia anymore. Indoor shooting is more complicated. It mainly involves shooting the store environment, the kitchen environment, and most importantly, taking photos of the finished dishes. Brother Who took this matter very seriously, even more so than when filming. I have to say, this system is absolutely amazing. Soon, Brother Who called Mu Zia and Mu Baining over and asked them to help guide him through the movements. On television, Hu Jintao is very approachable, and he is the same here. We worked until 3 p.m. before finally getting to the last step. That is, to let Brother Who personally taste the steak in the restaurant. It's true that Brother Who brought traffic to the store, but to retain that traffic, the store's reputation will have to be the key. As long as the reputation is good, you can retain customers steadily. While no one eats steak every day, eating it once or twice a month is perfectly fine. Of course, Mu Ziomo is still confident in the store's current reputation. Mu Baining had already spoken with the chefs in advance, and when the kitchen was being filmed just now, the three chefs had already prepared all the restaurant's signature dishes. They were extremely surprised when they saw Brother Hu. They never imagined that the food they cooked would be eaten by a superstar. Even when frying steak, I was on high alert. At this moment, Brother Hu and Chen Xianghui were already seated at the dining table. A variety of Western-style dishes were laid out in front of them. There's bouillabaisse, foie gras steak, chicken salad, grilled shrimp soufflé, and cheese-baked macaroni and pasta, and of course, steak. These dishes were carefully selected by Mu Ziomo and have now become the restaurant's signature dishes. Hu Ji, being a big star, has eaten a lot of delicious food, so of course he's tried these things too. However, when Brother Hu saw the sumptuous meal on the table, he couldn't help but say, "Wow, Tilda, it looks so appetizing. Old Chen, get ready to return to filming." Chen Xianghui turned on the camera in his hand, and then Brother Hu started using his knife and fork. His dining movements were exceptionally elegant. He first tasted the steak closest to him. The steak has a beautiful, glossy color, and with the addition of green side dishes and fairy fruits, it looks absolutely gorgeous. Mu Ziomo, who was not far away, kept staring at Brother Hu's expression. If the steak is truly delicious, that kind of expression can't be faked. Mu Baining was also very nervous. If it doesn't cater to Hu Ji's tastes, the final product will definitely feel different. After putting the beef in his mouth, Brother Hu's eyes suddenly glazed over. He frowned as he savored the food. This tastes even better than what his personal chef makes. Although he didn't want to admit it, the taste really surpassed that of his personal chef. Brother Hu was completely captivated by the taste of the steak. Seeing Brother Hu's expression, Mu Zioxi couldn't help but ask, "Brother, does Brother Hu's expression mean it's delicious or not?" They must have been captivated by the taste. Mu Ziomo had already figured out Brother Hu's mindset. That look in his eyes suggested he was savoring the flavors of the food. "Phew, that's good, I'll try some later too," Mu Zioxi chuckled. Filming continued, and half an hour later, today's filming task was finally completed. As for the food on the table, Brother Hu only tasted a small portion of it. "The taste is indeed very good," Brother Hu exclaimed, then turned his gaze to Mu Ziomo. "This restaurant visit is now over. The video will be edited tonight, and I will pin it to some social media platforms as we agreed for a year." Sure. Although Mu Ziomo hadn't made an agreement with him, that's what the system said. Brother Hu nodded, then seemed to be thinking about something. He asked, "By the way, what's the price of the steaks at the shop?" 198 yuan, Mu Ziomo replied. Upon hearing his words, Brother Hu replied quite decisively, "The price is too low. If you want to expand the brand, you can adjust the price appropriately. 269 for a steak is acceptable, and then we can launch some set meals. How about this? I tasted the sirloin steak and chicken salad, and it was quite good, so we can make a set meal like that. 2 steaks, a chicken salad, and a bottle of SWD red wine. The set meal is originally priced at 999 yuan, but is on sale for 798 yuan. How about that?" Mu Ziomo did not answer, but instead focused her gaze on Mu Baining. Mu Baining nodded. In fact, the cost of this set meal was only a little over 400 yuan. The main issue is that red wine is more expensive. 798 is a perfectly acceptable price. Seeing that Mu Baining agreed, Brother Hu continued, "It's mainly a marketing tactic. I'll make this package an exclusive benefit for my fans. When I post it on Weibo, I'll leave a code word. If a customer comes to the store and says the code word, I'll give them the promotional price. Is that okay?" "Can." This time it was Mu Ziomo who said it. "Okay," Brother Hu nodded, stood up, and smiled. "Well then, that's all for today. Please follow my Weibo when you get back. Ziomo, if you have any questions, you can contact me via WeChat." Okay. Thank you for your hard work, Brother Hu tilde." Mu Ziomo nodded. They quickly saw Brother Hu out. "You're too kind. We're all brothers, no need to worry about hardship." Soon, amidst the farewells of all the shop's employees, Brother Hu left. Mu Ziomo knew that this was probably the closest he would ever get to a celebrity in his life. Fortunately, the people outside did not cause a great commotion. It was much better than Mu Ziomo had expected. After Hu Ji was taken inside, the shop returned to quiet, and Mu Baining breathed a sigh of relief. He wondered if he would soon be greeted by an unstoppable influx of customers. This store has been open for over a month, but customer traffic is sparse, and it has already lost a lot of money. Seeing Mew Baining lost in thought, Mew Xiaomo walked over and asked, "Professor Mew, what are you thinking about?" No, it's nothing." At this moment, Mew Baining's gaze towards Mew Xiaomo had undergone a subtle change. Mainly in her eyes, Mew Xiaomo was simply too outstanding. She had never dared to dream of being able to call brother who her brother. For a fleeting moment, she even felt that she was not good enough for him. That's how love is. The more you like someone, the more you think about them. "It's good that you're all right." Mew Xiaomo smiled slightly. "Tomorrow is still the National Day holiday. The shop will definitely be crowded. So we need to make full preparations, prepare the raw materials, and inform the chef." Mew Baining nodded. Mew Xiaomo was right. If a lot of customers come tomorrow, the store's raw materials are not enough. After all, the fresher the steak, the better. Mew Baining said, "I'll go and notify the supplier to provide ingredients for tomorrow, and then I'll hold a meeting with all the employees." "Go." Mew Xiaomo nodded. Then, turning his head, he found that Mew Xiaoxi had already started eating like crazy the dishes that brother who had just tasted. "This girl, she's something else. P.S. Please give me some flowers and a 5-star review. I'll be eternally grateful." Chapter 87. Professor Mew's mouth smells so good. Mew Xiaomo walked over, looked at Mew Xiaoxi who was eating and drinking heartily, tapped the table lightly with her finger, and then said, "Sis, are you really that pathetic?" "I'm hungry." Mew Xiaoxi looked up at him. "I didn't eat breakfast this morning and it's almost 4 o'clock now. Aren't you hungry?" Mew Xiaomo touched her stomach. It would be a lie to say she wasn't hungry. He said, "Let's eat later. To celebrate this day, I'll cook for all the staff in the restaurant. How about that?" Okay. Mew Xiaoxi immediately put down her knife and fork. Before she went to university, her older brother always cooked for her at home. Now that I think about it, it's been more than a month since I've eaten his cooking. At this moment, Mew Xiaoxi couldn't wait to eat the food Mew Xiaomo had made. A moment later, Mew Baining finished her business and returned to his side. She said, "It's all booked. I ordered 1,000 steaks, 500 pieces of diced chicken, and 500 bottles of SWD red wine. Mew Baining has already made a plan to sell 500 meal sets tomorrow. However, there are only 3 chefs, and it's uncertain whether they can handle the workload. Of course, these chefs all have extensive experience in Western cuisine and can easily prepare several steaks at the same time, or even 5 or 6 steaks." Hearing her words, Mew Xiaomo nodded slightly. "Professor Mew, you've already made plans, huh? Your goal for tomorrow is to sell 500 meal sets." She nodded. "Yes, after all, you invited brother who." "That's true." In fact, Mew Xiaomo felt that 500 copies were definitely achievable. It is estimated that the Welsh restaurant will be completely blocked starting tomorrow morning. Mew Xiaomo: "Well then, Professor Mew, tomorrow will be tough, and today's events went quite smoothly, so let's get all the staff together for a meal to celebrate." Okay." Mew Baining nodded. Indeed, it's currently the National Day holiday, and although she paid triple wages, the employees have been working quite hard lately. "It's time for us to get together for a meal." Seeing that Mew Baining agreed, Mew Xiaomo smiled faintly and quickly said, "Then I'll go cook. Let's not have the 3 chefs cook today, let them rest." With that, Mew Xiaomo ran straight into the kitchen and told them about her plans for later. Mew Baining watched Mew Xiaomo's retreating figure and quickly followed, saying, "Hey, Xiaomo, I'll help you too." Soon, Mew Xiaomo and Mew Baining were busy in the kitchen. The 3 chefs and 10 employees of the restaurant rested in the lobby on the first floor. By this time, they had already closed the shop door. "We're not opening for business today. Business will definitely be very busy tomorrow. After dinner today, let the employees go home early and get a good rest tonight. Only by getting a good rest can you have more energy to work tomorrow." At 6:30 p.m., Mew Xiaomo and Mew Baining brought out the steaks one by one. He fried all the steaks, and there were some other Western side dishes prepared by Mew Baining. Each of the 16 people present had a steak. Mew Baining wasn't worried about losing money. At this point, she already considered these employees as her family. Mew Xiaomo brought over a few more bottles of beer. Although it was a little strange to pair Western food with beer, they were all family, so no one was too particular about it. The meal lasted until 8 p.m., after which the waiters cleaned up and went home. After everyone left, most of the lights in the restaurant were turned off. At this point, only Mew Xiaomo, Mew Baining, and Mew Xiaoxi remained in the store. At this moment, Mew Xiaoxi felt a little superfluous. She grinned, looked at her brother and Mew Baining, and then said, brother, I'm a little sleepy, so I'll go back to the hotel to rest first. Tomorrow morning I'm going to the cat cafe to pet the cats, and in the afternoon I'm going out with Wenwen. You don't need to worry about me." He nodded upon hearing Mew Xioxy's words. Perhaps because he had just drunk a bit too much, he felt dizzy. My own alcohol tolerance is pretty good, but there's no way around it. The three chefs' alcohol tolerance is just too damn good. Because he was the one who taught them his culinary skills, the three chefs were especially polite to them. Everyone kept toasting him. Mew Xiomo didn't think it was a refusal, so she got drunk and ended up in this mess. Of course, Mew Baining also drank quite a bit just now. As the boss, Mew Baining felt awkward refusing when her employees offered her a toast. Mew Xiomo looked at her younger sister and said, Zai, you should go back first. Be careful on your way back and go to bed early. Okay, I understand. Soon Mew Xioxy happily left. This left Mew Xiomo and Mew Baining plenty of time for themselves. Mew Xiomo looked at Mew Baining in a daze. Just then, Mew Baining turned her gaze to her. Perhaps because she had drunk too much, she leaned her head on Mew Xiomo's shoulder. The fragrance emanating from her body instantly filled Mew Xiomo's nostrils. After smelling this faint fragrance, Mew Xiomo immediately felt her mind become much clearer. Just then Mew Baining stammered, Xiomo, thank you for everything you've done for me. If it weren't for you, I might not even have this shop anymore. You're welcome, Professor Mew. Mew Xiomo didn't take it seriously, but just then, Mew Baining suddenly turned around and wrapped her arms around his neck. Well, Mew Xiomo was taken aback. It seemed that Mew Baining had drunk too much. He sounded confused when he spoke just now. Looking at Mew Baining's delicate face, Mew Xiomo's heart fluttered. Most importantly, their chests were pressed tightly together. He only felt a softness in his chest, a feeling that was particularly wonderful. Mew Baining had already closed her eyes. Looking at her red lips, Mew Xiomo took a deep breath. Damn, how can Mew Baining be so beautiful? Professor Mew, he called out. Mew Baining slowly opened her eyes. The two of them were very close together, and Mew Xiomo could even feel her breath. He couldn't help but wrap his arms around Mew Baining's slender waist and pull her into his embrace. With a faint smile, Mew Baining, whose senses were already numbed by alcohol, unconsciously leaned in for a kiss. The two kissed, and with the dim lighting, the atmosphere grew increasingly romantic. Mew Baining did not resist, perhaps because she had drunk too much and her brain had short-circuited. At first, Mew Xiomo was just testing the waters, but then, Mew Baining actually stuck out her tongue. This left Mew Xiomo somewhat bewildered. Good heavens, this. She suddenly stuck out her tongue, and Mew Xiomo really didn't react. But now that things have come to this, Mew Xiomo naturally has to go along with her. The two kissed passionately, and at the same time, Mew Xiomo couldn't help but think to herself, Professor Mew's breath smells so good, Tilda. Chapter 88. Judging from your expression, you really kissed him. After a long while, their lips gradually separated. Mew Baining opened her big, bright eyes and looked up slightly at Mew Xiomo's features. Then she smiled and said, Little Mo, do you like it this way? Like. Mew Xiomo nodded, and regardless of whether Mew Baining was willing or not, she kissed her again. Kissing can release dopamine, which produces a feeling of pleasure. This is exactly what Mew Baining and Mew Xiomo are like right now. They were each other's first love, and they were particularly curious about kissing. The atmosphere grew increasingly intimate. Mew Xiomo was quite skilled, and after a short while, Mew Baining began to feel a little short of breath. Xiomo, I can't take it anymore. Upon hearing this, Mew Xiomo reluctantly parted from her lips. Mew Baining gave him a disdainful look and lightly punched his chest. Little Mo, you're so annoying. He. Mew Xiomo's eyes were full of affection as he said, It's all because Professor Mew is so beautiful, I can't help but want to kiss you more. Mew Baining blushed and stared at Mew Xiomo expectantly. Don't you have anything to say to me? Actually, Mew Xiomo felt that confessing her feelings at this time was indeed a good idea. After all, the two of them had already kissed. At this point, Mew Baining should have no more concerns about him. Therefore, it is indeed appropriate to confess your feelings at this time. Confessing your feelings in advance, well, that's not entirely out of the question. Just as Mew Xiomo was about to confess to Mew Baining suddenly said, Never mind, I'm a little tired today, and I've drunk a bit too much. Xiomo, why don't you take me back to my dorm? Mew Xiomo was taken aback. Why did this girl suddenly change the subject again? I'll go get the clothes, you go turn off all the lights. After saying that, Mu Baining got up and left. Mu Ziomo sighed. This girl is so strange. Helpless, Mu Ziomo had no choice but to turn off the lights first. Before long, the two left the restaurant together. After locking the door, Mu Ziomo prepared to confess her feelings to Mu Baining on the way. But Liu Weiwei suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Sai, Ningning, you and Ziomo are here, Tilda. The two had only taken a few steps when Liu Weiwei suddenly darted out from behind them. Liu Weiwei is not a local of Shanghai. She did not go home during this holiday because of some school matters. These past 2 days, besides being busy with work, she's been lying around in her dorm like a corpse. I suddenly got hungry, so I came to the shopping street to buy some food. Unexpectedly, I ran into Mu Baining. She knew about Mu Baining's shop, but as her best friend, Liu Weiwei wouldn't come here to eat and drink for free. Even when she offered to help out at the store, Mu Baining refused. She's been spending a lot of time with Mu Ziomo lately, and Liu Weiwei didn't want to disturb their time together. Just then, when Liu Weiwei saw Mu Ziomo, she immediately revealed a mischievous smile. Oh my God, it looks like Ningning and Ziomo kissed. At this moment, Mu Ziomo had many lipstick marks on the corners of his mouth, but it seemed he was unaware of it. Liu Weiwei wouldn't tell Mu Ziomo about this without knowing the details, and Mu Baining's current appearance suggests she's been drinking. As she got closer, she smelled a strong odor of alcohol. Regardless, Liu Weiwei was extremely envious after seeing Mu Baining get out of being single. She quickly went to support Mu Baining. Ningning, have you been drinking? Why did you drink so much? No, I didn't drink much. Mu Baining shook her head, feeling somewhat unwilling. Why is this dog, Vivi, showing up at this time? Although Mu Baining is usually quite aloof, she becomes rather clingy once she has found someone she likes. Especially someone like Mu Ziomo, who is both handsome and talented. You still say you don't? I can smell it. I just bought rice cakes and your favorite pig's trotters. Shall we eat them together when we get back? Mu Baining rolled her eyes. Who likes to eat pig's trotters? Ever since Liu Weiwei arrived, Mu Ziomo has found that she can't get a word in edgewise. It seems my confession has fallen through. Mu Ziomo's face darkened. Soon, they entered the Magic Science University and arrived at the crossroads where they were about to part ways. Liu Weiwei said with a grin, Little Mo, I'm taking your girlfriend home today. I'll have her keep you company again tomorrow. Okay, please take good care of Professor Mu for me. Mu Ziomo felt like a million alpacas were stampeding through her mind. If it weren't for Liu Weiwei suddenly appearing, she would have already started a relationship with Professor Mu. Call. Liu Weiwei greeted him and left with Mu Baining. Mu Ziomo didn't think much of it and headed straight for the dormitory. After opening the dormitory door, just as Mu Ziomo had expected, Huang Wenxu and Bai Yuntao were playing games as usual. As science and engineering nerds, they seemed to spend all their time playing video games. Even Mu Ziomo doubted how these two guys got into the Magic University. After all, it's a 211 and 985 key university. How can someone who plays games all day get into such a university? Upon hearing the door open, Huang Wenxu turned his head. When he saw the lipstick on Mu Ziomo's lips, he uttered a phrase from traditional Chinese culture. Holy crap! Huang Wenxu was startled by Mu Ziomo's appearance. Bai Yuntao turned his head, and like Huang Wenxu, also uttered a phrase related to traditional Chinese culture. Holy crap! Mu Ziomo frowned. What's wrong with these two? Why are they talking about traditional Chinese culture as soon as I got back? He looked like he'd seen a ghost. What's wrong? Mu Ziomo looked at her two good sons with the eyes of someone looking at an idiot, while Huang Wenxu revealed a mischievous smile. Brother Mo, you've got quite the wild side, haven't you? Which girl have you been fooling around with this time? Just as Mu Ziomo was about to offer him some words of comfort, Bai Yuntao also said, Brother Mo, did you kiss Professor Mu? What? Hearing this, Mu Ziomo felt a pang of panic. How did this guy know? Could it be that a hidden camera was installed on him? Eavesdropping device. Seeing Mu Ziomo's stunned expression, Bai Yuntao exclaimed in surprise, Holy crap, judging from your expression, you really kissed him. Xing, you've already gotten Professor Mu. Why didn't you wipe the lipstick off your lips? Recently, Mu Ziomo has been away from the dormitory. He goes out early in the morning and doesn't come back until noon. There are even paparazzi on campus who have taken photos of him and Mu Baining together. Bai Yuntao knew that Mu Ziomo had been spending a lot of time with Professor Mu recently. Mu Ziomo was a little confused after hearing Bai Yuntao's words. Lipstick, what lipstick? P.S. Thanks to Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. For the two Chinese letter, Chinese letter. Showy impressive, gifts. Huh, why did you choose this name? Please give me some flowers. I finished tidying up the bed today, and I should be able to resume updates soon if nothing unexpected happens. Thank you so much to all the gentlemen who sent flowers and gifts. Xiaming is deeply grateful. Chapter 89, you've already gotten lipstick on your lips from kissing someone else, and you're still pretending not to know. Stop pretending. Bai Yuntao rolled his eyes. Damn it, you got lipstick on your lips from kissing someone else, and you're still pretending not to know. Mu Xiaomo said she really didn't know, but after hearing Bai Yuntao's words, she immediately realized what was going on. Holy crap, could it be? Mu Xiaomo had already realized that she might have gotten Mu Baining's lipstick on her lips. After all, Mu Baining had put on a very beautiful makeup today to welcome the store visit expert. So Mu Xiaomo quickly ran into the bathroom. When he saw himself in the mirror, he was immediately speechless. That's right, his mouth was covered in lipstick at that moment. It's so beautiful, it's almost unbelievable, like a ghost. Mu Baining did reapply her lipstick after finishing her meal. The lipstick on her lips probably hadn't dried yet at that time. Then I kissed her. Whatever, Tilda. Mu Xiaomo didn't take it seriously, and Huang Wengsu and Bai Yunt also knew about his relationship with Mu Baining. Perhaps they'll only be slightly shocked at this moment. Someone like him, who managed to date his own professor, is definitely a first at Magic University. Nowadays, free love is encouraged, and schools won't interfere with this matter. Mu Xiaomo turned on the faucet, and then vigorously rubbed the corners of her mouth with her hands. He discovered this lipstick is actually waterproof. No matter how hard I rub, I just can't get it down. It even got smeared all over, and instead of falling off, the area actually got bigger. At this moment, Mu Xiaomo's face darkened, because he knew that his younger sister often wore makeup and that her lipstick was waterproof. To remove lipstick, you must use makeup remover. He remembered that Bai Yuntao had applied BB cream to his face when school started, so Mu Xiaomo ran out immediately. The two older boys outside chuckled when they saw Mu Xiaomo's current appearance. Bai Yuntao raised an eyebrow at Mu Xiaomo and said, "Brother Mo, that kiss was pretty hard, wasn't it?" "What? You can't wash it off." "Stop talking nonsense. Lend me your makeup remover." Oh ho, Tilda. Bai Yuntao didn't expect Mu Xiaomo to know these things, so he continued, "Brother Mo, I didn't expect you to want to know this." He grinned mischievously. It's not that I can't use it, but you have to show some appreciation, right?" Seeing Bai Yuntao's current state, Mu Xiaomo's face darkened. This dog actually took advantage of the situation. But since the makeup remover was with them, Mu Xiaomo had no choice but to say, "Let's have a good meal at the bottom of the water." "No, no, no," Bai Yuntao shook his head. "Just give me your sister's WeChat." "What the hell?" Mu Xiaomo frowned. "Damn it, I didn't expect this guy to still be thinking about his sister. He doesn't deserve to be his brother-in-law." Mu Xiaomo thought about it carefully and realized that with his weak appearance, he couldn't catch up with his sister. He nodded. "Okay, I'll send you my sister's WeChat later." "That won't do later." Bai Yuntao shook his head, afraid that Mu Xiaomo would change her mind. "Who knows if you'll change your mind later? Just push it to me now, and I'll just give you my bottle of makeup remover. I bought the makeup remover for 399 yuan and only used it once or twice. You're getting a great deal. I'll make your money." Mu Xiaomo glared at him, then took out her phone and pushed it towards Mu Xiaoxi. Then she sent a message to her sister. "Sis, there's some idiot in my dorm who insists on adding you on WeChat. You don't have to accept." Bai Yuntao, standing to the side, nodded with satisfaction after Mu Xiaomo pushed her sister's WeChat contact over. Then he opened the locked cabinet and took out the bottle of makeup remover. After Mu Xiaomo took the makeup remover, she quickly ran into the bathroom to wash off the lipstick from his lips. Meanwhile, Bai Yuntao outside also added Mu Xiaoxi immediately. On the other side, Mu Xiaoxi had just finished showering when Yali's phone on the bed suddenly rang. She picked up her phone, and at that moment her brother sent her a message on WeChat. There was another friend request. She first clicked into her brother's chat window, and was a little confused when she saw that her brother wouldn't let her agree. Why not get her to agree? "I won't." Mu Xiaoxi agreed without much thought. Bai Yuntao, who was in the dormitory, was delighted to see that Mu Xiaoxi agreed almost instantly. Then he typed quickly with both hands and sent the 3 words, "condom." "Depend on." Bai Yuntao's hand trembled, and he mistyped his own name. Before he could even retract his message, Mu Zioxi sent 3 question marks. Seeing this, Bai Yuntao felt extremely distressed. He quickly explained, "Hello, my name is Bai Yuntao. I made a typo." Buff, Mu Zioxi is a funny girl, and she was laughing so hard she couldn't stop. Bai Yuntao, that's a strange name. Mu Zioxi, haha, your name is really unique. Bai Yuntao thought Mu Zioxi would ignore him because of this, but seeing Mu Zioxi's reaction, he thought it was not bad. His sister is so easy to talk to. Soon Bai Yuntao and Mu Zioxi started chatting. Because he and Mu Ziomo shared a dorm room, he sent her a bunch of unflattering photos of Mu Ziomo. Mu Zioxi posted a lot more ha. After all, she really enjoys collecting her brother's memes. We can use these things to threaten Mu Ziomo in the future. About 10 minutes later, Mu Ziomo finally staggered out of the restroom. I have to say, this lipstick is damn hard to wash off. It took me more than 10 minutes of wiping with makeup remover to completely clean it. This makeup remover is of extremely poor quality, and it costs 399. Pshaw. Soon, Mu Ziomo got into bed. When he opened his phone and saw the WeChat message, he was stunned. At this moment, Mu Zioxi sent him a number of photos, all of which were unflattering pictures of him taken by Huang Wenxu and Bai Yuntao. He had seen these photos before. Huang Wenxu and Bai Yuntao used to show off in front of him, letting him see their unflattering photos. Mu Ziomo's face darkened. Without even guessing, she knew that this must have been sent by Bai Yuntao to Mu Zioxi. After all, no one else added Mu Zioxi. As for why her younger sister accepted Bai Yuntao's friend request, Mu Ziomo was not surprised. He knew his sister's personality all too well. The more he forbade her to do something, the more determined she was to do it. Cough, cough. Mu Ziomo coughed and said, "Tauzi, you're really something. You only added my sister a few minutes ago, and you've already posted all my embarrassing photos." Upon hearing this, Bai Yuntao's face darkened. Damn it, he clearly told Mu Zioxi not to send it to Mu Ziomo. This girl is so untrustworthy. The main thing is that she also promised not to send it. Bai Yuntao turned his gaze to Mu Ziomo, scratching his head as he said, "WH? What photos? I don't know." "Stop pretending." Mu Ziomo looked at him with disdain. "Mu Zioxi betrayed you a long time ago, sending my ugly photos to my sister. You're something else." Banged. Mu Ziomo had already jumped off the bed. A dark shadow enveloped Bai Yuntao, and soon a scream came from the dormitory. "Ah, Brother Mo was wrong. I'll never do it again." Oh my God, don't touch me here." Chapter 90, How did Mu Ziomo know her birthday was coming up? A moment later, Mu Ziomo returned to bed. As for Bai Yuntao, Huang Wenxu and Mu Ziomo had already flown him away. He was clutching his precious baby, howling in pain. After all, getting someone else's bed must feel really great. Huang Wenxu looked at Bai Yuntao with a grin. Last time, he was the one who got fired by Bai Yuntao. This time, we've finally gotten our revenge. Mu Ziomo didn't take Bai Yuntao's posting of his unflattering photos seriously. It's just that Mu Zioxi will threaten him in the future. It doesn't matter anymore. Mu Zioxi sent him a bunch of useless nonsense again, but Mu Ziomo simply ignored her messages. Just then, Mu Ziomo suddenly noticed that he had inexplicably gained a new friend on WeChat. His name is Brother Hu. Just then, Brother Hu suddenly sent him a voice message. When Mu Ziomo clicked on it, Brother Hu's voice came through the phone. "Brother Ziomo, I've already posted the promotional video on all the major platforms and pinned it to the top. You can follow me on Douyin, Weibo, etc. also. I wish your girlfriend's store great success." Upon hearing his voice, Mu Ziomo took a deep breath. "Is that all?" Just as Mu Ziomo was about to open Douyin, Huang Wenxu spoke up below. "Brother Mo, what promotional video is this? Wait, why does the voice on your phone sound so much like my idol Brother Hu?" Mu Ziomo was taken aback. It seemed that Huang Wenxu was unaware that Brother Hu had come to visit the store today. He had already learned in advance that when Huji got out of the car today, many people took photos with their mobile phones and even uploaded them to Weibo, Taiba, and other software. Surprisingly, Huang Wenxu didn't know. He responded, "You misheard. There are plenty of people in the world whose voices sound like Brother Hu." "That's true." Huang Wenxu didn't think much of it, while Mu Ziomo had already opened Weibo. After finding Huji, who has celebrity verification, sure enough, his pinned Weibo post has become today's restaurant review video. After briefly watching the video, I found that the content was completely different from what was filmed today. The video uses a lot of special effects, such as slamming a table and sending the steak flying, as well as some particularly exaggerated effects. In short, this advertisement is of exceptionally high quality. Then there were many photos of Welsh restaurants, and the Weibo post also included the location of a Welsh restaurant. At this point, the Weibo post had already garnered an astonishing 2.5 million likes, especially considering that the post had only been published for a short period of just over 10 minutes. That number of likes is absolutely terrifying. Huji has over 70 million followers on Weibo, and an estimated 300 million across the entire internet. It's fair to say that 1 out of the 4 is a fan of Brother Who. It would be strange if Mew Baining's shop didn't do well tomorrow. Just then, the system's voice suddenly appeared. Ding, because the host hugged the celebrity Huji today, it has been posted online. In order to avoid causing trouble in your life, the host can choose to clear all the photos posted online and delete everyone's memories. His tilde, upon hearing the system's voice, Mew Ziomo gasped. It can also erase memories, which is really nice. After deletion, apart from you, Mew Zioxy, Mew Baining, and all the staff of the Welsh restaurant, no outsiders will have any memory or information about this matter. The restaurant visit will not be affected. Yes, Mew Ziomo chose yes, without hesitation, and deleted. After all, this is no small matter. He knows Brother Who, and if he gets surrounded by people, it will be troublesome. Therefore, it's better to delete the records related to this matter. Deleted. After the system finished speaking, Mew Ziomo felt that nothing had changed around her. However, it is true that Brother Who promoted them. He jumped out of bed, went to the dormitory hallway, and dialed Mew Baining's number. She drank a bit too much tonight. I wonder how she is now. Anyway, let's tell her the good news. After the phone rang twice, Mew Baining answered it. Hey, Ziomo, why did you suddenly decide to call me? Mew Baining seemed to be in good spirits and had mostly sobered up. What can I call you if there's nothing wrong? I miss. Mew Ziomo spoke in a particularly greasy tone, and upon hearing his voice, Mew Baining immediately felt a tingling sensation in her heart. She didn't have time to think about whether he was greasy or not. All Mew Baining felt at that moment was that his voice was very pleasant to listen to. His voice was very magnetic and pleasant to the ear. It's a song you can listen to endlessly without getting tired of it. But she still said, "Gee, you smooth talker, just tell me what you want." Hee, Mew Ziomo chuckled. Dear Professor Mew, take a look at Brother Who's Weibo. He's already made the promotional video. I just watched it, and the effect is fantastic. Hello, dear Professor Mew. Upon hearing this, Mew Baining's first thought wasn't to check Weibo. That was the first thing Mew Ziomo said. He should be in his dorm right now. To be honest, she doesn't want anyone else to know about their relationship. Mew Baining quickly asked, Are you in your dorm right now? Your roommates are all here, don't let them hear us. Mew Baining's tone was a little urgent, and Mew Ziomo chuckled after hearing this. Don't worry, Professor Mew, I'm in the hallway right now. He turned his head and glanced around. There's no one around, no one can hear us. Phew, Mew Baining breathed a sigh of relief. That's good, that's good. Let's not make our relationship public for now. Upon hearing his words, Mew Ziomo realized that Mew Baining had already fallen for his trap. He asked, Relationship? What relationship? Professor Mew, are you confessing your feelings to me? If you pursue me, I might reluctantly agree. Mew Baining was stunned when she heard this. Reluctantly, I agree. Hey Tui, Mew Ziomo is getting bolder and bolder. Have I been too nice to her lately? Seeing that Mew Baining hadn't said anything, Mew Ziomo chuckled. His survival instincts were strong, and he quickly said, Professor Mew, I was just joking. It's almost your birthday, and I'll definitely prepare a big surprise for you then. I'm calling you today to tell you that Brother Who has already started promoting us. Go check out his Weibo. I'll hang up now. After saying that, Mew Ziomo hung up the phone. Mew Baining was a little confused. How did Mew Ziomo know her birthday was coming up? And what was that birthday surprise he mentioned? P.S. Thank you, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, for the gift. And thank you to everyone who sent flowers and gifts. And that other one, if all else fails, we can change the name. Chapter 91, the toilet plunger almost stabbed him in the face. After Mew Ziomo mentioned his birthday, Mew Baining became curious. The main issue is that she never mentioned it was about her birthday, but she didn't think too much about it. After all, if Mew Ziomo liked her, Kendi would know all about her and her interests. There are only 6 days left until my birthday. 6 days will pass in the blink of an eye, so there's no need to worry about what gift Mew Ziomo should give her. There are still 3 days left in the National Day holiday. In these 3 days, I should focus my attention on my own shop. She quickly opened Weibo and found Brother Who. Just as Muzaya Omo said, Brother Who has indeed posted the promotional video on Weibo. At this moment, Liu Weiwei is taking a shower in the bathroom. If she sees Hu Ji's Weibo post and sees him promoting her shop, I wonder what Weiwei will think. Mu Baining rubbed her head. Oh well, I'd better go to sleep first. On the other side, after finishing her call, Muzaya Omo stood outside in a daze for a while before heading back to her dorm to shower and go to sleep. But as soon as he turned his head, he suddenly found Huang Wenxu and Bai Yuntao looking at him with smug expressions. He was startled when he saw the two guys. No, he had specifically looked around when he was on the phone with Mu Baining, and there was no one there. Why did these two grown men suddenly appear at this time? Noticing Muzaya Omo's unusual expression, Huang Wenxu chuckled. Brother Mo, you're really something. Were you just on the phone with Professor Mu? Muzaya Omo was stunned. Damn it, these two bastards were actually eavesdropping on his phone call. You guys seem to be talking about Brother Who. Huang Wenxu shook his head. No, not Brother Who you just said. You wanted to give Professor Mu a birthday present. Isn't her birthday coming up soon? Huang Wenxu never even considered Muzaya Omo to be Hu Ji. Although Hu Ji was handsome, he was 1,000,000 times less handsome than him. But how could he possibly know such an awesome celebrity? No, you misheard. Muzaya Omo rolled her eyes, bypassed Huang Wenxu and Bai Yuntao, and walked straight into the dormitory. At this moment, Huang Wenxu said, Brother Mo, don't be like this. As your brother, I just wanted to give you some advice. I feel that you can prepare a special surprise for her and then formally confess to Mu Baining. Upon hearing this, Muzaya Omo did not have such thoughts. Confessing her feelings is her business. Her two good sons don't need to worry about it. Muzaya Omo returned to her dormitory, and just then the system's voice came through. The host can listen to your roommate's advice. The more elaborate the confession, the higher Mu Baining's affection for you will be. When the favorability reaches a certain level, there will be exclusive favorability rewards. Upon hearing the system's voice, Muzaya Omo's face darkened. This is allowed. Does he really intend for his roommates to witness their public displays of affection when he confesses his love to Mu Baining? Actually, Muzaya Omo was afraid that Mu Baining would be angry, since this girl didn't want to announce their relationship. If you bring your roommate along, Muzaya Omo felt a little annoyed by the thought, so she simply stopped thinking about it. Huang Wenxu and Bai Yuntao didn't say anything more, after all. Muzaya Omo's flying skills were really amazing. He's all alone, and he can fly someone else's plane without any problem. Therefore, one should follow one's heart when it is time to do so. After taking off her clothes, Muzaya Omo ran into the bathroom to take a shower. Tomorrow was destined to be a busy day, so she decided to get some rest early. As for Bai Yuntao and Muzaya Oxy had already noticed that he seemed to have taken a liking to her, so she used her intelligence to directly become sworn brothers with Bai Yuntao. That's right, they've become brothers. The next day at 6:30 in the morning, Muzaya Omo stretched, yawned, and then slowly opened her eyes. Muzaya Omo got up quietly, without disturbing her two roommates who were still sleeping. After a quick wash, he ran out. Muzaya Omo wanted to see how effective Brother Whose promotion was. Of course, he only came out to find Muzaya Oxy and to check out the results. The Western restaurant is not open in the morning, and there are very few people eating there at noon. It's only in the evening that it gets quite busy. Lighting a candle and having a candlelight dinner together is indeed very romantic. He couldn't help but pause as he passed the Welsh restaurant. There were indeed more than a dozen people loitering around here. Seeing that the store was not yet open, they quickly left. Most of the people who came were students from the neighborhood, mostly girls. After all, Huji has a lot of female fans, and quite a few male fans too. It's normal that there weren't many people since it was early. It seems this promotion was particularly effective. After a quick glance, Muzaya Omo headed towards a hotel on this commercial street. The store must be very busy today. He doesn't know if the store has enough staff, so he plans to kidnap his sister and use her as free labor. This girl is not very strong. She should exercise more, and today is a good opportunity. Because it was he who booked the room for Muzaya Oxy, Muzaya Omo knew about it. Upon arriving at room 603 of the Akka Hotel, Muzaya Omo gently knocked on the door. Knock, knock, knock. Muzaya Omo didn't say anything. At this moment, Muzaya Oxy had just come out of the bathroom after washing up. She was startled when she heard the knock on the door. Who is it? Who's knocking on her door so early in the morning? It would be a lie to say that a girl living alone in a strange place isn't afraid. The main problem was that Xuan Wenwen hadn't told her she was coming to visit, so Mu Xiaoxi immediately chickened out. She picked up the toilet plunger and slowly walked to the door. Who is it? She gripped the plunger tightly with both hands, ready to shove it into his face if he forced his way in. Mu Xiaomo, who was outside, could tell that Mu Xiaoxi was a little sinful, so he lowered his voice and said, "You're Mu Xiaoxi, right? Your brother ordered takeout for you. Please open the door and get it." Mu Xiaoxi was taken aback. Her brother had ordered takeout for her. Did she get takeout? The main problem is that he didn't tell her either. Mu Xiaoxi unlocked the door with some skepticism, then opened it a crack. There was no one outside, and just then, Mu Xiaomo suddenly pushed open the door. "Girl, look." Before he could finish speaking, he saw a red toilet plunger shoved towards his face. Holy crap! Mu Xiaomo quickly stepped back, her body crashing directly into the door behind her. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. He touched his pounding heart. Damn it, Mu Xiaoxi has no sportsmanship. She almost stabbed him in the face with a plunger. At this moment, Mu Xiaoxi also saw Mu Xiaomo. She murmured, brother, it's you." P.S. Mu Xiaoxi will not be with Bai Yuntao, no way. He doesn't deserve her. Chapter 92. Customer traffic is off the charts, there aren't enough ingredients. Damn it. Mu Xiaomo's face darkened. Sis, the way you're handling this is torture. You're just stabbing someone with a toilet plunger. How could you even think of that? HMPH? Mu Xiaoxi snorted and rolled her eyes. Who told you to scare me? Let me tell you, if I hadn't just come out of the bathroom after washing up, I definitely would have sprayed you with pepper spray. Mu Xiaomo frowned. Pepper spray? You still have that stuff. What else? Mu Xiaoxi looked at her brother's dazed expression. My dad gave it to me. He told me to protect myself when I'm out and about. Who gave you this? And you even scared your sister. How annoying. I was just joking. Mu Xiaomo looked at the toilet plunger in her hand. All right, my dear sister, quickly put the toilet plunger back. Brother, come in. The two of them entered the room. Mu Xiaoxi put the toilet plunger back in the bathroom, while Mu Xiaomo was already sitting on the bed. A moment later, Mu Xiaoxi came over with a comb and sat down naturally next to Mu Xiaomo. Brother, comb my hair, Tilda. Okay, Tilda. He has been helping his younger sister comb her hair since he was in elementary school. It has become a habit. Since it was a rare opportunity for the two of them to be together, Mu Xiaoxi would never miss a chance to slack off. While combing her hair, Mu Xiaomo said, Bai Yuntao added you on WeChat yesterday. You know what he's thinking. Let me tell you. You can't be in a relationship right now, understand? Oh, Mu Xiaoxi said oh and then continued, why can you date but I can't? Dad said the same thing. Because you're too naive. You get scammed and then you're even helping the scammers count their money. Mu Xiaoxi rolled her eyes. Don't worry, brother, I'll listen to Dad and you. Also, I really don't like that classmate of yours named Bai Yuntao. He's too submissive. I still prefer guys with a more masculine spirit. As she spoke, the girl reached behind her and poked his abs. Mu Xiaomo felt itchy, but he wouldn't let her touch it. This girl had been craving his abs since she was little. He heard from his dad that his mom had been like that before. He nodded, yes, you should find a boyfriend like your brother. Wait until you graduate from university to find one. I'll help you vet him then. In any case, it's best to ignore Bai Yuntao. Don't worry, bro. We've already become sworn brothers and I'm going back to Kyoto soon. I'll delete him from my contacts later. But I got to see your ugly photos for free. That feels pretty good, hee. Mu Xiaomo didn't say much, and Mu Xiaoxi wouldn't spread his photos around. Mu Xiaomo styled her sister's hair into a high ponytail. Looking at her fair cheeks, Mu Xiaomo couldn't help but flick it with her finger. It's done. Let's go downstairs for dinner. Only when we're full will we have the energy to work, right? What? Get to work. Mu Xiaoxi was completely bewildered. Wait a minute, she didn't seem to have agreed to do any work. Dame Tilda. Mu Xiaoxi crossed her arms and shook her head heavily. So Mu Xiaomo took out 5 banknotes from her pocket. These 5 banknotes were the ones Mu Baining had thrown in his face back then. Black circle, upon seeing the banknotes, Mu Xiaoxi's expression immediately changed. I don't have anything else to do today, so I'll reluctantly help you. She snatched the banknotes from Mu Xiaomo's hand and said, Brother, the money doesn't matter. I mainly want to help my future sister-in-law. Then give me back my money. No, Tilda, Mu Xiaoxi put the money directly into her plaid skirt pocket, afraid that Mu Xiaomo would change her mind and want it back. Yes, that's right. Girls' JK plaid skirts have pockets. Surely no one doesn't know that. Wait, how did Xiaming know that? Letter 2C7, letter 2C7. Could it be? After packing her things, Mu Zioxy approached Mu Ziomo with a grin and asked, "Brother, what are we going to eat for breakfast?" Soy milk and fried dough sticks, I guess. No, I want to go eat at Shuidi Lao, a type of hot pot. Who the hell eats hot pot this early in the morning? In the end, Mu Ziomo couldn't resist Mu Zioxy's insistence and ended up having hot pot with her. The owner had to come and open the door specifically for us, so we were forced to open. 10:00 a.m. The area outside the Welsh restaurant was already packed with people. A line of people had already formed outside the store, with hundreds waiting to dine. The restaurant was completely full, and the waiters were constantly walking around. The chefs were the ones who had the worst time. After all, with only 3 chefs and hundreds of customers, they simply can't keep up. Chef Huang was simultaneously frying 20 steaks, but his movements were not chaotic. It's safe to say that he's incredibly skilled at frying 20 steaks at the same time. Mu Baining was also in the kitchen. He took a deep breath through the kitchen window. She had expected a lot of people to come today, but she didn't expect there to be so many. The first floor can accommodate about 50 people, while the second floor is larger and can accommodate 80 or 90 people. Today's guests are mostly people who came after seeing Brother Hu's Weibo posts, and they ordered the set meals recommended by Brother Hu. The main thing is, Mu Baining only prepared 500 set meals today. It's 10 a.m. now, and she feels that in 2 or 3 hours, after 2 or 3 groups of customers come and go, the store's ingredients will be completely used up. The main thing is that the ingredients are delivered by a designated person every morning, which... Mu Ziomo glanced at Mu Baining, then at the busy chef, and said, "Professor Mu, I'll go help the chef. I feel a bit overwhelmed outside, too. You can go and take a look." After saying that, Mu Ziomo didn't say anything more and ran straight to the stove to help. Looking at Mu Ziomo so attentively, Mu Baining's eyes were filled with love. She didn't have time to think much and quickly got busy after leaving the kitchen. Although she is the owner of the shop, there are just too many customers and the shop is too popular, so she can only act as a waitress. But when she thought about the store's sales figures, Mu Baining couldn't help but smile. She was worried that the shop wouldn't succeed, but now she has no worries at all. Mu Ziomo's help this time was truly immense. After I finish these busy days, I must give him some gifts. So, what kind of gifts do guys like these days? 3090T. PS5. While scrolling through Douyin, TikTok, Mu Baining came across a boy's wish list. These things are for playing games. I just don't know if Mu Ziomo likes playing games. P.S. Thanks to Xiaming South City for the amazing certification. Thank you so much to everyone who sent gifts and flowers. I'm so grateful. Chapter 93, HMPH. You've forgotten your sister now that you have a wife. I despise you. Mu Baining shook her head. She felt that Mu Ziomo probably wasn't someone who liked playing video games. But buying these things will allow him to relax a bit after class or during his free time. Also, you can ask Mu Zioxy what kind of gifts he likes. Siblings must know each other's preferences very well. Let's talk about it later. Next, Mu Baining got busy in the shop. Many of the people eating at the restaurant were students from the Magic Science University. Some of them had seen her before, while others didn't. At that moment, several classmates were curiously talking about her. Hey, that looks like a professor from our school. Do university professors these days take on side jobs in their spare time? Possibly, after all, nobody dislikes having more money. That's true, but why doesn't she become a tutor? Tutoring would definitely pay more than working as a part-time waitress. Who knows, maybe this shop belongs to her. That's hilarious, impossible. Have you ever seen a boss work as a waiter himself? 2. The shopkeepers chatted about all sorts of things, while the waiters bustled about, never having a moment to rest. Although the chefs are extremely busy, they take their meals to heart. If they manage the business well, Boss Mu will definitely be able to give them a raise. The shop remained packed, and by noon, all 500 set meals prepared by Mu Baining had been sold out. The store continued to be filled with customers, and the cashiers at the counter were actively communicating with them, encouraging them to order something else or come back another day. Some customers complained, but there was nothing they could do. Finally, the kitchen was less busy, and Mu Ziomo could take a break. Mu Zioxy wiped the sweat from her forehead and walked in. Although the restaurant had air conditioning, she was exhausted from constantly moving around and never stopping. After walking in, She stood directly under the central air conditioning unit in the kitchen to enjoy the cool air. "It's so hot, it's killing me, bro." "Then take a break." Seeing Mu Xyroxy looking like a dog in the heat, he chuckled and quickly handed him a wet wipe. Mu Xyroxy wiped the sweat from her forehead, and just then the kitchen door opened. It's Mu Baining. She wasn't in much better shape. Her hair was now plastered tightly to her forehead, and the sleeves of her white shirt were practically touching her skin. Fortunately, she was wearing an apron, so her condition couldn't be seen. Otherwise, there would definitely be many people spying on her. Seeing this, Musayomo went over and took out a wet wipe to wipe the sweat from her forehead. Although there were 3 chefs watching over the kitchen, Musayomo didn't take it seriously at all. Since the 2 of us are going to be together anyway, why should we care about what other people think? Mu Baining was also a little confused by the sudden scene. Before she could speak, Mu Xyroxy said angrily from the side, "Sister-in-law, I don't even get this treatment. My brother just gave me wet wipes and told me to wipe myself." Mu Xyomo, you and she are different. HMPH, you've forgotten your sister now that you have a wife. I despise you. Mu Xyroxy rolled her eyes, and at that moment Mu Baining took the wet wipe from his hand. "I can do it myself. You've been working hard for 2 or 3 hours. Take a break." Looking through the kitchen window, Mu Xyomo noticed that there were no more customers coming in. He asked, "Have we sold out of 500 servings for today? It's lunchtime now, are you not continuing?" Mu Baining shook her head. "The shop's popularity has exceeded my expectations, and the word of mouth is quite good. We've run out of materials, so let's reopen tomorrow. I found that many things are not reasonable, so I'll straighten them out." That works too." At this moment, Mu Baining turned her attention to Mu Xyroxy and asked, "Little Xyroxy, you've been busy for so long, you must be tired. What would you like to eat for lunch? Tell me and I'll treat you, okay?" Sure, Tilda Mu Xyroxy didn't stand on ceremony at all, especially towards her future sister-in-law. Her eyes darted around in their sockets before she spoke. Sister-in-law, I want to eat seafood. I want to eat abalone, lobster, and crab." "Come on, I'll take you there, Tilda." Seeing her looking so eager, Mu Baining chuckled. "Although abalone, lobster, and crab are not cheap in Shanghai, we sold 500 set meals today, which means, after deducting rent, utilities, and other costs, the profit is over 150,000 yuan. Mu Baining had never even dreamed of such a turnover. 150,000 a day, 1.5 million in 10 days, 15 million in 100 days, and 150 million in a year. That's right, Mu Baining's math was taught by her PE teacher. Of course, this achievement is entirely thanks to Mu Xyomo. Mu Baining had already decided that once the 2 of them had established and stabilized their relationship, she would give the shop to Mu Xyomo. Let him be the shop owner. Then he was put in charge of managing all the store's assets. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. It was based on her long-term observation that she had determined Mu Xyomo was a very reliable person. At this moment, Mu Baining turned her gaze to Mu Xyomo. "Momo, you should come along too." Okay." Actually, Mu Xyomo would prefer to go with Mu Baining alone. Although having her sister around wouldn't have a big impact, it would still affect their time together. "It doesn't matter anymore." Mu Xyomo shook her head. Mu Xyroxy would be going back to Kyoto tomorrow. "The next time we meet will probably be during the spring festival." And his father, it's been over a month since school started, and the 2 of them have only spoken on the phone once. They didn't even send him his living expenses for October. Luckily, he's made a little money now. Otherwise, he'd be living off Mu Baining. Mu Baining explained some things to the shop's employees and chefs, then left the shop with him and Xyrozai. Soon, the 3 arrived at the parking lot of the commercial street and got into Mu Baining's BMW Mini. This time, Mu Baining was driving, and Mu Xyroxy sat in the passenger seat, leaving him in the back. After about half an hour's drive, we arrived at the Bund in Shanghai. The distance isn't far, but there's a huge traffic jam here. They spent a very long time looking for a parking space. Soon, Mu Baining led Mu Xyroxy and Mu Xyomo into a very high-end seafood buffet restaurant in the area. The price alone is 14.99 yuan per person. Mu Baining didn't feel bad about earning 150,000 yuan in 2 or 3 hours. Once inside, Mu Xyroxy immediately picked up a large lobster, along with salmon sashimi and other items, without any hesitation. Mu Xyomo and Mu Baining laughed beside them, thinking, "This girl seems so naive." However, these delicacies are indeed very tempting. The 3 of them were all close friends and quickly began to enjoy the meal. After the meal, Mu Baining suddenly suggested, Zyro Mo and Zyro Zai, you're both free this afternoon, right? Let's go shopping. I want to buy you some clothes. Upon hearing this, Mu Omo revealed a mischievous smile. Matching outfits, great. One letter FF89. Chapter 94, Mu Baining's generous spending. Mu Baining did not respond after hearing his words. She imagined what it would be like to wear matching outfits with Mu Omo at school, and felt a little uncomfortable. Wearing matching outfits to teach your classmates, that would be so weird. That's outrageous. She shook her head emphatically. She couldn't possibly wear matching outfits with Mu Omo. Well, it's not that it's impossible, but you can't wear it at school. For the entire afternoon, Mu Baining accompanied the two siblings, Mu Omo and Mu Zyroxy, shopping together. Mu Baining is generous and not stingy at all. She is exceptionally magnanimous. She insisted on getting Mu Zyroxy a brand new pear-shaped phone, bought her several very pretty dresses, and even bought her favorite seashell Lolita dress. This dress costs over 3,000 yuan. It's ridiculously expensive. That's not the point. The point is that she also bought Mu Omo a watch worth over 10,000 yuan. Although Mu Omo and Mu Zyroxy both said no, they couldn't stop this girl at all. Even the shop assistants looked on with envy. They've seen simps buy girls all sorts of things and fawn over them. But this is the first time I've ever seen a girl buy something for a boy. This was the first time such a thing had happened to Mu Omo. He was a little stunned by Mu Baining's sudden enthusiasm. Just a month ago, she was a goddess as cold as ice. Now, Mu Omo feels like she's being kept by a sugar daddy. It wasn't until 8 p.m. that she had dinner with Mu Omo and Mu Zyroxy, before dropping them off at the entrance of the Magic Science University. Today, Mu Baining's father, Mu Changle, said he needed to talk to her, so he dropped Mu Omo and Mu Zyroxy off at the entrance of Magic Science University, and then drove away. At this time, there were still many students coming and going at the entrance of Magic Science University. Even standing side by side like this, Mu Omo and Mu Zyroxy still attracted a lot of attention. Mu Zyroxy, standing to the side, was carrying many shopping bags of various sizes, a sweet smile playing on her lips. Hey bro, I got so many pretty clothes for free today. I'm so happy. Look at you, so shameless. Mu Omo rolled her eyes. All right, let me take you back to your hotel first. Have you bought your high-speed rail ticket for tomorrow? She nodded. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Tomorrow at noon, I can help my sister-in-law work as a waitress at the store. After lunch, you can take me there. Can? Seeing her innocent appearance, Mu Omo couldn't help but smile. They didn't say much, and soon he took Mu Zyroxy back to the hotel. He then returned to his dormitory. Time flies, and it was already the evening of October 7th. Mu Zyroxy has returned to Kyoto, and these past 2 days he has been helping Mu Baining at the shop as always. I haven't even looked into my own cat cafe much, but since there are employees there, there shouldn't be any problems. As for the turnover, he didn't pay much attention to it. Mu Baining's Welsh restaurant saw its net profit exceed 300,000 yuan on the 6th. It surpassed 450,000 on the 7th. In just 3 days, he earned 900,000 yuan. It has to be said, Shanghai is a city that is truly unique. People are even ordering 800 yuan set meals. I can only say that brother who is really something. There are so many rich people here. At 8 p.m., the cat cafe was closed so that the staff could prepare for the start of school the next day. After cleaning up the cat's poop and filling their food bowls at the cat cafe, Mu Omo prepared to go back to her dorm to rest. It was at this moment that the system's voice appeared. Ding Tilda Mu Baining's birthday is approaching. Please take out the genetically modified Scottish fold cat, Wanzi, and carefully nurture him for 2 days. Mu Omo was taken aback upon hearing the system's voice. Bull. That must be the kitten's name. Yes, Mu Baining's previous Scottish fold cat was named Wanzi. This name sounds quite nice. Taking advantage of the fact that no one was in the shop, Mu Omo directly brought up the system and took out the genetically modified Scottish fold cat from the system warehouse. Suddenly, a black and white Scottish fold cat appeared in Mu Omo's arms. She was a little female kitten and looked to be only 1 or 2 months old. It looks exactly like the Scottish fold cats in the pictures online, but its markings are a bit. Please look at the picture. The pattern is almost identical to the cat in the picture below. That's right, that's exactly it. Her cheeks were white. Then there was also white between his eyes. What it resembles, you can all decide. This little guy is really unique in appearance. Although Wanzi looks a bit strange, Musayomo still likes him very much. He specifically got some cat food, cat treats, and a cat toy from the cat cafe, then carried her away from the cat cafe. I don't plan to keep this cat Musayomo at the cat cafe. I'll take her back to my dorm first. Du Yang hasn't come back yet, so let this little guy sleep in Du Yang's bed first. Du Yang might disagree, but he doesn't know that. Besides, this is Professor Mew's cat. It's an honor for Du Yang to have Professor Mew's cat sleep in his bed. Hey. Musayomo realized that she was really damn bad. A dozen minutes later, he carried the Scottish fold cat into the dormitory. Meow tilde. As soon as he opened the door, Wanzi let out a soft, babyish meow. At the same time, Huang Wengsu and Bai Yuntao, who were dancing to Compendium of Materia Medica, turned their heads immediately after hearing the cat meow. Holy crap! Upon seeing the Scottish fold cat, Huang Wengsu and Bai Yuntao both exclaimed, "National treasure." Huang Wengsu is a big cat lover, while Bai Yuntao is the complete opposite. He has been allergic to cats since childhood. When Bai Yuntao saw Musayomo walk in carrying a cat, his face darkened. Holy crap, Moji, didn't you know I'm allergic to cats? Get him out of here right now, holy crap. Musayomo's face darkened, but then he suddenly thought of a solution. My sister loves cats. Are you sure you don't want to overcome that? Hissed Tilda, hearing Musayomo's words. Bai Yuntao thought of the good conversation he had with Musayoxi recently. Although we haven't met, we've already become brothers. If brothers can become lovers, how far away is it for them to become couples? I'll just have to bear with it. Seeing Bai Yuntao's utterly dejected expression, Musayomo chuckled. This guy is something else. Mentioning her sister's name worked. Just then Huang Wengsu looked the cat up and down and exclaimed, "Holy crap, Brother Mo, is this a Scottish fold? These things have congenital skeletal diseases. Why are you raising one? Get out, get out, get out." Musayomo said, "These are genetically modified Scottish fold cats that I imported from abroad. They don't have any bone diseases. If you don't understand, don't talk nonsense." What the heck? Huang Wengsu was taken aback. Imported genetically modified organisms from abroad. How much do they cost? 100,000 yuan. It's for Professor Mew. Chapter 95. Could it be that this brat is really going to confess to her? 100,000. For Professor Mew. Seeing Huang Wengsu's skeptical look, Musayomo chuckled. Just kidding, look how surprised you are. How could I possibly afford a cat that costs 100,000 yuan? That's true. Huang Wengsu stared at the Scottish fold cat in his arms. But Brother Mo, you're just giving Professor Mew a cat for her birthday. You look down on cats. Musayomo flipped through the pages, too lazy to argue with Huang Wengsu anymore. He doesn't even know if Mew Baining likes cats, yet he's spouting nonsense. Musayomo put the cat directly on her own bed. As for putting it on Du Yang's bed, he was actually joking. He couldn't do such a thing to his own son. Moreover, if Du Yang finds out about this, he'll definitely beat him up. Although he couldn't beat him, Musayomo looked up at Wanzi. Wanzi was very quiet and didn't bark. After he put her on the bed, she lay down next to the pillow, looking drowsy. Just as Musayomo was about to feed her some cat food, his phone rang. I received a message on WeChat. He took out his phone and saw it was Mew Baining. Musayomo was slightly taken aback and clicked on the message. "Zyro-mo, I'm waiting for you by the lake behind the teaching building. I bought you some gifts. Come and get them quickly." Musayomo was taken aback when he saw the message Mew Baining sent him. What the heck? Buy him another gift. Lake. After thinking about it carefully, Musayomo realized that the lake Mew Baining mentioned must be the place where Mew Baining treated him to coffee and returned his clothes after the sanitary napkin incident. Not wanting to keep her waiting, Musayomo glanced at Huang Wengsu and Bai Yuntao and said, "Professor Mew needs to see me about something. I'll be going out for a bit." Both of them frowned upon hearing this. Huang Wengsu, tusk, Brother Mo, going out on a date with Professor Mew so late. I won't leave the door open for... Upon hearing this, Musayomo looked at him with disdain. This guy was thinking impure thoughts again, damn it. Get out of my way, I'm just going to get something. After saying that, Musayomo hurriedly ran out of the dormitory. 7 or 8 minutes later, he arrived at the lake behind the teaching building. Because it was late, there were many couples holding hands on dates, and some students were also running in their sportswear. After searching for about a minute, Musayomo finally spotted Mew Baining. Since it's already October, the temperature has dropped recently. In addition, because it's nighttime, the temperature is actually quite low today. She was wearing black slim-fit trousers and a white long-sleeved shirt jacket. Wearing such thin clothes, aren't you cold? Musayomo frowned slightly. She was sitting on a bench with a PS5 on her right and a 3090 Ti graphics card on it. Musayomo was completely bewildered. PS5 graphics card. What the heck? With a hint of doubt, he quickly walked over, took off his coat, and draped it over her shoulders. Professor Mew, it's cold outside. Why are you dressed so lightly? He looked at Mew Baining with concern and said. Mew Baining turned her head away with a smile. Mew Baining had put on makeup for this moment. This time, her lip color wasn't fiery red, but rather a pinkish hue with a sparkly shimmer. The foundation on her face wasn't very thick, so it could be described as a no-makeup look. No, it's not very cold. Mew Baining seemed to be in a good mood. Musayomo hummed in agreement. Professor Mew, what's wrong? He glanced sideways at the PS5 and graphics card on her right, while Mew Baining smiled sweetly, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear, and then said, You've worked so hard these past few days. I haven't had a chance to properly thank you yet. Her tone was particularly sincere, and Musayomo quickly said, Professor Mew, you're being too polite. There's no need for thanks. No, no, no. She shook her head. You've done so much for my shop, I still need to thank you. I didn't know what kind of gift you liked, so I did a quick online search and everyone said that boys like this, so I bought this. And Musayomo was speechless. To be honest, he has never liked playing video games since he was a child. I only play it occasionally when I'm bored and want to relax. I really don't need the PS5 and 3090 Ti. After all, his future goal is to earn money to support his wife, sister, and parents. He won't be like Huang Wenxu and Bai Yuntao, who indulge in frivolous pursuits and only know how to play League of Legends. But not wanting to upset Mew Baining, he immediately put on a smile. Thank you, Professor Mew. I was just thinking of buying a PS5 recently. What a coincidence. But I have one more small request. Could you grant it to me? Mew Baining frowned slightly. Just tell me. Musayomo, your birthday is in 3 days. How about I celebrate it for you this time? Mew Baining nodded slightly and readily agreed. Okay, but Liu Weiwei might have to come with me. This. Musayomo was taken aback. Goodness, she had forgotten about Liu Weiwei. Hearing his words, Musayomo felt embarrassed to say anything more. After all, Liu Weiwei and Mew Baining were best friends. The two had such a good relationship that Liu Weiwei had previously told him to prepare a good birthday gift for Mew Baining. Of course, Musayomo readily agreed. Seeing Musayomo's somewhat unpleasant expression, Mew Baining said, Of course I can refuse. It's fine if it's just the two of us. Mew Baining swallowed hard, scrutinizing his features. At this moment, she still longed to be with Musayomo. I'm even more curious about what kind of surprise she has prepared for her. Even she herself noticed that she wasn't like this before. When I'm with Musayomo, my tone of voice becomes much softer. Either is fine, Musayomo chuckled. But if I bring Liu Weiwei along, she can have a mouthful of dog food, a Chinese slang term for witnessing public displays of affection. Hearing this, Mew Baining was stunned. Could it be that this brat was really going to confess to her? In that case, we definitely can't bring Liu Weiwei along. With Liu Weiwei's big mouth, she'll definitely tell school Dr. Wang about this, and it might even spread to her class. If Liu Weiwei were to kiss Musayomo, she would definitely take a picture. Her face flushed red. I'll explain to Liu Weiwei. You can take all of those things with you. You have class tomorrow, don't be late. I'll head back now. After saying that, Mew Baining returned his coat and left rather shyly. Watching her departing figure, Musayomo frowned deeply. Why did Mew Baining's face suddenly turn red? Still so shy? Musayomo shook her head, not thinking much of it. He glanced at the PS5 and 3090 Ti on the bench and picked them up. Then, carrying the 2 boxes, I walked towards the dormitory building. Along the way, many male students cast envious glances at them. After all, a 3090 Ti costs around 12,000 yuan. This price is no small sum for today's college students. Add a PS5, and the price is estimated to be close to 20,000 yuan. Musayomo smiled helplessly. It was really absurd that Mew Baining would suddenly give him such a gift. However, his roommates must be very envious, right? Chapter 96. He also prepared a very special surprise for Mew Baining. Just as Musayomo had expected, Bai Yuntao and Huang Wenxu both cast envious glances at her after she returned to the dormitory. What did Professor Mew give him? PS5, a 3090 Ti graphics card. This guy knows men so well. Holy crap, Moji. Are you sure this was sent to you by Professor Mew? and not a package you picked up yourself. Huang Wenxu carefully examined the graphics card. It was a 3090T, his dream. Mu Zaya Omo rolled her eyes. It was indeed a gift from Professor Mu. It's only a little over 20,000 yuan, not much. Damn Mo, are you trying to play Versailles with me? Isn't 20,000 yuan a lot? Huang Wenxu grinned mischievously and raised an eyebrow at Mu Zaya Omo. Brother Mo, my computer happens to support an external graphics card, and I also have a graphics card expansion dock. You don't play games, so could I borrow this 3090T for a few days? Get out, get out! Mu Zaya Omo snatched the graphics card from his hand. This was given to me by Professor Mu. You are not worthy to use it. Dad, please let me use it. Calling me grandpa won't help. Mu Zaya Omo quickly stuffed the graphics card into the cabinet. As for the PS5, he plans to install it. Playing racing games with my roommates in the dorm is really fun, but we have to be careful that Genta doesn't break into his locker. Time flies. October 10th arrived in the blink of an eye, which was Mu Baining's birthday. At 7 o'clock in the evening, Mu Zaya Omo was getting dressed. After all, it was his future girlfriend's birthday, so he wanted to dress appropriately. But it shouldn't be too formal either, since it's not some important occasion. A simple outfit will suffice. He was wearing a plain white t-shirt with a black and white boxy jacket over it. He wore loose black trousers and a pair of white Air Force sneakers. She wore some metal jewelry on her neck and hands, but it wasn't ostentatious. Spray on some perfume, and everyone who sees that will be completely mesmerized. Brother Mo, is today Professor Mu's birthday. As soon as Huang Wenxu, Bai Yuntao, and Du Yang entered the dormitory, they saw Mu Zaya Omo, who was disguised. Hearing Huang Wenxu's words, he glanced at him and said, "Yes, today is the day." Tusk, tusk, tusk. Huang Wenxu clicked his tongue, then continued, "So, Brother Mo, aren't you planning to take a few of your brothers with you?" "All right, stop talking nonsense." Bai Yuntao, who was next to Huang Wenxu, rolled his eyes. "This is a good opportunity for Zaya Mo and the professor to have a date. If we go, won't it interfere with him drawing his sword?" Du Yang, Brother Mo, does that mean I don't need to leave the door open for you tonight? Mu Zaya Omo was speechless. This is just outrageous. Stop talking nonsense. I'm planning to confess my feelings today. If I succeed, I'll treat the three of you to a nice drink. Crack, 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 go for it, Moji. Yeah, go Moji. Try my best, Tilda. Too lazy to argue with his roommate anymore. He put the meatball into a kitten backpack and quickly went downstairs. Mu Zaya Omo has already ordered the cake in the hotel. The hotel is located in Lujiazui and is a 6-star hotel. Located on the top floor of the Oriental Pearl TV tower, it is an extremely luxurious private box. Not only that, he also prepared a very special surprise for Mu Baining. Today, he specially rented a Mercedes-Benz to take Mu Baining to the hotel. On the other side, the faculty and staff dormitory, Mu Baining stood in front of the bathroom mirror, tidying her long hair. She was wearing a red dress. This was prepared for her by Liu Weiwei. After all, it's the day she finally got a boyfriend and also her 22nd birthday, so she should dress in a festive way. The main reason is that she is exceptionally beautiful. The red dress looks perfectly natural on her, and it complements her stunning looks perfectly. As for her makeup, it was practically a natural look, not exaggerated at all. With just a touch of blush, eyeshadow, and lipstick, she looked like a delicate porcelain doll. Her skin was like solidified cream, exceptionally beautiful. Liu Weiwei walked over with an envious look on her face, looking at the meticulously dressed Mu Baining with envy. "Ning Ning, you're officially no longer single, sob sob. I've celebrated 4 of your birthdays with you, and I never imagined I wouldn't be able to celebrate them with you anymore. Please take care on your journey." Mu Baining. Something about this sentence sounds a bit strange. It's ridiculous to insist on taking this path carefully. Seeing that she was almost done getting ready, Mu Baining said, "Okay, Weiwei, I'm almost done getting ready. How do I look? Am I pretty?" Mu Baining showed off a little in front of Liu Weiwei. No girl doesn't love beauty, and Mu Baining is no exception. Besides, it's my birthday today, so I definitely want to look my best when I meet my future boyfriend. "Oh my, you're so beautiful. If I were Mu Zaya Omo, I would pounce on you tonight." Upon hearing this, Mu Baining rolled her eyes. That dog Weiwei is spouting nonsense again. Mu Baining picked up her phone. Just a few minutes earlier, Mu Zaya Omo had sent her a message saying that he had arrived downstairs and was waiting for her. "Weiwei, I'm not talking to you anymore. Zaya Omo is waiting for me downstairs. I'm going down now." With that, she put on her high heels, opened the door, and left the room. Liu Weiwei took a deep breath. "Sigh, That dog Ning Ning, she doesn't love her anymore now that she has a boyfriend. I've fallen out of favor, sob sob. Downstairs. After Mu Baining came down, she did not see Mu Zaya Omo. Instead, I saw Mercedes-Benz. I don't think he bought a car. Should we give one to my brat? Seeing Mu Baining looking around in the car, Mu Zaya Omo quickly rolled down the window and waved to her. Professor Mu, over here. Upon hearing his voice, Mu Baining quickly walked over, opened the passenger door, and got in. The red dress immediately caught Mu Zaya Omo's eye. He looked her face up and couldn't help but say, Professor Mu, you look so beautiful today. So beautiful. He couldn't help but utter those two words. Mu Baining bit her lip and lowered her head shyly. She didn't find Mu Zaya Omo greasy at all. Just as she was about to respond to Mu Zaya Omo, a kitten's meow suddenly came from the back row. Meow tilde. Upon hearing the sound, Mu Baining frowned. This voice sounds strangely familiar. The Scottish fold cat she used to have sounded just like that. Thinking of this, Mu Baining couldn't help but glance at the row of seats. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be meatballs. Chapter 97, Professor Mu, I like you. Will you be my girlfriend? Marus. Upon seeing the cat that looked exactly like Wanzi, Mu Baining felt a bit lost. She had been saddened for a long time since Wanzi passed away from illness. When Maruko was sick, she spent a lot of money on her and went to the vet every day, but she still couldn't save that fragile life. Mu Zaya Omo turned to look at Wanzi, then reached out and took the backpack containing the cat. Then he unzipped his backpack and took Wanzi out. Mu Zaya Omo smiled faintly. Professor Mu, this is a birthday present for you, an adorable Scottish fold. Then he handed the cat to Mu Baining. Mu Baining quickly accepted it. This cat holds memories of her college days. She was truly happy to have this little guy by her side back then. At this moment, after Wanzi entered Mu Baining's arms, she rubbed against Mu Baining's body frantically, becoming extremely clingy. Mu Baining gently stroked her back. At this moment, Mu Baining's expression had become somewhat flushed, and there were even tears welling up in her eyes. Yes, these are tears of emotion. Seeing this scene, Mu Zaya Omo felt particularly warm. He couldn't help but ask, Professor Mu, do you like this gift? I like it, she said slowly. This cat looks exactly like the Maruko I used to have. After saying that, she sighed, but she's a Scottish fold. All Scottish fold cats suffer from skeletal diseases. Mu Baining looked up at Mu Zaya Omo, her expression filled with helplessness. Zaya Omo, it must be difficult to find a Scottish fold cat that looks just like Maruko. You don't need to do this. Even now, I still remember the pain I felt when Maruko fell ill and passed away. At this point, Mu Baining choked up. Mu Zaya Omo was taken aback and quickly took out a tissue to wipe away the tears from the corners of her eyes. Then with a faint smile, he said, Professor Mu, this is not an ordinary Scottish fold cat. It is a new breed developed overseas, a genetically modified Scottish fold cat. Don't worry, this kind of cat does not have congenital skeletal diseases. Really? Hearing this, Mu Baining was somewhat surprised and deeply moved. She never expected that Mu Zaya Omo would buy such a cat from abroad specifically for her. Since it was bought from abroad, that means Mu Zaya Omo had been preparing for this for more than 10 days. Was it all to give her a surprise on her birthday? After Mu Baining imagined all of this, she became even more excited. Mu Zaya Omo nodded. Of course it's true. My dad bought it from abroad. This meatball can stay with Professor Mu forever. I'm glad Professor Mu likes it. I'll drive off now. We'll go to the hotel to celebrate your birthday, Tilda. Without hesitation, Mu Zaya Omo drove the vehicle directly towards Lujiazui. Throughout the journey, Mu Baining interacted with Wanzi. Maruko sensed that Mu Baining was her new owner, and she meowed all the way, even making purring sounds. She even cuddled with Mu Baining. Even Mu Zaya Omo was a little jealous of Wanzi. Half an hour later, just before 8 p.m., the car stopped in the parking lot under the Oriental Pearl TV tower. Mu Baining put the meatballs into her backpack, and then got out of the car with Mu Zaya Omo. This is the most bustling area of Shanghai, and also the area with the highest prices. Mu Baining looked up at the surrounding high-rise buildings. Although the situation of the shop was improving, she would not spend money recklessly. Zaya Omo, why did we come here? Looking at the surrounding night view, Mu Baining couldn't help but speak up. Mu Zaya Omo chuckled and said, Professor Mu, are you crazy? Today is your birthday. Of course, we're celebrating your birthday. He stood next to Mu Baining, took her hand, and said, Let's go. I've already booked a hotel. It's on the top floor of the Oriental Pearl Tower. Top floor? Before Mu Baining could ask any more questions, Mu Zaya Omo hurriedly pulled her away. A moment later, Mu Ziomo had brought Mu Baining to the 263rd floor of the Oriental Pearl Tower. This is an extremely luxurious six-star hotel. It is named Brunei Hotel. The hotel's amenities were exceptionally luxurious. The floor is a single piece of marble with natural veining, which shimmers with a golden light under the illumination of the crystal chandelier on the ceiling. That's right, the ground was sprinkled with gold dust, and it's said that the gold dust on the entire hotel floor is worth 100 million RMB. Because they had made a reservation in advance, a male waiter in a tailcoat came directly to them after they entered. "Hello, welcome Mr. Mu and Ms. Mu," he said very respectfully, and Mu Ziomo nodded. "I left some small requests when I made the reservation. Have you arranged them all?" "Don't worry, sir, everything is arranged. Please follow me." Because the top floor area is relatively small, there are only 3 private rooms in the entire hotel. Because there are few private rooms, the food is particularly expensive. The average cost is 15,000 yuan per person. The price is a bit high, but Mu Ziomo can still afford it since she doesn't come every day. The waiter led Mu Ziomo and Mu Baining into the private room they had reserved. According to Mu Ziomo's idea, the large dining table in the private room has been removed. Instead, a larger 2-person table was placed next to a full-length glass wall. Sitting at the dining table, you can see the Huangpu River and the night view of the entire city of Shanghai by looking out. The scene was particularly spectacular. At this time, the lights in the private room were not on. The light in the private room was all natural moonlight from outside. Because it was relatively dark, the private room had a special ambience. Seeing this, Mu Ziomo was particularly satisfied. "Thank you for your help. You can serve the food now. Oh, and please bring out the cake first. Thank you." "Yes, Mr. Mu." He slowly backed away and soon left the private room. Mu Ziomo was still holding Mu Baining's hand. Mu Baining took a deep breath and looked at the entire wall of glass. "Ziomo, why did we come to such a luxurious place?" "Because," Mu Ziomo smiled faintly, keeping everyone in suspense. "You'll find out soon enough." The two sat down, and Mu Baining peeked down and immediately felt dizzy. She wasn't afraid of heights, it was just too high. At a distance of 460 meters, the cars below looked smaller than sesame seeds. "That's really creepy." Soon the black swan cake that Mu Ziomo ordered arrived. The cake wasn't big, only 6 inches, just enough for 2 people. 2 candles with the number 2 stuck in the top. After lighting the candles, Mu Ziomo spoke softly. "Professor Mu, happy birthday, make a wish." The candlelight illuminated her cheeks. Mu Baining nodded slightly, then placed her hands under her chin, closed her eyes, and made a wish in her heart. Just then, a huge airship drifted over. Not far away, brilliant fireworks also burst into bloom. Boom, collapse. When Mu Baining opened her eyes, she happened to see this scene. The light from the fireworks reflected in his eyes. Several large characters were written on the airship. "Professor Mu, I like you." There are also photos of 2 people on it. At that moment, Mu Ziomo stared intently at the airship outside the window, then whispered, "Professor Mu, I like you. Will you be my girlfriend?" Chapter 98, taking it one step at a time, directly calling her wife. "Husm." Upon hearing Mu Ziomo's words, Mu Baining immediately turned her gaze to him. The fireworks outside the window cast a faint glow on Mu Ziomo's cheeks. The surrounding scene was rather dark, and when her gaze fell upon Mu Ziomo, she couldn't look away. The boy's smile was exceptionally sweet, and his eyes were remarkably determined. Seeing Mu Ziomo's expectant look, Mu Baining's heart was already a little restless. A warm feeling flowed through her heart. As a girl, she should be more reserved. In fact, she had been waiting for Mu Ziomo to say these words for a very long time. Memories flashed through her mind. Although there was some awkwardness when the two first met, it did not affect their relationship later on. Looking at the boy in front of her, Mu Baining realized that she and he had done so many things together. She was extremely excited to have such a boyfriend. However, Mu Baining did not agree to him immediately, but instead turned her attention to the airship outside. Such large airships are not common, and they are also printed with photos and names of both sides. No wonder Mu Ziomo brought her here, so that's why. To be honest, Mu Ziomo's confession this time was really special. Such a scene is not even shown in TV dramas. The candle flame still flickered in front of Mu Baining, and the two of them looked into each other's eyes. Finally, Mu Baining nodded gently. Her expression was slightly shy, her sexy lips parted slightly. "Actually, I like you quite a bit." She practically buried her head in the cake when she said that. Seeing this, Mu Ziomo quickly reminded Mu Baining, "Professor Mu, Your hair is about to be singed by the candle. Oh, this. She suddenly looked up, and her eyes widened when she saw the candle in front of her. Musayomo chuckled and said in a magnetic voice, "Since you like me too, let's be together." This, she hesitated for a moment, and Mu Baining said softly, "It's not possible now, but I can give you a chance to get to know each other. I will give you a clear answer after this semester ends." Musayomo was taken aback. Was the learning session over? At this moment, the system's voice came. Mu Baining has agreed, but girls are more emotional, so please don't overthink it. In 3 months, she will definitely be your girlfriend. So that's how it is. At this point, Mu Baining continued, "And what about your parents?" Before Mu Baining could finish speaking, Musayomo interrupted her. "Don't worry, Professor Mu, this airship was arranged by my father. Actually, I told my dad about you 7 days ago, and he immediately agreed to it." Really? Musayomo looked at Mu Baining and realized that this girl really had a lot of worries. However, this also confirms that she genuinely wants to marry him and have children. After all, everyone was worried about whether his parents would agree to this. Of course it's true. Seeing Mu Baining's somewhat nervous expression, Musayomo continued, "These are not your concerns. I will marry the woman I set my sights on, even if my parents disagree. Do you think my father would be willing to break his precious son's legs?" He said that when I was a kid." After hearing his words, Mu Baining felt that Musayomo must have been very naughty when he was a child. Musayomo continued, "Besides, my dad really agrees with this. If possible, I can take you home to meet them during the winter break this year." Mu Baining was taken aback when she heard Musayomo's words. We only gave him a chance to get to know each other, and this younger brother is already talking about meeting our parents. Does that mean we'll discuss the engagement tomorrow and the wedding the day after? Does that mean I'm going to have his baby the day after tomorrow?" Thinking of this, Mu Baining looked at him with disdain. However, thinking that Musayomo truly liked her and that they could start a sweet romance, Mu Baining was extremely excited. "What are you saying? You're talking about meeting the parents now." Mu Baining spoke like a child, and Musayomo chuckled. "There are still several months to go. Just because you're unwilling now doesn't mean you won't be willing in a few months." Mu Baining, Mu Baining's eyes flickered. "Little Mo, thank you for your care and concern during this time." She spoke with unwavering conviction, and it was clear that she said it from the bottom of her heart. "Professor Mu." Just as Musayomo was about to speak, Mu Baining suddenly reached out and covered his mouth with her arm. Mo, should we change how we address her from now on?" "Depend on." Mu Baining's sudden turn caught Musayomo completely off guard. She actually covered her mouth with her own. "Should we change the way we address you?" At this moment, Mu Baining exuded a queen-like aura. She's the aloof and sophisticated older sister he's always dreamed of. "Okay, Tilda," he nodded slightly. "Then should I just go all the way and call Ningning my wife?" He's shameless. If he's going to change how he addresses someone, he might as well just do it properly from the start. Upon hearing Musayomo's words, Mu Baining's expression immediately froze. I give you a chance to get along, and you take advantage of me. You stinky Momo." At that moment, she felt her mind go blank, and then she blurted out those 2 words in a daze. Seeing her shy expression, Musayomo was delighted. Sure enough, Ningning looks so cute when she's shy. Mu Baining frowned deeply. That stinky Momo is really too wicked. She snorted, and at the same time, Musayomo spoke. "Ningning, you just made a wish, right? Hurry up and blow out the candles." Mu Baining wasn't angry about what had just happened. She blew out the candle with a whoosh, and then Musayomo, who was standing next to her, guessed. "Let me guess, Ningning, what did you wish for? Do you want to be with me for the rest of your life?" Upon hearing his words, Mu Baining's eyes widened immediately. How did this brat know? However, Mu Baining would never admit it at this point. She shook her head emphatically. "No. So you want to have 2 babies with me?" Upon hearing this, Mu Baining looked at him with disdain. 3, 4. "Honey, you don't want to have 5 kids, do you?" At this moment, Mu Baining was utterly speechless. What nonsense is Musayomo spouting? Musayomo didn't keep joking around. He quickly helped Mu Baining cut the cake, and then the 2 of them tasted it. Mu Baining stared blankly at the fireworks still blooming outside the window, because these fireworks seemed to have been blooming for a very, very long time. The airship outside the window had disappeared, but the fireworks continued to burn incessantly. How much money did this cost? This brat really doesn't know how to save money. At the same time, Musayomo was also a little puzzled. He clearly told his dad that he only needed to prepare 3 minutes of fireworks. It's been 10 minutes already, why isn't it over yet? On the other side, at Musayomo's father's place, at this point the company's bills ran into problems. Since it was a company account, a detailed list had to be compiled. At this moment, an accountant approached Musayomo's father. "Boss, we found the problem with this bill. You booked a 30-minute fireworks display in Shanghai, which cost a total of 200,000 yuan. 30 minutes. Isn't it 3 minutes? Chapter 99. Let's wait until the two sides have spent more time together before making this public. 10 more minutes passed. By this time, the dishes on the table were almost all ready. The dishes, averaging 15,000 yuan each, are also exceptionally plentiful. There was a particularly large Australian lobster, as well as black caviar and other dishes that Musayomo couldn't name. As for the taste, well, it was indeed quite delicious to him, but compared to his own cooking skills, it was still 100 million points inferior. The fireworks outside the window continued to burn, and the crowd below the Oriental Pearl Tower looked on with puzzlement. Who is this rich person? The fireworks lasted for so long. The words on the airship just now said, "Professor Mew, I like you. To be able to hire an airship, you must be a tycoon." Why, Atilda, I'm so envious of Professor Mew. I'm envious too, because many wealthy people in Shanghai use airships to confess their love. This kind of thing is not surprising. Although their photos were printed on it, almost no one could see them because of the angle. The handwriting was at eye level, so it wouldn't cause any big stir. After all, there are just too many rich people in this world. Musayomo and Mu Baining had already started their meal. Mu Baining was particularly excited about today's special birthday party. 10 minutes later, the fireworks finally stopped. Musayomo took a deep breath. It seemed that his father had made a mistake this time. The fireworks display lasted for a full 30 minutes. Wow, that really makes him proud. Dinner continued. An hour later, Musayomo and Mu Baining had almost finished eating. Because the portion sizes were quite large this time, we didn't finish all the food on our plates. Mu Baining took the last spoonful of soup, then took out a small mirror and started touching up her lipstick. Seeing her actions, Musayomo already knew that she was probably full. "Honey, are you full?" Musayomo asked a pointless question, but Mu Baining didn't see it that way. She nodded and said, "Yes, I've finished eating. Zyromo, thank you for everything you did for me today." She glanced at Wanzi, who was lying on the ground licking her paws. "Especially Wanzi, I really like her. Actually, there are also gifts, Tilda." Musayomo spoke softly and Mu Baining was taken aback. There's a gift too." At this moment, Musayomo had his hands behind his back, so Mu Baining couldn't see his arms. Musayomo snapped his fingers behind his back, and at that moment, a large bouquet of roses appeared in his hands. It was actually retrieved from the system. 2 days ago, Musayomo studied the system in depth. I discovered that the warehouse in the system not only allows you to retrieve items, but also to store them. Just like Doraemon's other dimensional pocket, it's incredibly magical. These 99 roses were the ones Musayomo had stored in advance. Seeing Mu Baining's somewhat puzzled look, Musayomo quickly took out the roses from below. He then said, "Tada, Professor Mew, these are 99 roses for you. I hope our love can last a long time." Upon seeing this, Mu Baining covered her mouth. How did he do that? When she and Musayomo came in, they clearly didn't see any roses. So where did this bouquet of roses come from? Zyromo. Mu Baining quickly took the roses from his hand. These roses were exceptionally fresh, as if they had just been picked. She was extremely curious and couldn't help but ask, "How did you manage to make these roses?" Seeing her astonished expression, Musayomo said, "I know magic tricks. Honey, I'm a perfect guy. I can be elegant in public and a good cook in the kitchen. I can sing and dance, and I can even do magic tricks. Isn't having a boyfriend as perfect as me better than winning the lottery?" Mu Baining rolled her eyes at Musayomo's narcissism. This guy is so narcissistic. However, upon closer examination, she realized that Musayomo's words made a lot of sense. No one is perfect, but in her eyes, Musayomo was perfect. The saying, "beauty is in the eye of the beholder," also applies to men. Mu Baining took a deep breath and smelled the roses. Musayomo looked at Mu Baining and felt that she seemed a little naive. He asked, "Professor Mew, you know there's a cat cafe on our campus, right?" Upon hearing Musayomo's words, Mu Baining curiously raised her head. Cat cafe. Liu Weiwei seems to have mentioned it to her a few times. But because she's been quite busy lately, she hasn't gone to see her. She nodded. Liu Weiwei mentioned it to me a few times before, but I didn't go to see it. Why did you suddenly bring this up? Mu Omo responded with composure, and seeing his expression, Mu Baining frowned and asked, could it be that you own the cat cafe? As expected of my wife, she's so smart. Mu Omo praised Mu Baining, saying, that's right, the cat cafe is actually a gift for you. He glanced at Maruko, who was jumping around energetically. There are 10 kittens in the cat cafe now, and you could say that all of them are Maruko's playmates. Professor Mew, if you have time, you can visit the shop more often. That shop is yours. Upon hearing this news, Mew Baining was surprised again. Mew Omo's actions have repeatedly challenged her understanding of the world. When she first met Mew Omo, she thought he was just a handsome scumbag. Unexpectedly, she helped me many times and even cooked for me. Then she sang such a beautiful song. Not only can she perform magic tricks, but she also owns a cat cafe. Or is it a gift for her? Mew Baining felt that Mew Omo was really not a simple person. Although he may seem carefree and playful, he is definitely very mature inside. Seeing Mew Baining's distracted state, Mew Omo didn't continue speaking. I'll take Mew Baining there to see it when I have time. Whether he wants a cat cafe or not is irrelevant. He'll be the one running it anyway. From now on, we're all family, so none of this matters. Honey, I'll take you to see it later. You've eaten enough, right? Well, let's go. When we get back, I'll give you some cat food and litter so you can feed Wanzi. Mew Baining nodded, quickly straightened her clothes, and stood up. Mew Omo naturally went over and took her hand. Just then, Mew Baining suddenly thought of something and said, honey, there's something I need to tell you. Mew Omo looked at her curiously. Just tell me. At school, please don't call me darling anymore, just call me Professor Mew. He nodded. I know, don't worry, darling Tilda. It's indeed rare for a teacher-student relationship to lead to romance, and Mew Omo respects Mew Baining's feelings. After all, if this gets to the ears of other teachers, they might gossip. It would be better to wait until the two parties have spent more time together before making this public. Chapter 100, If Only I Could Kiss Ning Ning Every Day. After receiving Mew Omo's consent, Mew Baining nodded heavily and hummed in agreement. Her arms were tightly wrapped around hers, and Mew Omo could clearly smell her scent. Female hormones surged through his nerves, and when Mew Omo looked down, he happened to see just below her collarbone. It's huge. Mew Omo was stunned for a moment and took a deep breath. How come Mew Baining is so well developed? Of course, Mew Baining, who was standing next to her, did not notice this. At this moment, she was looking at Wanzi playing on the ground. When she saw Mew Baining coming over, Wanzi took the initiative to go up to her and get close to her. Although it's still young, this kitten is incredibly affectionate. Mew Baining squatted down, put Wanzi into her bag, then holding the bag in her arms, turned to look at Mew Omo. Omo, let's go back then. You have class tomorrow morning, so please prepare well when you get back. Okay, Ning Ning Tilda. Soon, the two left the hotel together and took the elevator to the parking lot. Girls all like guys with delicate features, and Mew Omo is a perfect example. He quickly ran to Mew Baining and opened the passenger door. Mew Baining was taken aback for a moment, then a bright smile appeared on her face. Looking at Mew Baining, who was standing there laughing, Mew Omo said, stop laughing, Professor Mew, get in the car. Okay, she didn't hesitate for long and got into the car. After he sat in the driver's seat, he did not fasten his seatbelt immediately, but instead turned his head to the right and looked directly at Mew Baining. Ning Ning, today is your birthday. Shall we take some photos together? After hearing Mew Omo's voice, Mew Baining thought carefully. Sure, but I have a lot of classmates on WeChat and my moments. It's okay, no need to post it on WeChat moments. Mew Omo didn't care about such trivial matters. He took out his phone and held it up, while Mew Baining also took the meatballs out of her backpack. Mew Baining held the dumpling in both hands, their faces very close, and then with a click, he took a picture. Then Mew Baining changed her pose again, and the two of them took a lot of photos in one go. He opened the photo album, looked at one photo after another of himself and Mew Baining, and nodded with satisfaction. Beside her, Mew Baining also curiously examined his screen. She had to admit that Mew Omo's photography skills were quite good. I didn't photograph her in a bad way. Momo, your photography skills are pretty good, much better than Liu Weiwei's. She always manages to distort my face when she takes pictures. Mew Omo wouldn't miss this opportunity to praise her. Ning Ning, it's not that I'm a good photographer, it's just that you're so beautiful, Tilda. Upon hearing this, Mu Baining couldn't help but glance at him again. She calls him Momo and he calls her Ning Ning. These are quite nice nicknames. After being praised like that, Mu Baining suddenly felt that the atmosphere in the car had become quite romantic. There weren't many people in the parking lot at that time. Plus, the car was a bit dimly lit. Therefore, both of them felt a bit hot. After staring at Mu Baining for 5 seconds, Mu Ziomo went up and hugged her. His father told him that as long as he made eye contact with a girl for more than 3 seconds, he could kiss her directly. The last time I kissed her, it seemed like I was under the influence of alcohol, but this time I wasn't. After realizing Mu Ziomo's purpose, Mu Baining did not resist. Rebellion, why rebel? Kissing someone you love is such a wonderful thing. Mu Baining closed her eyes, feeling his moist lips. It has to be said that Mu Ziomo's kissing skills are truly excellent. The tongue was extended just right. As Mu Baining moaned, Mu Ziomo noticed that his desire was also increasing. About 2 minutes later, Mu Ziomo gently loosened her arms from around her, and immediately afterward, Mu